Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. Today we are here to rank Dragons Rising along with some guests. Welcome Kevin, Trist, and Krusty to the stream.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome everybody. We are here today to talk about a good Ninjago installment that came out this year. How exciting is that?
Bender, I don't want to interrupt you, but like, you have like an animated like woo gamer
do.
thing.
Did you
goes
not?
When you talk, that is so cool.
Did you not notice that the last stream?
I did not notice that before. I honestly might have noticed that the last stream and then forgot.
And then
about it.
completely
I genuinely
forgot.
Can't remember,
And then...
but that's so cool.
Yes, I had this commission. You could check. Actually, wait a second.
You should have it.
Oh, hold up. I have to. Okay, I took this stream, like the layout from a previous stream before I had this commissioned, so I need to quickly add the artist's Twitter in the description and pinned comment, so I can credit them properly. I apologize.
You should have
Thank you for reminding me.
Just strikes the Woo Studio pose and then goes back to normal. Like
Yeah.
happened.
Bender, you just need to pull a Lego and remove the credits.
Oh yeah, remove the credits.
True.
And just take ownership.
Pull a
of
Virtues of
everything.
Spinjitzu.
We didn't
Yeah,
even know
maybe.
who sang the We Rise song until like half a year after it came out.
That's actually insane. Okay, hold up. I gotta find this now.
Do you guys remember that with the Virtues of Spinjitzu shorts?
Yeah, and then like Tommy had to post it on Twitter or something.
That is wild.
That is crazy.
Imagine like being a show producer and having to like manually go in and just like cut the credits so you can post them on Twitter because Lego
Yeah.
just went out of their way to cut them all out. They accidentally left them in one of them as well.
Accidentally left the credits in.
Does YouTube only embed the Twitter link like once per description?
I think Twitter embeds are broken anyway because Elon.
I completely messed it up.
I think like when
Alright.
they limited the API, it just broke embeds.
Well, hopefully. I mean, the link still works at least. Just won't look as nice.
Well, Bendo works on that. Can I make a quick announcement?
Yes,
Go
feel
for it.
free.
So today is 3 years since Kirby Morrow passed away. I kind of just want to touch on that here
Oh, yeah.
because it was obviously a really big deal and it still is. So kind of just want to recognize him at the start of this because he's a great guy. He's the original voice actor for Cole, and we all really miss him.
Indeed.
Yeah, dude's just a legend.
Yeah.
Literal, like,
Yeah,
one of the
you know,
main voices of my childhood. I
Exactly.
He had like
still
such a
can't.
distinct voice.
I still
He
just
is
can't
the
remember,
Ninjago
or like,
voice.
I can't forget, like, just like when I heard about its passing, it was just I was like devastated, honestly.
Yeah, it was
Literally
a
like
very
one of my
sad day.
favorite voice actors. So
I wasn't
Like-
even in like the Ninjago community when he passed away, but like I remember hearing that news. I think it was probably like maybe like a week or so after, and you know, it really devastated me hearing it, and I definitely could not process it. And in some ways, I still can't process it very well. But like, you know, I just miss him.
yeah.
Same.
Like I remember I was watching some like Yoda Chronicles clips that someone was posting in the past month, and like whenever like Kirby Morrow like came in, like who voiced Anakin, and those like people were like leaving comments saying "Rest in peace, Kirby Morrow."
Yeah, it is great knowing that people still acknowledge that and just pay respects and like make any comments section even if it still happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see everyone still remember him and pay their respects.
I'm glad you brought that up, Trist. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
But now we shall begin with the Dragons Rising tier list. And we will start with the merge part 1. What do you guys think about the premiere for all of Dragons Rising?
I want to put it in S, but there's ones that I like more than it, so I don't know how many are we expecting to go in S?
I don't know.
I think it's an S.
I'm gonna try and
Such a
be
strong opening.
I'm gonna try and be as like fairly critical as possible.
It is really good. I'll say the merge sequence is like one of my favorite Ninjago scenes ever because it's just beyond hype. Roz coming in at the end is really cool, and then Lloyd coming in is awesome, and also just all the ambient like Crossroads music and like introducing that stuff was really great too.
What I think is really cool about that opening scene with the merge, and I realized this the other day, is it's literally just like a drawn out version of like the classic like first 7 seasons Ninjago intro.
That's
That's
true.
awesome. Yeah.
Like they're in like a kind of like abstract like technicolor void. You have the ninja jumping around and using their powers as their names are announced to the viewers. And I just think that's such a cool homage. Like
Yeah.
I only picked up on it like the other day when I was rewatching the episode for my review.
It's kind of like I think it was the Japanese intros where they would like also
Yeah.
announce the ninja's powers. It's just like that.
It's just so
Yeah,
smart how they did that because it immediately
Yeah.
like for new viewers, it immediately kind of like it's like okay, here's like the team, and here's all their powers and their names and stuff. But
Yeah.
then it also
And
like
even-
acts as such a good way to kind of like present the ninja as like these like fabled heroes in a way that we haven't really
Right.
seen.
Aaron's perspective, not the ninja's
Yeah.
perspective.
And it's so interesting. It's such a good way to just start the show and just set up like the vibe of
I just think Dragon's Rising in general does like such a good job at like making that original series feel like important and like kind
Yeah.
of like it is a legend now. Like say in The Last Jin, the way they talk about like the events of like the start of season 6 and like the preeminent being destroyed is like how characters would talk about like the Wojira backstory in Seabound. And I
Mhm.
just think placing that kind of like weight on the original story is really good.
Right. Or even how like I like we'll get to this when we get to that episode, but like Cole's known as the hero of Shintaro, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where like we probably didn't think much of it after the season, but like he's literally known by that now. It's an important event.
And you also have the Zane Day as well, like in the
We
Crossroads.
do have the Zane Day.
Exactly, like you see how like every ninja in their own way just has their own kind of legends and tales.
I got a few
That
things
you'll
to say about the
recognize
Zane Day I'm
more.
excited for.
So this going in S tier, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly
Unanimous.
fine with this too.
I mean, like what I want to say about this episode is like I remember, first heading into Dragon's Rising and being, very excited but also very scared because like this is like a new series basically that's still connected to the one like Ninjago that we know and love. And the fact that I was so invested and so engaged with Aaron and Sora, who we see for like basically the entirety of the episode until Lloyd comes in at the very end, and the fact that I was so hooked and I was so interested to learn more about them after this first episode is just really a testament to just how amazing and well written this first
Yeah.
season is.
I know, right?
Like the intros to the characters are pretty much spot on, like perfect. Like Sora's first like line of dialogue immediately like clues you into kind of like her outlook. And
Yeah.
you just get these like fun interactions between the two. And as well as just like building out the world and like learning like about the Crossroads and Imperium.
I want to highlight Imperium because every time Sora mentions it, the music goes from like the happy Crossroads music and it just immediately
Yeah.
dips down to like a creepy Imperium motif. And then when it goes into Rapton's introduction is so good too. All the villains are introduced so well in this
Yeah.
episode.
Okay,
And
actually,
Imperium as a whole is
a
really intimidating.
criticism I do have is that with like the Aaron and Sora interactions, I feel like the Ninjago writers kind of didn't know if they wanted them to have like just met or be friends for like a long time.
Yeah, she did say
Yeah.
not to insult my best new friend, but like,
Yeah,
it
and there's
seems
other stuff like, oh, don't believe everything you hear about Imperium, as if it's been like 5 years and like it's just never come up. even
Yeah,
though,
because
like,
it's been.
they can see it from their window.
I want to say it's been like 3 to 5 years since the merge with what they've made it sound like, and it sounds like
I'm thinking
Aaron
5.
found Sora right after it happened.
Like I
So,
remember
like,
when the clip of them
not that
like
bad.
exploring the Crossroads came out, I thought like, oh, this is like after they've just met for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
Well,
was
she said,
shocked
"My
when I
best new
realized like,
friend."
oh, this is after like 5 years of them knowing each other.
yeah,
It like smooths itself out pretty quickly. It's not like a deal breaker for me at all because like it's still like really endearing, but
yeah.
it just
once
is a
we
bit
get
jarring
to-
for those first like 10 minutes or so. After that, I feel like they kind of figured out what they wanted to do with them.
Right.
Yeah, I can definitely get that. Yeah, overall, I also love how we had like a full 22-minute episode of Ninjago that just doesn't even focus on any of the main ninja, and it's just two
I
brand new
know,
characters,
yeah.
and like
Which makes Lloyd
And
coming
it's
in at the
still
end
so
almost more
interesting.
rewarding.
yeah, and it's still so engaging and fun, and it's just such a again, it's such a testament to just like
And then it
how
like
well written it
ends
is.
perfectly with Lloyd coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I love how cocky Lloyd is
And
at
I
the end.
just
Like,
like
I think
teared
that
up.
Yeah.
mask belongs to me. He's just so like, he's just so Lloyd.
It's perfect.
That ending, like, keep in mind, I was going in like you guys remember how like just straight up bitter I was about
Yeah.
Ninjago in like the first half of 2023. So I figured when Lloyd would show up, it'd just be kind of like, oh, I'm groaning. But I was so hyped when he showed
Yeah,
up.
and then the credits play, and it's
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That track is so amazing.
It's such a good way to just wrap it up. Yeah, this is the S tier episode. I saw chat saying a lot of A's, but I don't. Maybe I don't know what else, like how much again, like I don't know how much we're putting in S tier, but I think if we all here agree that it's S
Well,
tier, then
I mean, I
Yeah,
think it's
I-
just,
If
there's a
Dragon's
lot of
Rising
good
ends up getting
episodes,
that
so
many S
they're
tiers,
prepared for that, basically.
if it ends up getting
Yeah.
that many S tiers, it's just a testament to how much they
Yeah.
cooked.
yeah.
I think
I
part
can
2 should
understand.
also be S tier, by the way. I'm just
Part
gonna throw
two?
that out there right now.
I also agree. I think I like part.
I think I like part 2
I
better.
like part 2 vaguely more.
I like
yeah.
part 2 more than part
I
1
like part
actually.
2 more.
Mostly
Because Lloyd is so cool.
I think the main reason for me is
Yeah.
the flashback sequence.
The flashback with Kai is really awesome, and then Lloyd and any kind of fight in the present is really awesome too.
Yeah.
See, what I love about this premiere,
I
right,
rap on so
is
funny.
that they took like the pilot format for premiering the original show with like two 22-minute long episodes, and they just did it again because like, you know, we already have proof it works. The pilots like did everything they needed to do in that time frame, whilst leaving like more than enough room to like expand an actual first season off of it. And I feel like with the time frame they've kind of given these first 2 episodes, they've done like something very similar here. So I think
Yeah.
that's a really smart move.
Only instead of making it like a generic hero's journey story arc, it's just pure setup that works really well too. So it's more unique.
Yeah, because like this time they knew for sure they were getting more episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody else like Merge Part 2 more than Part 1?
I mean,
Also, dude, that matriarch
mean, I
dragon
do.
stuff.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I
just
love
that
hearing the Dead
flash
End music.
that
Same.
flashback sequence just when Lloyd's just talking about like what happened like before the merge and like right
Yeah, that
after
was
it.
sick.
It was such an interesting vibe. I just loved it. And I wish like I
Yeah.
almost wish we got more of it, but like we didn't really need more of it. I just liked it
Yeah.
so much that it would have been cool.
And I've pointed this
I
out
would love
before, but
to.
yeah.
I mean, I was just gonna say I would love if we get like maybe comics or like novels or something, just expanding more on like the gap between
The
the
immediate
merge,
aftermath.
like what happened within those following years before we meet Eren, Sora, and Merge Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See,
And I
Kevin,
pointed
was
this out
thinking
before,
something
but
very similar. What I would like, because what I find really interesting about the time skip is that because they've kind of shrouded like the events of like after crystallized before like between the merge and the end, like when the Overlord was defeated. That's like so shrouded in mystery that I just straight up like want to know what happened there now. Like I'm
Yeah.
genuinely interested in what happened after crystallized. So
Quest
I
for
think
Lost
like that,
Hours.
I mean, yeah, but like beyond that, with like the amount of side characters that like apparently went off and did their own thing between like the Overlord bitting that Geist and like when the merge happened. I think there's like insane like extended universe potential there.
Yeah.
In
I
that,
also
like,
like
yeah,
how we see Lloyd's perspective. Like we were just talking about how we got Aaron's perspective and it was they're all superheroes, and then we see Lloyd's perspective, and then it's like, yeah, this is more like what we're used to with like the ninja being like stressed out and it's all chaotic, and like
yeah.
we get the 2 sides to that. That's a nice touch.
A lot of chat saying that part 1's better.
I think
I
part
think they're about
1
as good.
has higher highs, but part 2 is more consistently good in my opinion. They're both great though.
I think
Yeah.
they're just as good as each other. I just view them as one episode.
No,
really.
it is
Yeah,
hard.
as like
Like,
as
they're
like
very,
collections
very
too.
close.
It's crazy
Yeah,
how much
they
they
are
do
very
in part
close.
2 as well.
The
Like
big thing with part 2, or yeah, you go.
I'm just so used to the like 11-minute episodes that like when I look at the merge part 2 and I see how much they actually get done in that episode, like they reintroduce the monastery, they introduce the new bounty, Like Lloyd has the whole flashback sequence. Like we see all that
Yeah.
stuff, and then after that they go all the way to like the dragon, and they have the whole fight there and the whole action sequence. It's just like so
That's
much
super cool.
happens in that one episode, and even before that they have the whole like train fight, which I always
Yeah.
like. I also just like, completely forgot about. Like they get so much done in the episode. Like the pacing is like
I mean,
so
what's kind of
good.
wild runtime
It
wise
doesn't even
is
feel
that
rushed either.
like this premiere
Yeah,
is like a quarter of the length of like a traditional Wild Brain season.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Like I literally just realized that right now. Like I have the Google tab open, like trying to figure out what a quarter of 16 is.
4 times 4 like times 4 is
Wow.
16. Yeah.
Also, I like part one, or yeah, Merge part one introduces Lloyd perfectly, and then Merge part two just does it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they continue his characterization so well.
And I like seeing Lloyd interact with like Aaron and Sora, and like just that whole action scene at the train, which is
Yeah.
very cool as well. Like just seeing
Yeah.
Lloyd just like being the ninja
Yeah.
like that we all know him to be.
It's just
So
so
we-
nice
we-
seeing like liking Lloyd again. Like he's got such like a reassuring presence to him here that I feel like was missing last season.
Yeah.
Like with like the Prime Empire and the island, like he had that quite a bit, but here it just feels like dialed up to 11, and I really enjoy
Yeah.
that about the characterization. Like you just kind of feel safe when Lloyd's there. You know, it's like he just knows his stuff. He's like really nice to everyone, and then I just really like that about his character.
Yeah, and it's clear that he's like reflected and learned from Crystallize a lot because it'll come up in the finale again too when we talk about that. But they're just like points that he highlights that are
I like-
things that he didn't learn last season, and now it's clear that he's
Yeah.
learned it since then.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like with the mid-season finale and the actual finale, you can see like how much he's
Yep.
grown since then.
Yeah,
You know, also the dude is just like so humble now. Like I'm not sure like how much of a character trait this was, honestly. I never really picked up on it before, but there's like so many points here. I've just been like, dude, this Lloyd is like so humble in this one.
yeah. I think some part of it is
He's
because
such a
everyone
noble
around
guy.
him is more like civil. Like Aaron and Sora at the start of the series were closer to civilians than Ninja, so they have like this huge hype image of him, and he's like, yeah, like I'm Lloyd.
I'm
Yeah.
just Lloyd. Yeah, when they call him Master Lloyd, he's like, no, I'm just
Yeah,
Lloyd.
I'm no
Yeah, like,
master. I'm
dude.
just...
It's not like I had 3 seasons.
And I
sitting
love
out
I
there,
love
I'm
how
just Lloyd.
he's finally, I guess this is more in the next episode, but he's finally like taking up the actual role as Master
Yeah.
Lloyd.
Yeah,
Like after Wu. Like it's not just this thing where he's like they call him Master, but he's not really because Wu is still there. And no, like he is
I-
actually like training the ninja. Like he
I
is the
wonder if-
one, like he's like the master, the leader of the monastery and everything.
I wonder if the reason he tries so hard to take it exactly after Wu is because when he tried doing his own Master Lloyd thing, it didn't really work out.
Maybe, yeah. It's just nice to see Lloyd like finally continuing like the trajectory of his character like since like Hands of Time.
It's of time, yeah.
'Cause if
Since
you think-
Yeah,
Possession,
it took a
honestly.
couple of seasons, but hey,
Like-
we're
Like
finally getting around to it.
yeah, they're finally getting around to like continuing that plot thread of Lloyd's character of him like growing into like a leader role and taking on like
Yeah, I will say-
6 years.
I will say that's
Ninja.
always bothered me. Just like how they really set that up, like right to the end of like Hands of Time finale, and then it's just like never really touched upon until now. So it's really satisfying to really see them actually utilize that story there, and actually actually try to like teach some new students and stuff. Although that goes more into the next episode, as you said.
yeah, which we should probably get
Yeah.
into. So
Yeah,
do we all agree part
as-
2 is better than part 1, or is it
I
I'm
don't know
okay
if I'd
with
say
it.
it's
Divisive.
better, but like
I would
it's like on the same tier. Definitely on the same tier.
I mean, we're
I
gonna
would
put it
put-
in S regardless, right?
Kevin, are you saying before or after part 1, Kev?
I would put it. I think part 2 is better, if I'm honest.
Part 2. Trist, are you
I'd say
pro
it's
part
better,
2?
yeah.
All right.
Just barely.
Part 2 beats out part 1 but they're both in S tier, so
Sorry, Krusty.
they're probably gonna stay right next to each other, I'd imagine.
I
Oh
mean,
my
I don't
God.
really have like a stake. I think like they're both like as good as each
Yeah,
other.
it is
So I'm-
really hard
I'm-
to differentiate them. in
As long
terms
as they're
of-
both NS, I'm not really bothered which order they are.
All right.
Yeah.
Crossroads Carnival. I have a feeling chat is not gonna rank this very highly, but personally, I think this is an A tier. Actually,
It's a peak.
yeah, never
it's
mind.
peak.
It's an A tier. I was gonna say S tier because of the Sora stuff, but it's there's better Sora stuff later. So yeah, I'd say
I don't know
A
if
tier.
I'd go as far as S tier, but yeah, A tier definitely. That
A
episode
tier.
is so good.
My only,
The scene when Lloyd stumbles into the tent with all like the images of the ninja and like that song from the Under Crystallized plays. It's so good.
yeah, the only thing with that is that there's a picture of him right there, and they're like, you look like the old guy, not the one that's right
Okay,
next to
that
us
scene
now."
was kind of awkward because it was like
Yeah,
after you think about it for a bit, it kind of makes more sense because they're like really young kids, and so they like
I
were
fit.
born
yeah.
after the
Lloyd's
like
single beard hair is what really differentiates him.
yeah.
And even then, you just kind of have stuff like that in Ninjago where it's like, yeah, that's kind of the joke.
Yeah,
Like in Crystallized, where like Sphera just like stares directly at like obviously Lloyd, and then just accuses Vangelis of being like the fake cancel member.
yeah.
How is that?
Honestly, I
just-
love those kinds
like-
of disguises in Ninjago.
Yeah.
They're obviously the most. They stand out
And
so
everyone
well,
buys
like
it.
a sore thumb, but
Yeah.
they don't suspect it.
Also, I was
It's like playing
mistaken.
a Lego game.
I was mistaken. Chat does seem to enjoy this episode as well. I just assumed,
I mean, it's
I
nice
guess
getting
Ninjago
to
YouTube
see.
isn't the same as Ninjago Twitter when it comes to general opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to see like more of Ninjago after the merge, and the Crossroads really helps to give us more of a glimpse of that, and like seeing like the communities and just like the kind of like the general vibe of Ninjago just in the post merge era. And it's really nice to see some like new character to see like some new characters here, and some we've already seen in part one, but like we get to see like Labo and Frohiki, which
Oh
are
my God,
characters that I
Labo is
really enjoy.
amazing.
I love Lobo.
Somebody in the writing
He's-
room just like cooked with Labo. Like, they
Yeah.
were like,
I
we
think
have
they
feels
this,
cooked
like-
more with Frohiki.
we have this
Lobo
design.
feels like a Gumball character. Like
It's-
just
No, he
It
looks-
does
looks-
actually.
literally
It's
looks
just
like-
funny
and I
because
think he's awesome.
he's not in the sets, so someone on the design team just like made him for just because they
Yeah,
wanted to, and then
better.
one of the writers just like came up with like his whole shtick. Like
They're
I
better
would
for
love to.
him.
I'd love to be
Michael.
like a fly on the wall to just know how his
Yeah.
creation even came to be.
Mm.
Honestly, ever since I've seen the like the first teasers of Dragons Rising, I was very interested to know the frog guy. Well, when we didn't know his name, but like I was just like, I really like this frog guy. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I like him. And then like I watch him in the episodes, I'm like, he is just
He is the best.
absolutely amusing and hilarious in just every scene that I see him in.
He's
just-
animated so well
I'm
too.
My
He's so entertaining. I just love Mr.
Frohiki is
Krusty.
just such a gift. He's great.
Frohiki's so.
He
I
is a
cried
gift to
every time I see him in
humanity.
that scene, the finale.
I love how we're building out
we
like
don't
this
deserve
kind
him.
of this new like subcast of like town members, because I feel like a lot of shows that I really love have just like you can point to like any location and be like, here's a few like people that live there, and we kind of had that in early Ninjago with like Mother Doomsday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you kind of had like a few of civilians that you could kind of point to and go like, oh, those are like their own defined characters. And now we have
Low-key,
like those
though,
kind of
he's-
joke characters now that are just like even
Frohiki's
I'd
becoming like
argue
the
even
better
better.
Dareth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's a character that kind of fits that role, like they're just kind of there to be like
Yeah.
comic relief, but also kind of like add to the world building because it kind of makes you feel like, oh, there's more like living people here than just like background NPCs.
Yeah.
Like
The one,
Yep.
the one critique I don't even know if it's a critique. The one like just interesting kind of thing I have with this episode is when the Dorama fight happens, and, like the big pup marionette comes out. The first time I
Yeah.
was watching that, I was kind of just sitting there like, what is going on? Like I'd never like it was so just like out of pocket for Ninjago, not really in a bad way, but I was just
I
like,
think it was-
dude, this is
Okay,
insane.
but
honestly, I don't think it was that out of
counter-
pocket.
I don't think it's a bad thing. looking
counterpoint,
back, it
like
was
this
just-
is Ninjago.
Like honestly, that was
Yeah,
like
but,
such
like,
that was
they're
like such a
circus-
early
they're
like
they're on a circus
Dude,
stage with a giant
there's an
wooden
episode-
marionette
that
puppet.
brought me back
That's
to
an
how I
episode
felt
in
when
the
I
first
saw like
season.
when I first watched like TikTok and I saw like the queen tree horn come out of nowhere. Like that gave me those kind of vibes. Like
That's a junkyard and like a giant like snake infected like
Man.
statue
But even
of
that
Jay
was, like, a
starts
big-
attacking them.
even that was like the snakes turn things into snakes. That's what it was. This is
Yeah,
just like,
Dorama
what
kind
is
of he
Dorama
did just kind of
doing,
bring that
bro?
out of nowhere, but I think that makes it even funnier because
It is, yeah.
Dorama
I didn't care
generally.
Drama's
for
just like
Dorama.
such an unpredictable character.
I didn't care for Dorama on my first watch, and looking back, he's getting funnier.
I
So
love Dorama.
I probably
I think-
I
even.
don't.
I
I,
think-
don't
like
care
it.
for him that
I think
much, but,
Dorama
like, he's
peaked
silly.
in
I
like
don't mind
this
him.
episode.
Yeah.
I think
It
I
was a
don't
bit
think they
downhill
needed
from that,
to.
but I still liked him.
I like how he got brought back, but I don't think they needed to like keep using him as much as they did.
They did not. He did not need to be there.
But,
but
like-
it
Yeah,
was
like,
constantly
Like, he
present.
could never show up again for the rest of this show, and I don't.
I think they
would be keen
overused
on
him a
that.
bit, especially when his like joke is so kind of like you can only do so much
One
with it,
note.
right? But
My
he just
biggest
wants to put on a
gripe with
good show.
Dorama is that he takes like 20 seconds to say his like quippy one-liner, and then nobody does anything to
Yeah.
attack him in those moments. They just sit and
And then
watch
they
him. and
attack
then
him
they
right
go, "Oh,
afterwards.
happening."
But yeah,
I was
Dorama's
just
a
like
goofy.
screaming at my screen, just like punch him or
I
something.
think he definitely peaked. in
Yeah,
that episode.
literally. I would say high B for this one, but I'm okay with A as well.
I think A.
It's so
I think
funny how
A.
they ended this episode too with like, the like Roz just coming to like be like you're
Yeah.
coming with us. That gave me like huge like
Rosin.
like if anyone's seen Monkey Kid like shadow play like at the end of that episode, it was like the exact same thing. It's
I like
Dude,
Roz and Dorama doing the Overlord and Harumi crystallized pose.
funny.
One.
It
One
kind of
thing.
just reminded me of like a MCU post-credit scene, just like I'm here to recruit you.
Inverse
funny.
Nick Fury.
It's funny.
Dude, one thing I do think is pretty funny about this episode in a later one, I can't remember which, but I know they like flash back to the giant marionette scene where he uses
Oh,
spinjitzu
yeah.
on the object, and like they play it, and it
It's
like
so dramatic and
just because they changed the filter and the music, and
Yeah.
it's like genuinely tense.
Yeah, it's like,
Like even though like I knew how that scene was gonna go because I'd already watched the episode, like that flashback was like
I remember
genuinely
that.
really
Like
tense.
they made it so dramatic. In the,
And I was like, whoa, okay, that actually was like pretty
like
serious now. I think
it's
It's
like
just
if
getting,
you
like,
if you
choked
just
out.
change the music and like the lighting, it'll just make
It's
something
so-
feel
it's
so
so
much
weird,
more.
yeah,
though, because,
yeah,
like,
Sora like almost died there, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
She
like
was, like,
she
getting
couldn't
choked
Could
out.
have
breathe.
crushed to pieces.
She was like almost crushed.
It's so weird though,
Uh.
because like when you get to that flashback, you already know what happened, but it's
Yeah.
like so like tense.
It's
watching
like
it.
Well,
yeah,
that's-
if Aaron didn't do something, that could have been quite
It should be
problematic. or-
dead.
Well,
The
that's
end
just-
of Sora.
Yeah, that might have hit him a little hard.
I like
being
that. I find that
surprised.
interesting. Like I want like how many like because before that, I doubt Aaron and Sora really got into that many situations where they were like legitimately in
Yeah.
danger. So it'd be interesting to see them touch
I mean,
on
like,
that,
the
like
worst
how
thing they
they
did
feel
before that
about
was,
that.
like, What, get chased by robots?
Yeah, they got chased by like funny little robot guys, and Sora
Yeah,
Sora
dance,
made
or
them
just a
dance
dance,
effortlessly.
Dance.
And now Sora's like the first mission they go on. Sora's like almost crushed to death
He almost like gets choked out
by
and
a
has
giant
her
like
lungs, crushed to
terrifying
pieces.
marionette puppet thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'd be
You'd
pretty
think there'd be
messed
some
up by
more
that as
trauma
well, to be
after
fair.
that, but
I mean, I think just being in any Ninjago episode, just like me actually being in there would probably traumatize me.
Lloyd's just like Lloyd's just like, don't worry, this happens all the time. It's okay. You're in Ninjago. Even if you do die, you'll come back. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're an
Oh,
Ninjago.
well then I
Yes,
can't be
especially-
worried anymore.
Especially with the departed realm being
Yeah.
in the word realms.
Oh, dude, I'll get to the Departed Realm later because I think there was a joke about
I'm
that
so
in
interested.
episode 17
Yeah,
that I want
I
to
can't
talk
wait to
about.
get the explanations. for it.
Anyway, do we go on to Beyond Madness?
we go on to Beyond
I-
Madness.
This is S tier for me.
A, I think A.
Really?
This is S tier for me, mainly because
Dang.
of Sora's stuff in this episode.
I have mine really low on my
Really,
Twitter ranking list, but it's not because I don't like it. It's just because there's so many that I like more.
I love what they did with
Yeah.
Sora. I love how this is the episode that really starts planting like the I don't know if I can like do my powers on my own. Like these might not even be my powers. And then she immediately, the first mission in this, she like almost like lets Nia die because she like loses control, and that plants like guilt in her mind for the next episode. I just love how they did that. I love how they reintroduced Nia as well. Just like one of the better character reintroductions, I think.
Kai,
She's
you're
so-
alive.
she's-
You brought
she's so
them here.
dumb.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah,
She's so dumb. She has no idea that like the core 6 ninja can't die.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like they have she's not Sora's not aware of their plot armor just yet.
Is she stupid? Doesn't she see the plot armor?
Guys,
Yeah.
I gotta reconsider
would-
my ranking.
I would put this one B because
A for me. I love
I think
this.
it drags a little bit, but it is a good episode.
Also,
I just
What
love
were
what they
those
do
like?
with
What
the
were those
crackling.
creatures called again?
The cracklings.
the Craglings.
The
Yeah,
Craglings.
Craglings.
I just
Yeah.
really liked watching the Craglings and just like just even just them like literally eating their eye just so
Yeah.
it goes back to where it belongs.
The best,
I
the
just
best
like
scene in
seeing
the
like the
episode.
Craglings and just like their way of life.
I love that they
basically.
took like some random like enemy from like Ninjago
Yeah,
season
for like
1.
2 seconds in season 1.
Yeah,
And
then
like
they just
made it into the
had a society.
like turn them into like a whole village and like
The
this whole
best scene
area.
with them is when the guy's like, "The important thing is to respect everybody
Ah,
for all of their
what is
differences."
that?
Ah, what is that
thing doing here?
It's so good. The way Kai comes back too is funny.
Kai gets abused so much in that episode. That
Yeah.
feels so bad, but it's so funny.
I love the
What I
line
love about,
where
like,
Kai's like,
that
"Hey, who are the
episode-
kids? You babysitting?"
Right.
I love that line.
Crystallize kind of put us on this like path where it's like, okay, dragons are like completely like unadulterated good, Oni,
Oh, yeah.
complete unadulterated bad, and because of that, I've like when I saw, oh yeah, episode of Craglings versus dragons, I pretty quickly thought, okay, dragons are gonna be good guys, Craglings are gonna be evil. So when we get to it and it's like the dragons are the antagonizing force, whilst these like random mud monsters from season 1 have like just as much agency as humans, I was like, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
The only thing with that I wish they did is I wish they like pointed out like, not all dragons are good, but it kind of just like it's I like that they did it, but they don't highlight it in any way, and it never comes up again in the rest of the season. So I wish there was like something said about that, but otherwise it's fine.
I think that's
I
the
mean,
thing
it's
that
fine
they could,
when they bring
could
in the
set
evil
up
7th
now.
source dragon.
I think that's something they could like just set up now, like in that episode, and then they can come back to that idea later and like build on it whenever they want to. It's just like one of
That's
those
the
things.
one big-
It's one of those things that they kind of plant in the viewer's mind, and I was like, okay, we
That's
could come back to this.
Probably the biggest gripe I have with the series is how many times they do that without saying like, this is set up, it's gonna come back later. Like, remember the crab fight when Aaron was like,
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
put that there. I never thought twice about that, and I thought like, okay, like that's it for the crab thing, and then apparently it's set up, but just
To
stuff
be
like
fair,
that.
Tris, that'll be for real. I don't know how you can view that scene and not think it's set up.
Well,
Well, 'cause,
okay,
like it's a random crab that has nothing to do
even
with
if you
anything else that's
don't though,
happening.
Yeah,
like
but dude, Aaron like looks up at the camera and he's like, "I wonder who put this mind control thing in the crab's mouth."
I could see how
I
you
think
could
at
miss
that point
that.
there were so many random things happening where I was just like, okay, this is just another random thing that
Yeah.
won't be explained right now.
I could see how you could miss that, but even if you do miss it, like
Like, I don't
Like,
see
I
what
can-
more
I can
else they could
completely
have done
get
to
it.
indicate it was set up.
I mean, I can completely get it, but like at the same time, I think if they do bring that back and it becomes like genuinely plot relevant, it's even more surprising and it's even more of a twist when you like completely forget about it. And I think
Yeah.
like depending on how they
Yeah.
do it, that could elevate it.
Yeah.
Like for when they
I
actually
think
do
that
bring
that's
it back.
not the
and it
strongest example I
comes-
could have used. The biggest example is
comes
going to be in
unexpectedly.
episode 13, but I'll wait for then before I talk
Yeah.
about it.
I can definitely I get where you're coming from though. There are definitely quite a few things. I think for me, I kind of just view them as like, oh, they're planting these things. They could come back to them. They're ideas that they don't necessarily have to follow through on, but they're allowing room for more stories, which I think is like, exciting.
Right, real quick, Ninja Man 285 in chat said, immediately knew it was set up. I've been hyped about Raz's master since May, and so my mind immediately thought of him. But wait, was Raz's master revealed before part 2? Because I thought that
didn't
was
think
like
so,
something that was
unless it
dropped
was in a
literally,
leak.
like
We-
around
No, I
the
don't think it
last
was
like
mentioned.
episodes of the season.
We didn't. I mean, we knew there was some other force at play because of the Cloud Kingdom bookworms, but we didn't know if it was Roz's master or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might have been in a leak or something though. I don't
Dude,
know.
It could have been
Benjamin
a
also
leak,
said
yeah.
destroy the interlopers. When Raz's master is revealed, I really wanted them to say destroy the interlopers.
That would
and
do
that's
okay.
how we make the connection.
And that's how
That'd be
they
so
reveal
funny.
the twist. That would be.
Yeah. that
It's
would
like
be
it's
so
stuff
good.
like that that I think is like even if you don't like fully in the moment be like, oh, this is set up for later. You hear that, like to say they do
And it's
something like that. You hear that, and
oh.
you immediately remember.
Raz's master
They don't
was
have to.
revealed in
They
a
don't have to
French
look. They don't have to
description.
look at the camera and be like, "Hey guys, this is set up for later for you to
Yeah,
like."
I think for
that-
using that
that
example, I
reveal.
might have been a little tone deaf, but there are other examples that
Yeah.
I've.
I
talk
still
about
I
later.
still understand what you mean. and yeah,
Apparently,
get into it.
Raz's master and Beatrix's sister were revealed in French descriptions back in May.
Oh, I didn't even
That's-
I didn't even know about that.
Oh,
That's
I think
wild.
I do. Yeah, I think I remember seeing something with it saying like like Beatrix isn't Roz's true master, but like he's a willing participant, or like she's a willing participant in his plan, or something like that.
I mean, like, I have no knowledge of like any of the Ninjago news cycle before like
Yeah.
August of this year because I just completely dipped. So that's
Yeah.
like
I tend
insane
to
that we
tend
knew
to
that
try and
all
avoid
along, and I just had
leaks.
no clue.
I tend to try and avoid leaks anyway, so I usually don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer just watching it in the show. I sometimes just like avoiding trailers as well. So
I wish I.
I've started
I really
avoiding
wish
trailers because they revealed way too much in
I
the part 2
wish I
marketing.
avoided the part 2 trailers.
Yeah,
Same
those
here.
were not. That was not
From the
smart
first one, I
advertising.
had a feeling that it was like, okay, maybe a bit too much. And then I kept
I
watching them,
would've-
and I kept watching them, and I was like, okay, yeah, I really should not have watched that last one.
I should have just left it at that 30-second teaser and then not gone back.
Yeah, I think next time, like whenever they start doing season 2 promo, I'm just
I
gonna,
probably won't watch it.
I won't watch. I'll watch like the first.
I
thing.
probably won't either.
I'll watch like the first thing they release because that's gonna be like the big like Twitter discourse and everything, and want to participate in that. But
Ninjago
then after that,
trending.
I'm not gonna. After that, I'm just like, nah, I'm not watching trailers anymore. I'm done. Which is a shame because
Another
they
thing
do
I
a really
like
good job
about
with those trailers sometimes.
I also like how in 4 the bounty comes back. Like the last
Oh
or
yeah.
two, a couple episodes ago, it's like, okay, Kai took the bounty, he's got that, he's going off with it. The first time we see it again, it's in flames, crashing down. Like that's just exactly what you'd expect Kai to do to the bounty.
You're be like, oh come on, Kai. I love the gag of like Aaron like using the grappling hook and Lloyd like using Spinjitzu, and then Sora has to like grab the ladder and just climb the wall. It's just such a funny visual gag.
Yeah,
All right.
I
So,
would.
do you guys think this episode's better than Crossroad Carnival?
I do.
I think
I
have
put it
it-
on the same tier.
I have it
I'd
right
say
above
A.
Crossroads Carnival on my ranking.
because if you guys are saying A, I'll compromise for A. But
I think A is a solid place for it.
I think
Yeah,
A.
I'd
it's
say,
definitely better than Crossroads for me.
yeah,
Cool.
I would put it top of A for now.
All right. Anything else to say on that episode, or shall we move on?
I'm good.
All right. Let's do Writers of Destiny. This
I
episode
really like
is
this episode, and
really
I can't remember
good.
why.
I remember.
This one is a
Okay.
banger.
This episode has like the scale of like a finale.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, I think Krusty brought that up. I was
Like, Dragon's Rising just does stuff like so much bigger and like better than like old Ninjago seasons. Like,
Yeah.
I know me and Bendo talked about this, but I'm gonna rehash it anyway. Look at like Roots, right? The final battle between Lloyd and the Overlord and Roots. Not from like a choreography perspective,
such a
because I
bad
think Roots
scene.
one absolutely clears this episode in terms of its choreography, right?
right.
But in terms of like the scale, right? Look at Lloyd versus the Overlord versus the ending fight of this episode. And this is like the 5th episode of the first season.
It's insane.
I don't even think Lloyd versus the Overlord has good choreography. It's just them flying around, like blasting each other, and like that's it. But this one is like Euphrasia sells me on the way she fights alone. Just everything she does with her powers and how they.
Yeah, like when she like
Yeah, it's
uses
so
wind
cool.
to like jerry rig like air jitsu out of spin jitsu is so cool.
I would honestly,
Yeah.
I would agree with that, Tris, because like when I look back at like the Roots fight scenes, like it's just it really is
It's
just
very
like
bad.
they fly around. Like the Overlord occasionally grabs like one and like throws them.
Yeah, or like,
It's
oh,
like-
where'd he go? Lloyd stops for like 10 seconds looking for where he went, and then he comes, oh, there you. It's just like not
And it's one of
entertaining.
Yeah,
those
but,
things
like,
where
Yeah, but like it's well animated.
it's well
is my point.
animated.
Yeah, but
But
it's not entertaining for me.
This is the thing. This is the thing. I will die on this hill forever, because I see so many people saying that like the animation in Dragon's Rising is like a step down. But I honestly think that these sequences are so much more creative and interesting and fun
That's what makes them
that even if the
still be
animation isn't as like perfectly smooth and solid, which I would argue it is
Oh, way better.
still very close. I don't think it's nearly as big of a difference as a lot of other people think. It's
When it
like
comes to-
it's just like it's done so well to the point where I'm just like I love it so much. Like Euphrasia just flying around, like the Sora mech, the way that they all like use their powers at once to close the merge quake at the end, like the
Yeah.
the effect that they put on the the eldritch monsters as they're being like put back
And it
into
helps
the
that like
birchquakes.
just the visuals, like the visual fidelity is just so much like
Yeah.
better in this season.
I think
Like the average frame in this season looks like as good as like say the shading does on like the crystallized poster.
Right.
Like you could just put this in like on a cinema screen, and I don't think it would look out of place.
Yeah, it's my dream to watch the first 2 merch episodes on a movie theater
Dude.
screen. But 2 quick things. One, as far as like people criticizing the fights go, I think it's less of the animation being too stagnant and more of the direction kind of failing sometimes, which that'll come up later. And then 2, the last thing with Roots is like when you compare that's a creature fight. Compare it to like Nia as a dragon versus Wojira, which was so much more was going on, so much more dynamic. Look at Euphrasia versus these guys. Even look at like Jay versus Unagami on Borg Tower. Like those ones all just seem so much more like gripping, I guess. Like they just like really capture me way more than the Roots one did, which
Yeah,
I like
that's
that
what-
Game Rising's
And
actually did.
I'd argue like Jay versus Unagami and especially Water Nia versus Wojira, like those are far better than any action sequence. And
Still though,
I think
still
Dragon's
the
Rising.
point I'm making is that like compare how much stuff is going on and like how intense the music is in like episode 5 of the first season versus like the series finale.
Yeah, I get what
Yeah.
you're saying. Like this
And
episode,
you can just
Yeah.
and you can just see how much like bigger the scope of Dragon's
and
Rising is.
I think I found
Yep.
myself comparing or Dragon's Rising a lot to like the original like Will film stuff, because to me it represents that more than Wild Brain.
Yeah.
So like when I look back at like Will film finales, like I think this clears some of them.
Yeah.
In terms of
Yeah,
scope, just like
definitely.
sheer scope and sheer like just creativity and just like
Also, the Moro joke is like the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time in a while that I've
Oh
just
no,
been
that joke was
laughing
gold.
so much
was
watching
so
it, like
funny.
audibly laughing.
I knew the last master.
The last
Yeah,
one.
like, you better-
Also, there's something so fitting about the new Master of Wind awakening in the Cloud
Oh
Kingdom.
my god, it's
Yeah,
perfect. I want to
true.
see Euphrasia more because I think
I love
Euphrasia
that.
has the potential for
Same.
some like really interesting stories, and the way she like uses her powers is way cooler than Moro ever was, in my opinion.
Yeah,
What
like
was-
Moro
wait.
literally just like power, like just use straightforward blasts. of
Moro
wind.
was like so
Like, that was
cool in the
unoriginal as hell.
Moro was amazing in the premiere. I don't know what happened to him
Yeah.
later on.
What's the new head writer's name? Like something Onius? What's the new master writer's name?
I don't
I
remember.
like-
can't remember. I know, like, the guy with like,
Plutonius? I
the
don't know.
beard.
Anyway, I like how he's like a perfect inverse of Fenwick, because Fenwick at first is like really nice, and then he turns on them, and then he's just like a horrible person. But then this guy, when he comes in, he seems like really snobby and stuck up, and then by the end of it, he's really understanding of Euphrasia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I like how we've been talking about this episode. We haven't even touched on like the Cloud Kingdom and how they kind of retconned it.
Oh yeah,
I
like
will
the
say
retcon.
the retcon is better, and I'll say this. I have a similar thing with the Jin episode. The way they explain things is better in this, and I prefer how it's set up. If you go back and watch the original episode, it does not hold up.
Does not line up at
It
all.
does not line up.
No.
It's
I
Like
think
there's a bit where they spill ink on a scroll
Yeah.
and it causes Gareth to have the worst day ever
they
instantaneously.
literally write like
Yeah.
so many things. Like there's literally this whole thing with like the monster chasing them, and they write like for it to like chase the other guy, and it's like there's all these things. It doesn't work. If
yeah,
I
think,
have a similar complaint with the
Well,
Jin
I think-
episode.
I think what they were going for
I
is
like-
that like everything they did get right were just like really lucky guesses.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I thought, and then I went and rewatched
So, like-
the episode,
So like
and I
in
was
that,
still
so
like,
like in that
that's
lens, it
a
also like
lot of-
barely works, but it only works if you
if you
reach
really suspend your
hard.
disbelief.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think that's like I prefer even with that. I don't
Yeah,
really.
but what we have
cons-
now is better.
I don't
so I'm
consider
really
it a
not too
huge
mad about it.
complaint because like they did improve it, and that's kind of what they had to do for like
Yeah, I
Cloud
look
Kingdom to
forward
work
to-
in modern day.
I look forward to talk about the Jin episode because I think that one still makes sense. But yeah, I think
I think
the
it
Cloud
do-
Kingdom
I'm-
one definitely.
The Jin one I've come around on a lot because when I first
Yeah.
watched it, I was like, and then I've like heard a bunch of different perspectives, but we'll get to it.
Yeah,
I
Honestly, I'm
I
kinda
did really like
similar
the
on
episode. I
that.
still do.
Honestly, I'm kind of similar on that with the Riders of Destiny, because like I remember only seeing it after like a week, or actually just a few days, of people just saying like, "Oh yeah, the way they fixed Cloud Kingdom," or that's just the general vibe I've been getting from people's reactions on this episode, and I was kind of just indifferent on it when I first watched it, but after hearing people like kind of just like explain it and go into like what they did with Cloud Kingdom, I did come around to it on rewatch.
I also think this is one of the prettiest episodes in the show.
Yeah. Oh, like I think I do have a little bit of a nitpick with Cloud Kingdom. It is like you can tell that the set for it that they built is not very big.
Yeah,
Like
but
especially
also
compared to the original Cloud Kingdom.
we've gotten confirmation that this is only a part of it though, so
Yeah.
I can get past
And
that.
I guess like I am kind of confused. Like, would this be considered the same part we saw in Possession, or is this like a completely different part of the realm?
I mean, it looks different, so
It
probably
looks
not.
pretty different.
They're like writing
so,
outside instead of inside too.
Yeah. So
I like how it like drifts around randomly though. It's not just like in one place. So there's probably
Yeah.
like a ton of Cloud Kingdom islands just scattered around Ninjago.
That's so cool.
but yeah.
Yeah. The world building in this show.
Oh, it's so good.
So good, man.
It's
so good.
so good. It literally made me go back on like all of Ninjago beforehand and be like, they were never really that good at the world building in the show. But like
Mm.
Dragon's Rising, like Ninjago, I think I
Yeah.
said this to Chris yesterday too. Like Ninjago's always been good with like its lore building, I think. And it's like
Yeah.
it's character building, but it's world building. They've never really
Was a
been
bit
that
like hands-off.
fantastic.
And not so much like Wildbrain would introduce so many new locations, but it wouldn't really like
Yeah.
establish a connection between what it has to do with what we've already seen. So it's like, okay, like we have Shintaro, which is just like randomly over here, but like it has nothing to do with anywhere
And
else.
you have no
Same
idea
thing
how
with,
that
like,
place even really runs at all. You just
Yeah,
know
so, like-
Vangelis uses like Venge Stone to fund the kingdom to the point where it creates like kind of a plot hole where it's like, okay, they can't fund the kingdom with Venge Stone anymore. How is it even still?
Yeah, like what's gonna happen?
Like Vanya's still running it fine. How does that work? Like we have no, we
Yeah.
can't
I mean,
even. begin
I
to
think
infer,
the
really.
idea was that like the geckos and months would like still mine stuff, but it's like done fairly and not like out of like slave labor.
Yeah.
Or maybe Shintarans do it. Or that's, I
But
don't know,
also
something
we don't really get
like
enough.
that.
We don't get enough about
Yeah,
that
we don't
place to
know
really
anything.
understand how that would work and how that
Yeah.
would, 'cause it's
Yeah.
it's
That's
one of
kinda
those things
funny
where it's
that-
like they do such a good job here, where you go.
That's
back
kind of
and-
funny that Harumi was just indirectly funding an entire kingdom.
Yeah,
It's just money she magics out of thin air.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, never mind. Oh, I'm not gonna get off topic. All right. Anyway, I'd put this at top of A or bottom of S.
I'd say in A.
An A. I would put this in
Yeah.
S.
I mean, I'd be okay with it if you guys
A.
wanted to put it
At
in
the
S,
very
but
least,
I
top of A.
would probably
think
say it's
A.
an A.
A.
But
The
I'd
one
be
thing I
fine with
don't like
S.
is that they confirmed that Lloyd picks his nose and eats it.
That's
Okay, I hate the worms.
Okay, I'm not-
This is going in
That's
A.
awesome. That's
the
awesome.
worm
I
is weird,
despise
yeah,
the
I forgot. I
worms.
The worms are really weird.
I
No,
absolutely despise the
Lloyd picking his
worms.
nose and eating it is so cool.
That's awesome.
Put it in
That's
S.
awesome lore.
Put it in S.
I hate the worms.
That's
in
like,
S.
that's like something he'd only do in Crystallized.
Information obtained.
Yeah, I don't like the words are just the nerd emojis. Although I do like it when I like it when Kai calls them boogers at the end of it, and Lloyd's just
Okay,
like,
that
"Stop
was
it."
fun. That's a fun way to like the joke at
Nah,
first
if-
wasn't really that funny,
Now, if in
but then they bring
if
it
in
around and
Crystallized-
it kind of made me retroactively like the joke.
Yeah.
if in Crystallized, when he was like in the cage of Hirumi, he like popped like a booger and like ate it, it'd be like it'd go up a tier. You know?
Peak.
It'd be
Yeah,
just a bit
It
better.
would be like, "This is why I brought back your dad and made him."
Yeah.
Also, I guess I should mention this, that I really just love seeing like Nia, Kai, and Lloyd just being together.
Yeah, they have
Oh,
such
yeah.
a
Seeing
great
them
dynamic.
interact, and for people who are on Ninjago Twitter, RGB siblings moments here, so I really love it.
Yeah, I love when we can actually remember that Kai and Nia are siblings.
They were so good with Kai and Nia this season, man. I'm so.
I didn't even
thankful for
mention the Kai.
The Kai. Dude, that whole first scene just of
that.
them
Not
like
even
casually
you should
riding
have.
to the Cloud Kingdom, and they're just all talking. It's just so fun. I just love the banter.
He once tried getting the Zane. It didn't go so well.
Such a good scene. I love it. So do we all agree that
Top of
it's
A?
top of A, like better than
Yeah.
better than Beyond Madness and Crossroads? I didn't even mention the Sora stuff. I have a whole video on it. You guys can go watch it later. Okay,
Okay.
let's do it.
I still have to
Return
watch
to
that, I definitely
Imperium.
will.
Return to Imperium.
That's a good
This-
episode.
I think that's an S.
This is better. This for me. This is the best episode so far, easily. And I don't know how long it's going to take for something to top it. I think I love this episode so much. Such good backstory.
I mean, I want to get into. I
Such
really
good
want
world
to get
building.
into the Imperium stuff, but like,
Just-
you know, is it okay if I can get into
yeah,
that?
yeah. Go ahead.
Because like, I feel like the best part of this episode is just like watching the flashbacks
Yeah, for sure.
of Sora and just like really, just like we're really just. This is like basically kind of like our first time just like seeing Imperium, and not just that, but just seeing it through Sora's perspective, through her childhood lens. And you know, it starts off very like innocent, just very, you know, almost cheerful in a way, like because that's how you sort of see life as a child. But like then it just slowly just starts to turn more twisted, and then you just really just, you know, by the end, just very sinister. Just learning about how Imperium's not this great place, which Sora said in the Merge Part One, and I just like really love seeing like Sora just like look up to Dr. Laro as like an idol, but like by the end, you really see Laro just being a product of just this very twisted and very cruel system here from Imperium.
Yeah. This episode reminds
I
me a
like-
lot of one of my other favorite episodes of Ninjago, Tale of Benthamar, because of just how
Yes.
unabashedly just
Yes.
it just takes its character and just like it's
Puts
just
him through
so yeah, it just puts him through. It's so like tragic and like depressing, and it just puts that character in a completely new perspective.
What sets this apart from I love Kalmar so much, but what sets this apart from him for me is that it's still like everything with Imperium, with like the civilians being brainwashed and Beatrix, it is like comically evil almost, but also it makes sense, which just makes it scary because like this stuff happens.
It's like real.
It makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. It's like an actual depiction of fascism in Ninjago.
And it's fully like fleshed out and realized. It's like you
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
you
I'm
get
gonna
all
get
these
into that a
different
lot more with-
situations
Right.
of how like Imperium
Er-
kind of like censors its citizens and like keeps them in line, and we see how Sora like goes against that norm, and is
Yeah,
like
and then as it goes,
and like
yeah.
how her going against the norm and like just being herself does nothing but just like completely aid in making Imperium stronger, and just do all the thing like just hurt more dragons and do everything that she's against.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, I'm gonna get into like more of the fascist elements of Imperium, because like that's just something I really love about this season. It's just like really analyzing and just dissecting like fascism and how much of that is rooted in like the real world. But like, you know, just like even when like the flashbacks were starting off, like, you know, just having that childhood like cheerful kind of mood to it at the start, you even notice like just like how Imperium really is just serving the Empress and just really brainwashing everyone to look up to just the Empress as the greatest person in the world, basically.
Yeah.
And how that, you know, just reminds you just like how dictators utilize propaganda to brainwash like everyone, including the children, to just look up to their leader.
Yeah, and you see all these
PJ
little
in the chat
things.
says Beatrix is President Snow and Sora is Katniss Everdeen, which gives me big "We Are All Dragons" vibes.
Wait,
Oh man,
I just-
I actually never made that connection, but now that's actually great.
that's fine. I just love how like there's all these little things, because it's like the first like major thing is like the teacher being like, "Oh, this is great, Anna, but it's not part of the curriculum, so we can't
Yeah.
stray too far from that." And then you immediately get like this little advert about like the dragon energy, and it shows like this perfect family, and like then you get like the conveyor belts and like the recreational time
Oh my
like
God,
gag,
yeah.
and it's just like
We're so lucky that she lets us spend like however
yeah, and it's just
long a
it
day
slowly just unravels just
gaming
like
on a conveyor
how
belt.
far this goes.
Yeah, and now as the season goes on, we find out more about like what happens to people that there are people that disobey this,
Mhm.
and like it started with Levo, he died, and then we see like the Imperium Teen Protection Force like they all say they have friends that went missing. Like
Yeah,
they
like little
Wait,
literally.
arrested.
Who was the first one?
Levo,
Who is Levo?
Beatrix's dad.
Yeah, the king.
Oh, right, yeah, the Empress. Who got
Yeah,
blown up.
like she just.
Oh my
The
god, it's
Emperor.
Kay. It's Kay
No
in the chat. Oh my
way!
god.
Yay!
Oh.
Thank you so much
Yay.
for the $2 donation. My personal favorite episode is the finale. Well,
That's mine
we will
too.
get to the finale.
Yo, that's
For
mine as well.
sure. Thank you so much for the
Hilarious.
donation. Hopefully the
I
stream
will
alert
say,
goes
though-
off soon.
I will say I do want to like you sort of mentioned like how the teacher was like, let's just stick to the curriculum. I for me, I kind of interpret that scene of like him just like kind of subtly like discouraging Sora from like breaking away from
Yeah.
like the system, just more like as they have like a very strict, very tight like system that they want all their citizens to follow with little room of individuality,
Mhm.
unless of course
Yeah.
it's to help serve the Empress in any
Yeah,
way. In
in
that
which
case, it's fine, as
which
we later see. But like,
yeah.
I think that's just very interesting to see that scene there.
I love the
There
chat's
we go.
making me so happy right now.
The alert went off. Thank you so much again, Kay, for the donation.
Ugh.
That's awesome. But yeah, it's just I just love how they unravel Imperium just over time, and there's all these little things, and it goes so well against like Sora's just like main character, like, and the fact that she gets like literally disowned by her own parents because she's
It's
not
just, like,
following
I-
in like
So
the
like
way.
Knowing what
comically
happens-
unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just like, and it sets her up perfectly. It sets up her conflict perfectly.
I love how just horrible her parents are, and it still makes sense. Like it's like they are comically just terrible people, but it like literally makes sense with how it's set up with the brainwashing and everything. And then what happens with them later on in the series, the way that's addressed makes me even more like proud of Sora and just happy with how they did it.
Yeah, it's like what was said earlier. It's like it's comically like evil, but at the same time real. Like there are people like that.
Yeah, and it's just scary at the end of the day.
And like the fact that we have a character grappling with like that whole thing with her parents just not even accepting her like for who she wants to be is just, and not only that, but her entire like society is against her for it, like her entire like home, because she doesn't like belong in the system that the Empress is trying to curate. It's just it's so well done. I love the story that they told with Sora, and I'll definitely get more into it when we get to that finale later on.
Yeah, like I really like the stark contrast from like the beginning of the flashbacks to the last ones, because like even though Sora does admit that she does feel very that she does struggle with loneliness, and that is like rooted with like how she has trouble with her parents. Even then, like you still get a sense like she is like still part of the community and such at the beginning, but then after she like flat out refuses Imperium's orders, like she's just immediately shunned and just
Yeah,
disconnected from everybody.
yeah.
And that's just for a child to just go through that, I mean that's that's just awful. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's real world connections to be drawn from within that, and I think that's really like special when Ninjago's able to kind of do that. Like, cause like you have like Ninjago, it's part of the reason I watch the show. It's for these in-depth characters, because it's like on the surface it's like goofy Lego show, but like when they pull stuff off like this, it's just so rewarding.
Yeah.
And it makes me remember like why I fell in love with it, like why I still watch it.
When the kids show does stuff that makes it seem like it's not a kid show is when it's
Yeah. Well, at the same time, still adding like perfectly fitted comedy and like goofy moments and just keeping it fun. It's such a intricate balance that they've struck so well.
I feel like Ninjago has finally nailed like what they want to be like tonally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like say last year, and I'm gonna mention Crystallized again.
You can't do
But
that.
like in the same episode, like we'll jump from like, oh, Harumi is like killed violently and then resurrected to become like a slave of the Overlord, and then right after there's like an MCU, and then right after there's like an MCU type like meta joke like that.
Oh my god, and
But
Lloyd
like
actually.
I feel like they've like really like well balanced the tone now.
Yeah.
Like there were
Yeah.
points in Crystallized where like they've like really starting to indicate like they're doing a great job balancing the tone, but it was also really wonky in places. I think now they've finally nailed what they want to be. Do they want to be a super serious story show, or do they want to be a dumb comedy? And I think
Yeah.
that kind of back and forth between like the Oni trilogy versus World Brain type storytelling is finally settled. Which
And
is
I like
nice.
how we can have like a Ninjago brand of like dark humor where it's like this comes up later in like the administration that I'll talk about, where it's like they have jokes that aid the comedy while at the same time like adding to the tragedy of a situation where it,
Oh,
like
you mean like the generations long line?
yeah, like I was mostly talking about like the recreational time like
Yeah.
bit as well. But oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about, Krusty. There's another bit in the administration
That one is
I was gonna
that
talk
is
about.
gold.
That
was
is
so, I
funny.
love.
There's a bit
can't wait for
there's a
that
bit in the
episode.
administration that I find so funny and so like wow, that's just I want to wait to talk about
What
it later.
what
But
bit is
Yeah, I
that?
can't wait
Because
to
I
talk
guess I'll
about
just
that
say
one.
it now because I'm just
with how long, yeah, with how long this stream's taken, I'm probably gonna have to go off and
yeah.
like half an hour to sleep.
We can.
It's like the bit where they're like they have like the realm reassignment. And
Oh no!
Wait,
I can't
Oh
remember
right.
it was the
no!
Yeah,
departed realm or the
then they
cursed
sent
realm.
no, they
It
sent
was the
the
cursed
Cloud
realm.
Kingdom
Yeah,
people.
They
the
sent
to
Cloud
Cloud
Kingdom, they're just like,
wandering
Kingdom,
oh,
remains of
I'm
the
sure
cursed
that's
realm,
their
deceased-
realm. The
the
cursed
deceased
realm.
carcass of the preeminent.
Yeah.
which is like at the
Which
bottom
is
of the
just
sea.
like it's like
Yeah.
such a good
Oh,
I love realm reassignment because it's
Those
such a
guys-
good world building thing where it's like this is
they're
interesting
like
how the
they're
administration
dead.
does this,
I
but
said,
it's
yeah,
like
they
you just
literally
Yeah,
sent
got
they're
two
teleported
innocent
out and
people to their
drowned.
death. And it's like
Ugh.
played for a joke and it's hilarious and it's dark and it's like
Oh god.
that's a joke in Ninjago. That's funny.
It makes it even worse that Jay's the one in charge of all of that and he's just
Yeah,
letting it happen.
like I love
Because he's
that.
playing video games. He doesn't care about the people dying.
It's like
Ugh.
Absolutely clueless.
it's complete comedy while also setting up the administration as just like a terrible like a kind of a big threat, you know, to be taken down
Yeah.
later. It's funny. I love how they
Also,
do stuff like that.
about pacing for the stream, it's been an hour and we're on episode 6. And so if
Yeah.
Krusty has to leave, we could try to speed things up a bit.
Yeah, we probably should.
And we've only been
Like-
talking about the flashbacks of this episode. Nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, there's
I'm
more
okay
to
with
it.
putting this at
but-
like S or A and moving on. But it's
Okay, here's the thing. Do you guys because I think this episode is better than both premiere episodes. Do you guys agree with that?
I think
I
it's on the
don't.
same level.
I'd put it with what we have
I don't
now.
know if
I'd
I would
put
say
it
it's better
between-
because like the opening action scene, I like parts of it, but there are also parts of it that I feel is kind of weird, like the camera work on like the
Yes.
opening action scene is.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, it's not.
Yeah, I
like a
wanted to point that out because
well-produced
like the one thing that's really holding it back from me putting it above the merge is just the opening action scene for me.
Right.
The
And
big
the
thing with the
ending kinda
direction is they seem
drags.
to think if they shake the camera back and forth enough, it's gonna be like nuanced, cool direction, but it just makes it look like what's going on. What are you doing?
Yeah. I'd say
I would put this before or after Writers.
but like in A tier or S tier?
Uh,
Well,
I would
guess in
say A,
tier.
but I'm okay.
I think
with
this is
S
an
if you guys
S.
want
I think this is
I
an
think
S.
it's an S.
that.
Evan, what do you
Thematically,
think?
it's an S, but the way it's presented, I'd say. Actually, no, that's not the way I meant to say.
Yeah, it's
Thematically,
like
S.
high A or
There's a whole A.
Okay, I'm gonna put this at
I
the
would say we should do an S, but I'd be able to compromise for an A.
I'm gonna put this at the top of A. And I'm gonna do a poll in the chat to see if chat thinks it's low S or high A. If that's good with everyone.
Yeah.
Start a poll.
Also, isn't this the? Like, I know this was like the first episode to tease Wildfire as well.
Yeah, tease
I think
Wildfire,
that's
but
the
she
next
didn't. She
episode,
didn't
isn't it?
appear. Well, they teased her at the very end of this episode.
Right.
She didn't appear.
Yeah, like
until-
she's like
Yeah.
like you know she shoots out the fire, but I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing her in this episode. That's why I said tease.
Yeah. She's such a good character, man.
I agree.
All right. Well, while I do that, you guys can start talking
I
about
think-
mindless beasts.
I think it's really interesting how one of the new ninja is just like a feral animal.
Yeah. We haven't even talked about Ryu. How dare we?
I love
Oh yeah,
I
no,
was
we do
just
need
waiting
to.
for like a Ryu moment to just talk about because we're just. I
I-
don't want to like. Get
I already
sidetracked.
gushed about Ryu on Krusty's stream yesterday, so I'll let you guys.
Dude, one more wildfire thing. In episode 11, when she's like, "This is impossible," it's like trying to root out armpit parasites.
That was
lost it.
disgusting, man.
I don't like that
I
joke.
loved it. That was
I don't
so
like
funny.
that joke, and in the same exact,
I
I
don't
like
like
the
that joke.
bathroom
It's like,
joke. That's
"You have
equally
what?"
gross.
I'll get to
In
see.
the
I'll get to
same-
episode 11.
Yeah,
Nah, the
yeah, yeah.
bathroom joke is funny as well.
No, the bathroom one's funny, but it's like the same level of disgusting, where she just like.
Like that's why it's funny.
I mean,
Oh my
that
God.
makes sense.
I mean, like
though. It's been a
Wildfire was
while.
literally raised in like a desert by like a
I know.
wild animal.
By a dragon and a
Like,
robot.
like of
Uh,
course she's gonna like poop on the floor and like have parasites. It's just such like a dumb idea for like a main ninja that I really love
No,
it.
it's such a stupid character, but it's such
Like-
a good character.
Like when you look at like the main six ninja, I just think, oh yeah, just like a feral animal in the body of a human. That's what we
Yeah.
need for this team.
She literally makes Kai look like a saint in every way.
He's such a good character, dude.
And
She's
it's
so
Kai.
Makes Kai
Like
look
this is Kai we're talking about.
She makes Kai look patient.
Yeah.
Mm.
Armpit. I just can't get over the armpit parasite slime.
I love
I
Mia's
just think
reaction
that's
to
so
that
funny.
too.
You have what?
Yo, what?
Say what?
What?
Yeah, I think Wildfire's introduction was really funny. I like Wildfire and Lloyd's banter.
If you don't know, how should I? Or that was
I think I said this also on
That line is so good.
on Krusty's stream yesterday. Like, I love how Lloyd is just so nice to someone, like everyone, to the point where like someone could literally be attacking him, and he's just like he's still
he's just
having like
chilling.
friendly banter.
Yeah.
It's funny. I love that.
When she's attacking him and he's like, "Wow, you have loads of potential, but like you kind of suck."
Yeah. It's like your powers are great, but your technique. Well, because like that's a whole thing about like Wildfire's whole character is that she's insanely powerful, but she's just so
like, sucks at
reckless.
using her powers.
Yeah, she's like so
Mm.
reckless and like so unwilling to like learn that she's just like she'd rather just like not even really think about it.
Wait, how much of their fight happens in Mindless Beasts?
It's like the
I
entire
think
thing
like
I
most
thought.
of it.
Oh, okay.
Because like they
Yeah, and then-
they
and then at the
resolve
end, like, they
and then
start
they
freeing
go
the
to
dragons.
they go to free the
Okay.
dragons.
I like that part. I don't love the way I like the concept of the Imperium teen thing with Eren. I don't like the execution of it. I think it's kind
Yeah,
of
that bit
boring.
was a bit
Yeah.
boring.
Okay.
That's,
The
like, the
concept behind that is
first.
so good because I love how we learn we see a group of civilians and like we see this is where the claws of Imperium, like this is where they come from, like this is how they're brought
Yeah.
about. This is how like
And
this
we-
is like the how Imperium like changes like these impressionable kids' minds to like work for them.
And we
Yeah.
don't know if they want to be the claws initially. So when we find out, it's like,
Yeah.
oh.
And I think they just spend a bit too much time on it, and
Yeah.
there's a bit
Yeah.
too many unfunny gags for me to like be
Yeah,
invested.
and it sucks that this is like Eren's biggest focus in the season, kind of more or less, but like it's not the most entertaining part of that season.
I will say the sequence at the start of this episode is one of my favorite action sequences. It's the hoverboard chase. It's like the most
Oh, yeah.
underrated but most like fun action sequence in Dragon's Rising. I love it.
Hmm.
I think it was.
Oh
done
wait,
really
this
well.
one. Wait, no. Return to the Imperium. Return to Imperium. We didn't talk about the sewer joke. The sewer joke was
Oh
funny.
yeah, that was funny.
Oh yeah, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no one will be in the
They will
sewers," and
not
they
be
just
guarded.
they just innocently smash cut to them
Yeah.
running.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I kind of want to say, the Lloyd and Wildfire fight's really funny, but the Imperium teen stuff wasn't.
I'd say we're kind of at the start of the area part 1 where it kind of like some of these episodes kind of mesh together in my mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of want to say top of C, but that seems too
Nah,
harsh.
B.
I want to say B. I want to say B
See,
because I think that-
personally, I would
Yeah,
say
I'm
this is an
honestly
A tier
fine saying
episode,
B.
but I'm
Okay, we
happy
can do
saying
B.
B.
yeah.
All right, let's do
We'll
B.
put
then.
in B and move on. I will be the danger. This is the whole Wildfire flashback, and then we get
This
the dragons
is
escaping.
good
Gotta say.
because this is what, first of all, the flashback's awesome, and second of all, it's the best fight in the show with Wildfire versus Dragon.
I wouldn't say it was the best fight, but it was
Not
really
the best, but like,
Okay,
I
just-
do like the
I'll be
fight though. I think
completely
the
honest.
direction of that fight was actually like really
yeah,
solid.
that was where I was like, oh shoot, the direction can actually be good. Awesome.
I do not remember Wildfire and Rapton having a fight like at all.
It was Wildfire riding Heatwave, and like she like blasts him with fire, and then he's like, I don't think you understand the words completely indestructible, and then she's like, I don't think you understand the word shut up, and then they have like a
Oh,
really
right,
good
And
yeah,
then they have like
one.
that awesome like few seconds of choreography. Also, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Dao, for the donation.
Yo, let's go.
Is that
Good
I'm
stuff, Dao.
completely unfamiliar with that currency.
Oh, it is though.
But thank you so much. Can't chat since I'm busy, but I love listening to you when I work on my stuff. You guys are great. Love you all lots. Also, Frohiki is best character of all time. Okay, see ya. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Oh,
Frohiki
episode
is
8
certified.
is that moment with Lloyd.
What moment?
I know that's like really vague, but
What?
That
This is
moment
Dragon's
like,
Laws
when-
interesting.
when like they're like rampaging through the city and Lloyd
Oh,
like,
the Harumi reference.
dude, you need to like stop endangering all the civilians. This is like a horrible idea.
Yeah, that's good.
That's like so good. Like one of my big beefs with the 11-minute era is that the ninja just kind of forgot like that lesson, and we just went back to like,
yeah.
oh, look at these like dramatic like fight scenes. Screw the civilians. We'll get like 1 or 2 scenes of them being saved, and that's it. But like in that scene, you really get a sense that like, oh yeah, Lloyd like really is hyper aware of like the civilian like risks now because of his whole experience of Harumi.
I think this one goes above. I would put it right behind Riders,
Really?
or maybe above Riders.
This one
No,
didn't
I'd put it
leave
right
too much.
behind
Okay,
Riders.
other than Wildfire's like introduction and some of the action, I don't think this one really left much of an impression on me.
I just like it.
I
What do we?
I
have
would
in
say
this one?
this is B tier, but higher than Mindless Beasts personally.
I just think it's so much better than Mindless Beast. It feels weird putting it there.
I don't know. Like I think it's a
Also,
lot better than Mindless
will-
And I
Beasts, but I
do-
don't think it even compares to like Crossroads Carnival. And like
Episode
like
8 introduced the
Harumi.
Woo Ghost.
Wait, what?
Episode 8 introduces the Woo Ghost.
Oh,
like,
it does. Yeah, that was the ending scene, right? It was kind
Well,
of
that was the-
finding each other.
oh, that is true. They did
Yeah.
have interesting mystery
Yeah,
stuff.
that
There
was
was
good.
cool-
And it was Kai
There was
playing.
cool plot stuff in this episode, but there's not like the character stuff that I really enjoy from a lot of this. Like there's
There
no
would've been if
there's
they had
no
Kai
really
mention
good
Cole
there's
while he was playing
like
video
this whole
games.
stretch of episodes like Sora is just kind of there, like Aaron's just kind of there, like Lloyd has a good character moment in the next episode after this. Wildfire gets a good like backstory in this one, but like there's nothing like super gripping about any of the character stuff here. I don't like. And I think that's kind
I
of
don't
why I would
think-
put
I
it in like
think-
B tier.
I just think this series is so good with making sure it gets the
Well, I
good
mean, like-
character stuff done, where like it's fun to just have a nice action episode like this.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like the whole opening of this episode of Wildfire is great
That is
Yeah.
really good.
from like a character perspective.
I remember when we first see Wildfire and like it's her like asleep, I was like, oh, it looks so cute. And then when she opens her eyes and her face is like atrociously large, I was like, oh my god.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
still want to
why,
know
just
where
watching
where
that.
she came from. Like,
Yeah, I can't wait to find out.
Me too.
She
I will
came from the
say,
Lion
like,
Chi
one
Temple.
so okay,
like-
I'll put this in A tier. But how many of you guys think it's better than Crossroads Carnival?
I think it's
It's
considerably
not better than Crossroads Carnival, if I'm honest.
I don't think
I think it's
better.
like as good for me.
All right.
See,
I will
like
say
outside
low
of the
A.
merch, pretty much all of these episodes I would put in like A tier as like about like as good as each other. I just think this season is like consistently really good. So it's very hard to rank for me. Not because like and it feels good to say that because like I'm ranking it not from like oh what's worse, but like I cannot decide what's better because all of this is so consistently like good.
Yeah. I think for me, like,
Said,
there's still episodes that I definitely think are better than others. But like it is a very consistent level of quality. But yeah, common side is I can't really remember anything about this episode other than like the Lloyd stuff.
I
which
ranked
think
it
was
really high, but I'm
fine.
kind of in the same boat.
Like I think the Lloyd stuff was
there-
fine. I don't think it was anything exceptional.
There was something I remember skimming through it when I was doing my ranking, and there was like something else that I can't remember what it was, but there was something else that made me be like, oh, this is going high. Oh, maybe it was Zane. No, because I don't like
yeah.
how Zane was.
I don't love how Zane. Okay, Zane. The way Zane
Never
was
mind,
brought
that
back,
wasn't that.
they could make that really good when they explain it, and like I'm assuming
Yeah,
season 3 or whatever.
yeah. The one
But
where I have is
when
that.
how it is currently, it is kind of underwhelming how they brought Zane back. It's a fun surprise. It's a cool twist. He kind of just
The,
come out of all the characters, like character returns. You don't like as a new viewer. What do you gather from like Zane's character when he comes back? Like, what
you
traits do
know,
you pick up on?
Other
You
than
don't really
robot.
pick up on
what I
much.
don't like about that is that he
Really
just
not much.
You're
immediately
like,
goes
this is
into
the
robot
robot
mode.
guy.
Yeah, and also like for some reason the dialogue, the filter sounds off, and he's like yelling, but everyone else is like really chill. It just doesn't like the dialogue doesn't line up with what we're seeing.
They do Zane a lot better in part 2, but
Yeah,
I think one of my biggest issues with part 1 when it first came out was like Zane's return was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah,
yeah.
Zane was just kind of written like he was in the 11-minute episodes.
Although I do like the build up to his return because Kai and Nia's interactions are really great.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the build-up is
the way
excellent.
they built up to it
And I
was
like
good.
I think
like
his
it-
like actual return scene is really good.
Yeah, the scene is
Yeah,
well done. The shot of like
like,
him in this like fog is
In the
so
darkness, in the
cool.
fog.
funny
And his
shot. I
eyes
love
light
that.
up.
With the Ice
That's a-
Emperor theme playing.
Like
That is
it's
genuinely incredible
so
stuff.
good. But like the minute he starts speaking, it's like, okay, what is happening? Why are you back?
Yeah,
What am I supposed to gather about your character? Like
yeah.
it's the robot guy, and he's doing robot things, and he's saying smart things, and he's calculating their odds of winning.
The one
Yeah.
thing that worries me is that I hope they like always had a plan for the Zane stuff because I keep asking questions like, are we gonna get an explanation for Zane? Are we gonna get a Departed Realm explanation? And the answer has always been like, yes, but not anytime soon, which means it's not gonna be next season, which means it's gonna be 2 years, and that's how long it takes to get an episode from writing to
Yeah.
the show. So I'm hoping that it's not like they're hearing these questions, they're like, oh shoot, we got to talk about this.
I think
and they actually
I'm
have
confident they
something.
have an idea for it. I'm confident that they're just
I
taking certain mysteries and they're taking a while to fully explain them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish that it was made more clear that these are going to be explained in the future. Like Zane's pod doesn't show up. It shows up again destroyed, but there's never like any like
Yeah.
what was the deal with this?
I
Where'd he come
I
from?
kind
There's
of
nothing
expected
like
it to
that
be
set it up.
resolved by the end of this season.
Yeah, I expected to figure
Yeah.
And
out
the
what was
fact
going
that
on with that in
even
this one.
next season we're probably not gonna get it means that
Yeah.
I am hyped of the prospect of being like, okay, there's still like foundational stuff that we are not gonna know for a while. Like there's still super long lasting mysteries. And I'm wondering if
just think it
season
needs to
3
be-
or 4, whenever this happens, whenever we get that explained, is gonna like kind of redefine like how we thought about like the start of the show. Because I think it's really fun when a show has like a really long lasting mystery that like when it's
Yeah.
resolved is like, okay, I can look back on the rest of the show and it's like completely like in a new way.
Yeah.
You know?
I just think it's got to be more consistently made clear that this is set up and not like this is a random thing that's
Yeah.
going to be thrown to the side because the Zane like the
But they
pod
didn't
just
set it
doesn't
up
come
like
back
that.
up. And it's
Yeah.
such a strange thing that happens and then they just ignore it completely.
Yeah, they didn't really set it up like it's gonna be that earth shattering. But it seems
Yeah.
like something that would be because like that's kind of like how did that happen? That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and it's with the other monasteries, which is clearly a big thing that they're gonna be going into.
Also, thank you
I will
again, Kay,
say-
for another $2 donation. It's like, do
Yay!
you have
Dude, we gotta-
or do any of you have Ninjago City markets? I do not.
I do.
I kind of
Tris
stopped buying
definitely
No,
does.
Ninjago.
I
I
have no
saw it in
personal
person.
space, and I am a brokey, so sadly I do
I
not.
like the markets. I like how there's a lot of empty space to actually fit as many minifigs as you want. Laffy's is peak.
I have gardens. That's about it.
Wait,
I don't
Tris,
like what?
didn't you just hide all the Skylar figures you had when I visited you in the
I
city?
hid them in the when you came to my house. I hid the Skylar figures in the docks in that little apartment in the middle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. They just all
one-
blended together because they're all connected.
The one thing I don't like about the markets is the poop chute because it goes right into the river. So
Yeah.
The
The
poop shoot is hilarious. The poop
I
shoot
built around
almost
it
made me
and
buy
made
the set.
I
won't
built
lie.
around it and made it go into a little tray instead of the river, so it doesn't
When
contaminate.
I
the waters
found out
of Ninjago City.
that set had like a fully like functioning like sewage system that just dumps all of Ninjago City's poo
There
in the
was
water,
so much
I
effort.
almost impulse bought it.
So much effort was put into that function too. It
Yeah.
doesn't even come out like in line with where it flushes. It like goes down a ramp, like moves over like 16 studs to the side, and then it drops down another. It's so just ridiculous.
A Lego
I mean,
designer
so-
like went through the effort of
Literally
like
just for
making
like
that
intricate
work.
Lego poo.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Honestly, though, you really spoiled me, Tris, because ever since I saw like your city markets and gardens just all together, I just now want to buy them all. But I don't
I
have
would
the money.
recommend it, but I'm so
And I just
thankful that I got the city because it's so it's like insanely hard to get now. The first set. Anyway,
I just don't got the room for it, you know.
what episode are we on?
Oh, the common
we're
side.
still on the
Okay.
common
Oh.
side.
In terms of this
I got
episode,
on-
I think it's a
oh.
I
high
will
B
say
tier.
though, like I will say, I do like we were talking about like the build up to like Zane's surprise cameo,
Right.
and I really like how there was like a mystical side to that for the build up,
Mhm.
which was something I did really miss in Ninjago, and it's nice to see that back in Dragons Rising a lot more.
Yeah, I love how we can just get things and be like, what the heck is that? How did that happen? And just be like, okay, that's interesting. I want to learn about that. I want to know about that. It's fun.
I do
Yeah, it's
think
nice
that
to
we
see
got
them play
too
on
much-
like that ambiguity there.
I do think we got a little too much ambiguity in terms of when you weigh it against how much was answered in this season, which I am excited to learn more, but I would have
It's like
rather
there's a
some of it
lot
was-
to learn. There's like a
Yeah.
lot.
It's a little
Yeah.
too convoluted
But
at the moment, but I'm
I,
excited for the
I I'm
future.
I'm more excited than like worried about it personally. But that could change
Yeah.
depending on how they pace season 2.
Yeah.
But I
Did we
okay,
even
do you
talk
guys
about the flashback itself?
no. I don't think it's really that notable to be honest. I don't
I think
like,
it's a good scene.
I think
a
it's
cool-
fine. I just the Lloyd stuff in this just does not. It kind of comes out of nowhere for me, and I feel like it's just like
Yeah.
it doesn't do a lot for me, unfortunately.
The animation seems like if there is such thing as Ninjago Uncanny Valley, this would be it.
Like with the young
Like
Lloyd,
the
or with
young, not even
or
his
with video
design, not
game
even his
Woo.
design though. Because like that too, but like not even Lloyd's design because I get that it's like selective memory, like he can look like that, it's fine, I don't care. But the fact that like just the way they move doesn't feel like normal Ninjago movement, which I don't know.
And like
Maybe it's
the
just
weird
me.
rain shine effect on like the characters.
The ring. Well, I think that's probably part of it for
and
the
then
visual.
and
but
the
then
fact
also
that
just-
Julian Michaels is not playing young Lloyd, and that it's like
that would have been so good.
like
That
I know
was
they
the
probably
perfect
didn't have either the
opportunity to
budget or the
bring her in.
time, or they couldn't like sign another voice actor just to come on for like one scene, but like
Yeah.
it makes that scene just for me like it's like it's weird. It's so weird. Especially when Julian Michaels like plays like Maya. And I know Maya's not in this season, but like I don't know.
Still
Yeah.
very recent though, so I get
Yeah,
what you're
still a
saying here.
recent character, so it's like I don't know. But
Yeah.
I understand why. I just if they were gonna write a scene like that, why didn't they just have it be like teenage Lloyd? Like if you can't
It
get the
is-
voice actors back for young Lloyd, then just don't write the scene with young Lloyd in mind.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of hard to imagine where in the timeline it fits in as well too, because it's like he has the gi, not old. Maybe it's between 1 and 2. I don't know why we would be in that suit, but
They do a lot of weird
Like,
stuff
oh,
where they kind of change the past.
The
a
suit
bit.
doesn't really like matter.
The
I
suit
think
doesn't
that's
matter because it's like the whole
yeah.
legacy thing.
because
It's like
because like guy can just like get changed.
yeah,
we can
and, like, most
infer
of the training is
that there was a
still the
time
same
in the
thing,
past where
so-
the legacy suits were worn that we just never saw. It's just strange
I
that
mean,
that
the
time
the
exists at
legacy
the same
suits-
time when Lloyd was still a kid.
It's weird. The legacy suits are meant to be like memory stand-ins for like anything from the pilots through to like season 2 suits within the show.
Yeah.
Apart from season 10 where they're just used as the suits. Like say they do this in the I don't know why when this came out people were like so weirded out by it given like this is just how Ninjago's been doing flashbacks for ages now. Like in Master of the Mountain
Yeah.
when we see Young Cole he has like the movie eyebrows.
yeah,
Or in like the monastery shorts. I forget what they're called. When you see flashbacks of like Lloyd and Ultra's goodbye, or like Kai and Zane fighting Serpentine, they're like in the movie designs with the legacy suits on.
Kai and Zane at least explained it, saying that Zane changed his memory to make them look "quote unquote" cooler.
Yeah, but like you
That's
you
so
can just
tough.
vaguely assume that like
Like Lloyd's
don't-
isn't a
like-
dream. It's very uncommon that I have a dream where I'm younger than I actually am.
yeah, like think like when at least for me, I find it very hard to picture myself like exactly how I was when I was young, down to the details. There'll always be like, oh, like obviously because like I know what I look like and sound like now more, I project that onto it, and that's kind of what happens in Ninjago as well.
And the only
And
reason I
obviously,
can't
the
see
meta
myself-
reason for it is that's just what they have on the store shelves at the minute. Ninjago City Markets has
Yeah.
that young Lloyd minifigure and probably the Wu because that
True.
legacy Wu shows up everywhere. But I mean, it is pretty rooted in like how like actual people operate, which I think is nice.
Also, sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt,
the
but we got
only-
another donation from Kay, another $2. I love how Lloyd's mech
That's
set
okay.
has sandals.
I also,
I also
Me
like
too. I
that.
think that is
I
sick.
enjoy that. That's a cool design decision. Thank you again for the donation. Much
Um,
appreciated.
Oh yeah, someone in chat also mentioned that this is like the first time we see Empress in the flesh. Is that true?
No, we see her
we
at the end of
see her-
episode 2.
Yeah, but this is
From
like the
episode
first
two.
time
she's-
she's like
when she
actually
does,
plays
like,
a
the
role since
maniacal-
then.
No, like in
laugh.
the flesh, like we see her, not like in like a.
No, we see her at the end of season 2 with the Source Dragon in the
At the end of
basement.
episode 2, yeah. There's a scene with her and the
Okay.
Source Dragon.
Yeah.
He's like, "Did you
Yeah.
hear that? You'll have friends here soon enough." And it just starts like,
All
maniacally
right,
laughing.
yeah, that makes
One
sense.
more thing I want to say about the flashback and like design change stuff is that the only reason I can vividly imagine myself when I was younger is because I have so many pictures and videos of it. Lloyd like didn't even have a phone, so
Yeah.
of
But
course he's
like
not
when
doing
when
it.
you don't have that on hand, it's very hard to.
Yeah, it's just a very different way of thinking.
Yeah, I don't mind how he looks in that scene. I just don't. I wish
Yeah.
they either got Julian Michaels to do it or made him teen Lloyd instead. Because I don't.
Although
think that
yeah,
would've
the voice
messed
is
up
slightly
the
weird, but it's just kind of like
timeline.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, it's not a
I mean,
huge
the-
deal.
Like
I mean,
it sounds
But it also
fine.
doesn't help
I
that
mean,
I
it-
just don't find it in it, like any of the stuff with Lloyd here like that interesting. So it's like it's kind of just like one of those scenes to me where it's like it's cool that it's there, but it doesn't really add much for me. Like I don't think any of the stuff that Lloyd like went through with the whole like find your inner peace and like the calm inside of you, like it's a cool little moral that he learns, but like I don't really know like where it came from and why we're doing it now, and like it's kind of random to me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's not a bad thing. Like it's not it's something I'm glad it's there. It's just doesn't
Yeah.
leave an impression on me. So for time's sake, I think we should decide where to rank this. What do you guys think?
Uh,
I think calm inside, I would put that in. I mean, personally for me, it's an A, but I can compromise with like a B.
I'd put it high B, honestly.
I'd put it.
Yeah,
above
I'll
them.
put it high B.
Yeah.
I'm just so you guys know, I'm gonna dip after we finish ranking part 1 because I need to sleep.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right.
Well, here we
Enjoy
go.
it.
The finale of part 1, the Battle of the Second Monastery. I think this is a really good episode, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this episode is so
This
good.
is a wonderful episode.
Like this is the okay. I mean, the Roz and Sora and Aaron fight is
sweet.
not the best.
I literally just rewatched that to prepare for this conversation, but I do not see the hate for this fight at all. It is like perfectly fine.
I
No,
don't think it's,
honestly,
I don't think
kind
it's
of
as
agree
bad as
too.
people say. I think it's going for something different than a lot of people expected from it.
Like
I think
I
the
feel
movement-
I feel like people were expecting like a super choreographed like end of season Wild Brain fight between like, ninja masters and stuff, but it's like it's more comparable to when like Luke blows up the Death Star at the end of A New Hope.
Mhm.
It's like these new characters like first like real step into doing something like
It's like Sora and
notable.
Aaron aren't
Right.
like completely competent fighters. I think the problem is that they kind of nerfed Roz so that he could be on their level.
I mean, Raz
Really
wasn't
early
really
on.
enough, I'd say. Like before Sora like uses her powers, which Raz just like wasn't prepared for at all. Like Raz was very much winning.
Well, no, he was still like being tripped over by them and like moving really slowly. And like the scene before that, he was just taking out like 3 dragons
He
at
was,
a
like,
time.
weaving
So
through
he was-
dragons
I think he
and,
was definitely nerfed. Also, my 2 big gripes are one, the direction. I'm fine with the movement, but the direction is kind of what makes it look a little too slow and like jaggedy. But then the other thing is the dialogue. Like I forget what it is, but like Aaron makes like some kind of quip, and then
Someone's got anger
He's like,
issues.
haha, no, it wasn't even that. It was like, or no, it was like the feeble gnats thing,
Yeah.
and then like it just wasn't funny. And then Sora
Feeble
was like,
gnat.
haha, nice one, and I'm like, shut up, it wasn't funny. Which like that happens all the time on Ninjago, but this was like it dialed it up to the max.
Yeah, I think it's just they wanted to go for like a more like, oh, like the
This is how
goofy
far they've
like the
come.
goofy lighthearted newcomers are taking down the bad guy, and he's getting completely embarrassed. And then Sora has a cool power up moment at the end, and I think it's like I get what they were going for,
Like make them fight like Raptor and the Claws all at once or something. Not
but like
Roz.
yeah, I just think one, it shouldn't have been Roz, because I think Roz is really cool, and the fact that he's like
Yeah.
being downplayed in order to like fit this is kind of, especially because it makes it so that he just doesn't feel as menacing. Like he doesn't feel as threatening to me as he
Yeah,
did
and then
at
for the rest of the
at the
show, he's
start of the
just in the
show.
cell.
And then he's just stuck
So
in a
like,
cell, and when he gets out, it makes it so that like I feel like that last scene would have hit a lot harder if Roz was like more competent throughout. And I know he's probably going to become more competent, become cooler in season 2. But right now I'm not super excited about Roz as much as I was.
yeah,
Like I'm not
I
as
still
excited about
am.
Roz in season 2 as I was before watching season 1. Like from the trailers, I thought Roz was gonna be like the coolest villain, but it
It's
ended
literally
up
that
being
one
like
scene.
Beatrix.
It's that single scene that drags him down because literally like him fighting the dragons was so cool.
Yeah, like he was so cool right before that. I think that's
Yeah,
my main problem with it. I don't have a problem with like how they handled it. Like I don't think that needed to be like a super big fight, like like
yeah,
choreographed and stuff. I just think it could have been a little better,
I don't,
like, and it could have been faster too. Like it didn't need to take as long as it did either.
I don't know.
Before that you have them fighting like um the scientist lady that I forget her name, Jordana or whatever.
Doctor, yeah.
Dolores.
who's
Oh, yeah,
Jordana?
Jordana, and you have that whole bit,
Who's
and it's
Jordana?
I know they're setting that up for like season 2, but
Did she
it
dye
was
her
kind of
hair?
funny. Was your hair a different color, maybe? That was funny.
I will say, when I was watching the Sora flashback for the first time, I was just noticing how there was just one person just
I know.
obviously not happy at all.
I
And I'm like,
recognize.
oh, I wonder if that'll be relevant later on. And then lo and behold, she is.
I immediately knew. The funny thing is, like, despite what I say with the joke, I immediately knew that the red-haired girl in the present was Jordana. But like, then they had the flashback, which was like what, like a minute and a half of the episode, just dedicated to her backstory. And I was like, dude, I already got this, man. Like,
Yeah,
what
I
are
get
you
it.
like?
We
Move it
got
on.
it.
Just move it on. I think I think this episode was a bit poorly paced. I will say that.
I really
Because-
don't think that Raz fight is as bad as you guys say. Like I just watched it again, and like after they trip him up, like Raz just like immediately like sends Aaron into like being unconscious. Like
I
that's
mean,
like
yeah,
like straight after they do that, he like just knocks him out in like seconds.
I don't know.
Yeah, I still
Like
just
now
think
so like now he stops like.
I
pulling
think
his
if it was,
punches, he
I
just,
think
like,
maybe if it was
annihilates them.
paced better. I think it was.
it's less of Roz not showing his like power appropriately and more of just like they're showing that Roz, somebody as cool as Roz, can be beat by these kids making horrible jokes and like jumping, flipping around like, yeah,
Yeah.
hee hee.
And they keep cutting away from it too. They cut away from it and do like the scenes with like them like running into the monastery, and then they cut back, and then they cut away again, and like it's just like whenever they cut to the Roz fight or anything that Sora and Aaron are doing, I'm just like, I don't care. Just go back to Lloyd and Zane
Yeah.
talking to the Source Dragon.
I don't know. I would really like that scene.
But like
especially the music got me
for
really
everything
hyped.
this episode gets wrong, it also has like one of the best sequences that we've had in Ninjago in a long time, and one
Yeah,
of the
that
best
Source
scenes
Dragon
in
vision is
general.
insanely good.
Just
Yeah, like I finally had the time to actually like listen to like the new Ninjago music tracks
oh
from
my
like
goodness,
Dragon's
dude, that
Rising.
track is
And like
so
when I listened
good.
to the Lloyd Vision like music for the first time, I was like, "Oh my
I
gosh,
ascended.
this is like insanity here!"
It's
And
so good.
that's just like how I felt watching that scene for the first time as well. It's just really blew my mind. It's just like it really took Ninjago to just like another level and just like where we could go here, basically. Just so many more possibilities. Just that's just sort of my general reaction, just how I felt watching that scene for the first time.
This episode's
Dude,
definitely
just
a
give us
mixed bag.
Roz versus Cole.
What's up?
Give us Roz versus
Oh,
Cole.
dude, Roz versus Cole.
Oh, that would be
Sick.
intense.
Hammer
Oh,
fight.
I think
Hammer
immediately
fight.
when that was like my first reaction when I saw Cole fight again in this season with the hammer, because like they definitely just like kind of took like his choreography with like the Ross choreography and kind of translated it, but like even cooler because Cole is like earth powers and stuff.
Cole is Cole. He's
But
cool.
we'll get to
I have
we'll get
just
to that.
been like absolutely just desperate for like an insanely choreographed like fight between Roz and Lloyd. Like
Oh yeah.
I
ever since
know.
I finished part 1, I've just been
Let 'em
like,
fight.
I need these two to have a one-on-one.
Yeah, I want like Wu versus Crystal King level choreography for when they do that.
Just any. I just
Or
want.
Oh, that
I
would
just
be
want
sick.
a. I just want a cool
Probably
That
fight
would
with
be
Roz.
absolutely
I don't care
immaculate.
who it is. I
It
just
would be
want a
so
cool fight
good,
with
but it's
Roz.
probably unrealistic to expect that at this point in their animation status.
Yeah. Even if it's like pretty much, even if it's just like season 11 choreography tier, I wouldn't mind it because like it's really good in that.
I think they could do it. I think they could do it. I think the end of the last few episodes of this season proved that like Wildbrain still got they still got it. It doesn't matter if they're in like a new engine. It doesn't matter if like like there's there are growing pains for sure. The animation isn't as smooth as it used to be, but there are still sequences where it definitely is.
Yeah,
And I
those
think
last 2 episodes especially.
and there's
proved it.
still really phenomenal action sequences, and I think just like
Last 3, I mean.
just how like
I
just
think a
the
big part of it is the
creativity
fact that they switched
is
to a
much
new
better.
engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably different, like because it's different software. I'm assuming it might be like not as easy to do. Like I'm not gonna say squash stretch because they still use that, but there might just be like a different way of doing what they used to do that they haven't quite figured
Yeah.
out yet. But they're figuring
Yeah,
it
the
out.
animators have got to
They're
like learn
basically
a
just
new like,
polishing out
program.
this like new, this new thing they have
What
going
I
on.
what I do like about how it isn't as fluid is because it kind of makes it like back in Will Film. What I liked about that is like the characters felt like very physical and not like cartoony stretchy. So when somebody
Yeah.
got punched, it was like, oh
Just
shoot, they just
grounded.
got like that hurts. Like and then when I see like Lloyd right in the claws, the impact of all the hits
Yeah.
seems way more like damn, like that got they
Like
hurt.
like when Ross throws
Yeah.
Aaron against the wall, like Krusty
Yeah,
said, like that,
Like,
because
you feel
because
that.
they don't stretch. It's like because they don't stretch as much. It's like they take more damage because it's not like they're
Yeah.
all like extendy.
Also, thank you again, K, for another $2.
It's
It's gonna
okay.
get funnier every time. Do you reckon Jay
like-
has really lost his memory?
I hope he has. But
I hope
I don't
so.
wanna,
Well,
I don't want
know.
a fully conscious Jay sending people after their deaths in the
Yeah.
assignment.
I hope he has some form of memory loss because I don't know
Yeah.
how they're gonna explain that.
I'm
plot
already
thread
not a
otherwise.
Jay fan. This would not help his case for me if he did have his memory.
I think the J episode next season is gonna be really fun. I hope. I have high hopes for it. Maybe I shouldn't, but I have high hopes. Okay, so where are we ranking this episode? I think it has really high highs, but very like mediocre lows. It's like
See, for me,
Yeah.
I'm throwing it in the S tier,
all right, S tier for
but
Krusty.
I'm okay
think-
with an A. I can compromise with A.
It's just hard. It's hard because that scene with Lloyd and the Source Dragon is so good.
Yeah,
like,
I can really see
That ending,
it
the
is
ending scene
difficult
is
to
also
rank
really
it when it has
nice.
that.
I like how it resolves too, because you have Sora and
Yeah.
she's the one. She finally gets right. She's the one to stop the Photax, and at the end of the day, she's like, "Okay, I have the like. I don't know if these powers are mine, but like I have a responsibility to use them." And she understands that now. And now it's like, where does she go from there? And I really like that, and I like how Aaron's kind of left, where he's like, "Well, it seems like you guys don't really need me anymore, because you're getting your team back together." And then Lloyd like reassures him that no, like
Yeah.
he could end up being like the best ninja out of all of them. He just has to like believe in himself more, and like he finally
Lloyd
like
being comfortable
finds.
in sleep.
He may have not have found his parents, but he found like a new family, which is like
Yeah.
which is found family trope, as is usual in Ninjago, but it's done well.
Yeah. Love to see it.
Benthamar
I would put
vibes.
this anywhere in A, depending on what you
Yeah,
guys want.
I think I'd
I
put
would
this
put
in.
an A.
I
I
put
think
this
A.
in an A. I think it's better than Crossroads Carnival. I don't know if it's better than Beyond Madness.
I think it's better than Beyond Madness.
Better than Beyond Madness.
I don't know about writers, but
Should we put it between Writers and
but
Beyond?
the dragon scene is so good though.
Yeah, but like as a whole episode, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just
Oh, we can
Hmm.
put it there just for the sake of time.
All right. All right. Here's the.
Alright, With that, I
Are
gotta
we saying?
sleep.
All
Yeah, we're
right.
saying about it.
All I'll
Thank
say
you,
before I
Krusty, for
go,
being here.
episode 11 is like amazing. Oh no, it's not. No, it's like good.
All right, we're gonna
Episode
wait for you.
12 is amazing, and the administration is goated.
The best episode, yeah, I agree. It's
Yeah,
just-
that
It's
episode
the
is so
greatest episode in the century. Let's be honest.
That episode is so
Dude, I
funny.
can't wait for
good.
that.
Unironically, the administration is like one of the best
I
Ninjago
think-
episodes we've had in like years.
No, the administration is legitimately my favorite episode in the season.
Absolutely
I'll stand by
goated
that.
stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
It's funny
I would
because
argue
Sora,
the final 4 episodes of Dragon's Rising are all S tier.
Sora's my favorite part of Dragon's Rising, but my favorite episode doesn't even have her in it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Alright, I gotta go sleep now. Good night,
Alright.
everyone.
Thank you for
Yeah,
being here,
Krusty.
Krusty. Everyone say bye to Krusty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest.
Enjoy sleeping.
Okay, so now
Like,
that he's
it's
gone, I
something
think
we
the
all can
episode. Now that Krusty's gone, I think episode 11 is like low C
This
tier.
is the worst
Not a D
episode
tier.
of the season, in my
This
opinion.
was really bad.
I don't
I
like
really
this
didn't like
episode.
it.
I don't like this episode.
Oh wait, really?
I don't like this episode at all. I think this is by far
Uh,
the worst in the season.
We've talked about how contrived the Lloyd cleaning objects belong in their proper place thing is.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
already talked about that in the past, so I feel like we don't need to touch upon
When
it
did we
again.
talk
But
about that?
I
when
don't
were
know.
we talking about that?
I remember us agreeing that it was very contrived. I don't remember when.
Must have been a Twitter thread.
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
it was
it
probably a
wasn't.
Twitter thread.
Because I don't think we've
remember you
talked
guys
since
talking about
part
it.
2 came out.
It might not
Oh.
have been with. I don't know. I
Oh,
talked
it
with
was probably
some
in the
people,
Discord
but-
chat.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, I would say
yeah,
low
I don't
C
like
at
this
the
episode.
absolute highest. I also don't like the intro with the old people just because I like everybody who knows my Twitter knows that I can't stand annoyingly high pitched voices.
I don't mind it. I think it was a bit overdone,
mean,
but I kind of.
I think-
Goofy.
I
Also,
mean, I don't.
that-
I think it's just fine, but at the same time, it's just like I don't know. It's just like some of the dialogue. I'm just like
yeah, I thought the
little
dog was
on
too
the
easy.
nose with like the ninja are missing, and it's just
Yeah, even though they're
it's
not.
a little too. I just think the exchange is just a little too goofy and not in like
Yeah.
a fun way. It's just like eh.
Out of all the things to
initial-
criticize with this episode, I do not mind the opening. I think the opening's fine.
I think it's funny when the guy jokes about the ninja being missing and like, oh, it was worth it, and then they're just like, dude, what? That was funny, but everything
Yeah.
else with the dialogue with like the food and stuff was just way too cheesy for me to enjoy it.
I think okay, my main issues with this episode are the dialogue and the plot setup for the rest of the season. I think that this is like not to exaggerate, I think this is the weakest plot setup out of any Ninjago season.
Yeah,
Like in
I
terms
also
of like
really don't
this 10 episodes.
Yeah.
I know it's not like the
I've-
plot setup for the whole thing because it's like part 2, but I think it's incredibly weak. And later
All it-
episodes do not help its case.
all it introduces that's relevant is the existence of the course, and it doesn't even introduce their
And
existence.
it doesn't
'cause we
even, it
don't-
just says that they exist, and then they already
Yeah.
know, okay, there's 3 of them. I hope you knew about the sets.
Yeah, and then like the story with the spirit, the dialogue's cut really awkwardly. It doesn't feel like it's natural. It feels like it's multiple recordings cut together. And then I'm not even gonna go into
Like-
why I don't like First Ninjutsu Master creating other realms, but I don't like that.
I don't,
that
okay,
much.
the lore itself, I'm fine with. I don't care. I just, the dragon orbs, I don't care about the dragon orbs. I don't mind fetch quests in Ninjago. My favorite season, Seabound, is a fetch quest plot.
Right.
But what I like about the older
that sounds
fetch
like
quests,
more
like the
than-
masks and stuff, and the storm amulets and the fang blades, they feel like they were actually put in the world with purpose. Like the storm amulets were given from the first Ninjutsu Master, just like the orbs, but they were given to very specific people because they both helped fight to defeat Wojir in the first place. And like both are very well guarded and put in places that are hard to get to because they're like they have entire armies surrounding them that have been protecting them for like generations and stuff. Like the masks are like tied to like essential lore of like the Oni warlords. Like
Yeah.
these things are well defined. The fang blades are all put in places that like Pythor had to combine all the tribes to like even get a map to find them, and then after that like they were all hidden in very particular like places. Like in the past, of course, like later it was kind of goofy, like, oh, this one's under a theme park now, but like
Mm.
you know, when they buried that obviously wasn't there. But it's like
Even-
in Dragon's Rising, it's just like the orbs are in random places. We don't know like where they really came from. And then
And
it's
they're
just
all-
like and it's just like, okay, where do we need the ninja to go for this plot to work? All right, let's put
The
the dragon
course-
orb there.
the
Well,
cores all
let's put it right
exactly
there.
the same
Maybe right
too.
there for good measure.
the cores all being exactly the same as each other is another. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's not. I can understand like why they're the same. It makes sense that they are, but also just when you compare it to other fetch quests, like the Oni masks, like we had the Mask of Hatred, which was like Harumi got it and it tied in with her hatred for Lloyd. The Mask of
Yeah.
Deception it could be like Harumi deceiving the ninja. Mask of Vengeance, Mr. E got it and just used it for the rest of the season. Like it was just so like well integrated into the plot and themes, and these ones are just like random artifacts, nothing
Yeah.
unique about them. They're just in random spots.
They're just wherever the ninja need to go for the plot to advance.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we
And
need a dragon
also-
orb here so that like they can go to this temple and then end up finding a djinn.
Let me see what chat thinks about this episode.
It's like, oh,
Oh,
let's put this here so they go to the
Dawo
wilderness.
mentioned was just crying about the switch up. We were
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny.
We immediately
I
were
will
like, yes.
I will say, like, this is also my least favorite episode of the season, and you know that lore scene, like with the spirit and stuff. Like, I remember watching that again, like earlier this week, and just like paying attention to it and stuff. And I was just like, if I'm honest, that scene was just a little uninspired for me.
Yeah.
And
'Cause
I
none of
just
it's relevant.
the information just like the way he's just like, oh, I'm gonna tell you a story. Oh, how convenient! This is exactly what they need. It's just like it was
Yeah.
just very convenient. Just
We don't even know who that
wasn't very
spirit
natural.
is. We don't even know
Yeah,
who
the
the
spirit
spirit
there's
is. That feels
and
like
the
that should be
spirit was
part of it.
another thing that like jumped onto the dog pile of contrivances in this episode. But like there's like the Lloyd thing that didn't really like fit in for me, and then there's the spirit. Like I was divided by the merge and it made me angry. Like okay, but
Oh.
like that's really random. What?
Also makes me wonder, like, is a spirit and a ghost different? Because they never call
Yeah,
him a
I was.
ghost,
Oh no,
and he can't be
the
hurt
flight
by
made me
water.
so upset because I was like, why didn't Nia use her
Can't be
powers
hurt
on
by
the
water.
ghost?
I mean, she did spin jutsu, so you'd think that would work, and it didn't. So it's like
The
they're not. I guess spirits and ghosts are different things.
but the whole thing
Even
with
though they
ghosts
played
is
the
that-
like
Yeah, they
possession
play the
music.
possession music, and then they do it again for the curses, like the cursed guys in like the Jin episode. And it's
yeah.
like, okay, so now we have like 3 tiers of spooky like afterlife being.
Yeah.
We have ghost,
think
we have
the
spirit,
Howlers-
and we have curse.
I don't think water would have worked on the Howlers, but I think
Yeah.
it definitely would have worked on the spirit. But
You
they
think
didn't
it
do
should, but like they never say it's a ghost.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
like
like,
obviously they don't want to destroy it because they need it for the lore explanation, but they should at least like have Nia try to use it just to show that she's not stupid.
yeah. But
Yeah, and it's just honestly, I do feel like the episode when it wants to slow down, it just feels like more a distraction until they're like ready to be like, all right, let's go back to the fun.
Oh, speaking of slow, the scene where Zane's like analyzing the door
Dude,
and he
that
like
was-
spends like an hour doing it, and then all they had to do was just pull the 3 levers. Are you kidding
and not
me?
that
The
scene
more I
is
think
just,
about it, the more I'm baffled by that because I'm just like, they all could have just done it 3 at the
Literally,
same
like
time.
how does
Like,
Zane
it's
not
not
figure that out?
calculate that,
It's like
and
the
it just
easiest
wastes their time
solution.
in that middle.
It's the easiest
so
solution. Zane doesn't figure it
stupid.
out. And the way that they describe the solution is from information that they do not know, that nobody, like, oh yeah, 3
Yeah.
people for 3 dragon cores.
Yeah, they didn't know there were 3
That-
dragon cores.
When
Well,
did you learn?
15.
You only learned there
I
were
don't think
3.
so.
After, like, you were given the exposition after. Like, do you have like the ability to read the future, Aaron? Are
Yeah,
you an
the only thing that I
are you an Aaron from a different show?
That's his
Oh, we will
elemental
not.
power.
We will not.
He is the master of the
Yeah, sorry.
prophecy.
The only thing out of that sequence that I do like is that Nia and Sora like fall asleep leaning on each other, which was cute. But other than that, it was just so stupid.
It was a fun scene. It was like fun. It was funny. It was a funny gag. But the fact that the gag got immediately undercut for like, oh wait, yeah, Zane is just stupid.
Yeah, Zane's-
Like,
oh my God.
it would have been funnier
was
if the solution
fun.
was actually like difficult, or like if they actually just ended up breaking the door down instead. Like I
Yeah.
genuinely would have preferred if Kind Wildfire just broke down the door
Same.
after
Yeah,
that.
that would've been
They
fun.
just got
I
impatient.
will
It was-
say, I will also say, like going back to like the, you know, like the issues with like Lloyd's little thing in this episode, it's just like he was just constantly ignoring Zane.
Yeah, that too was
And it's
weird.
just like that felt
Oh,
that just
yeah.
felt
That didn't
contrived.
feel
Just
right.
like
Yeah.
he's like he's
Well,
like saying, "Hey, I have very critical, important information that you need to know right now."
and
He's
Lloyd
Zane's
just
like,
saying
doesn't
this
care.
crystal
"No."
clear,
I hate-
and Lloyd is doing everything in his power just to ignore him.
Dude, I
just- they
wanted
just
to, I want
randomly-
to punch Lloyd in the face every time I watch the scene where he's like, Zane, did you just bring us down here to say this? Because I have plants to water. And it's just like, Lloyd,
Yeah,
for
they
2
just randomly
seconds, like,
gave-
they just turned him into such like a neat freak, and like he needs to get everything done and he feels so pressured. It's like, you guys are chilling at the monastery. It's fine.
they just kind of gave him like extreme OCD to the point where they're in the middle of a heated battle and Lloyd's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fix this altar. It probably does nothing, but like it's making me crazy, man. I gotta fix it. It doesn't look
Yeah.
right. We gotta fix it, man." There's nothing that would have suggested
I
that would
think-
have fixed anything.
Like, it's not
And he
complete
just, like-
mischaracterization. It's just like, I don't know. It feels off. It
I
doesn't
don't,
feel right.
I
It
don't
feels
think
contrived.
it's mischaracterization. It just doesn't
just
fit into
contrived.
the other
Yeah.
characterization.
It's contrived.
It's literally-
They made Lloyd act this way just so that they could get the plot to like move in the way, and that's what I've noticed in this
They
episode a
wanted to
lot.
slow it down. They didn't want us to get to it
Like,
that quickly.
this
They were like,
episode
"You know
in
what? Let's
general-
slow things down."
It's just contrived setup all the way through.
Yeah.
Everything feels
Yeah, like the more
forced.
I think about this episode, especially after this conversation, the more this episode just gets just a little
And
worse.
don't worry,
I don't
chat,
think
this
it'll
is
be
probably-
bad, but it's just like it's
Yeah.
just not as good as the
That's
other
bad.
episodes.
Don't
I
worry,
would
chat.
say
This is
D tier,
probably
honestly.
the most negative we'll be about Dragons Rising. I'd say.
It's not my least favorite episode.
Really?
I'll say that.
This is
But
my
I know
least
that
favorite
I
episode.
know Kevin at least likes my least favorite, so it won't be all
Okay,
negativity
well,
for
this
me.
is the most unanimously
the
negative we'll
balance.
be. This is the most unanimously negative we'll be about an episode, probably.
Yeah,
So
I would say D tier for this one.
yeah, I'd probably agree. D tier. It might seem
D
a bit
tier.
harsh, but I mean,
Mm,
I'd
Yeah,
argue.
it's-
I feel like C tier.
Yeah,
but like,
I feel like C tier,
Yeah.
depending on how, because I don't know what else we would.
Well, because
I would
C
put
tier
it
in
at,
my
like,
mind is like C tier is
like-
like I can sit through it and watch it. This is like I just don't even enjoy it.
Yeah, that was like the only episode in the season where I'm just like, I don't like it. Like, I don't want to watch it.
it's gonna be so funny. Just like people just look at our tier list and they're just like, "Wait, why is there?" An
I do think
episode
D is a
in
bit
C?"
harsh, but I'll take it just cause.
I can't wait for Krusty to wake up and look at it and be like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
like, what did I miss? He's gonna hear this conversation and just be like, what are they saying?
Mm.
Anyway, Gangs of the Sea. I like this episode a lot, actually.
I like it.
Hydro Whippers. let's
Hydro Whipper,
go.
Gang Rise.
Hydro Whipper
This
Nation,
is for you,
baby.
Tim.
Big day,
This
guys.
is for you, Tim. Doing something
We got
else right now.
we got Hydro Whipper lore in this episode.
We did.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say the one big negative that okay, so one big negative and then one small thing that's back to what I said earlier. The big negative is that Aaron's object spinjitzu training, he doesn't seem to realize that every time he does it successfully, he just does spinjitzu and then it sends it into the object, and every time he fails, he doesn't actually do spinjitzu first. And like I'm okay with it being like that's not it. He doesn't have to do spinjitzu, and that'll always make it work. But at least like have him try to throw it while doing spinjitzu just to show that like it's something more. Because he just from right now it just seems like he doesn't make the connection that
Well,
if he does normal spinjitzu, it does it for the object.
that's the thing. I kind of enjoy that though, because it kind of
But if
makes
that is the
it makes him
reason-
learn. Like his experience of learning it feels more realistic to me because he doesn't get it right away. Like he doesn't understand
But
the
if
connection
that's
right away.
no, I like that he doesn't understand it, but at least like if the reason for why he can't do it is because he doesn't realize that he has to do spinjitzu to throw it, that would just be so like just stupid for
I mean,
lack of a better term.
It feels like that does seem like an obvious thing that he should
Like
understand.
the fact
but,
I picked up on that the second I watched the thing, and like
I
he's the
did
one doing
too, but
pick up-
I think it's interesting that like he's kind of new to it, the whole thing. And
yeah.
he's like,
I rather
I
than
get what
make
you
it
mean,
clear that
though.
it's an emotional thing that's holding him back, and not
I do
just
like
he doesn't-
how he didn't use it in this episode. I
Yeah,
like how they saved it for the finale.
Yeah.
I wish he
Yeah, it wasn't
tried
rewarding.
more. Because like he didn't even try to like throw it. Because I thought he was gonna throw it at like the
Mm.
tooth, and that's what would.
I
knock
also
it off.
wish he had more character arc stuff besides learning
Yeah,
objects.
I
and
think
stuff,
Aaron-
but-
Yeah, because like after this episode, we don't get much character stuff with Aaron until like
yeah,
the last episode,
I see
which
a
is
lot of
which is a bit disappointing.
I see a lot of people like being very like having Aaron and Sora very like neck and neck, like very close ranking, and like they're both like equally really good protagonists. I don't know. I kind of think Sora like is way better.
Sora-
And it's
I
not
don't
even,
think
and I
Aaron's-
don't even
let's
think
be
it's a
honest.
competition. Not
It's-
not to throw shade on Aaron. I think his focus is coming, but like Sora is just such a like good protagonist. Not even just like in Dragon's Rising, just in Ninjago as a whole. I think she's just a
Yeah,
revolutionary character for the show in general.
it's not really Aaron's fault. It's more just the plot chooses to
Yeah.
focus more on Sora, which is fine, but it
And I think
hinders Aaron
Sora's story in general is just way more
yeah.
way more
Well, I think it's like
ambitious.
Yeah, actually, yeah. With what has already happened to them, Sora's backstory is much more interesting.
And the way that they just tell it, like they resolve her arc and everything. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do with Aaron in the future, but I don't see how they top that. Like I don't see how they top
Yeah.
that.
It worries me. I'm not going to spoil the leaks for if anybody in the chat hasn't seen them and doesn't want to know, but I don't see how they can tie in Aaron to the themes of season 2 that we've seemed to be getting. So that also kind of worries me, but I have hope.
There's a chance they don't even focus on Aaron in season 2. It might be like
I know,
Wildfire
yeah,
or
which
something.
would be
Yeah,
very
Which
bad
would
decision
kind
of
of
the
yeah.
team,
would be
I
unfortunate.
think that would be. I think they should be focusing mainly on the two
but
main
just
leads,
would
and
not
I'm
be a good
fine.
decision.
I'm fine with this season being Sora's season, which is funny because they were like, "Oh, we're not doing focus seasons anymore." This definitely does kind of feel like a Sora season, but like
Yeah.
more so in like the old Ninjago focus season thing, where it was like, "Oh yeah, this season has heavy focus for this character, but there's still a bunch of other characters getting like screen time, and it's not just all about them." Like unlike Wild Brain, where it was like, "Oh yeah, this is a focus season for Cole." You could definitely tell. Like, oh, this is
Yeah, it
this
was
is Nia
just- it was
season. It's
just
so in the
Cole's
forefront.
the standout character.
Yeah, but it's like it's more like in old Ninjago when we had focus seasons, where it was like you could argue it's not even a focus season, but you could also argue it is. It's like okay, yeah, I feel like Sora's definitely like the lead.
Yeah.
I will
I
say like,
remember
for this
yeah,
like for this episode, I think it is kind of refreshing to be in like a sea setting for most of this episode here, because like even though we did have like Seabound, it is still something very new. So it is nice to have that and makes this episode refreshing. And it's also very fitting that they brought in the Hydro Whippers it as like kind of like as like the antagonist for like this episode, just being being the main obstacle here. And it was nice to just it was really nice to just have them be here. Although I will say, I feel like I didn't really. The farmers were just like I'm just indifferent to like the farmers that they helped. I kind of would have liked if they had like more kind of like something unique, like traits or anything to make them just stand out even a little.
the
'Cause they-
heroes. Yeah.
Because like with like the other like when the other ninja are like going to like different parts of the world and stuff, and they're like meeting these like new people, civilizations, etc. Like they do have some qualities that make them stand out. But like these farmers are just like they're just
I think the most interesting thing was the non-binary one. That was really cool, but otherwise there wasn't anything really special going on because I think the heroes teaching the civilians how to fight and defend their like that whole trope, not even just in Ninjago, so I feel it feels kind of unfair to criticize it for this, but just in like Star Wars, Ninjago, any kind of media, that trope is so overused to the point where like I just don't really care for it anymore. And it's not the fault of this season because like obviously it wasn't really used before, but just like other stuff kind of makes me be like, whatever, which doesn't feel fair, but still. But then
I mean, even with
the other-
that, they go through it very quickly as well. Like they meet the farmers and
yeah,
they're like, "We're gonna train you," and then like literally like within like 2 minutes, they're like already heading back to like
it's
the place and fighting
literally
basically.
it is literally the Neverrealm training scene, just with a slightly like worse soundtrack because they took out some tracks from the Neverrealm one and like put a half-assed overture over it instead. And then also like it just was like the Neverrealm sequence seemed like a lot more like pretty and captivating, and it was just way more atmospheric. Where this one was kind of just random.
Yeah, it was just kind of like more generic, I guess. Like at least with like my point of view on like the farmers.
Yeah,
I
and
And
then
like
the other
like honestly, the Hydro Whippers are like what makes this episode more interesting for me.
I
two
mean,
Like
things about
especially with like that twist, like that the leader was actually not the leader,
that
or
was
like
one of my
he
things.
was
I
like
really
he
liked
was
that
actually
twist.
being controlled by the crab,
Yeah,
and I
that
was
was
like,
fun.
oh, that's actually
That's actually quite a twist. I like it.
You know, like I love it when series like when like shows have twists like that aren't like a big like game change. They don't put all their money into like having the big season scale game changing twists, and they still like work in like small twists into smaller scale fights because that just makes them a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
But then the other thing with the crab, I've thought back on because I was like my argument from before sounded really bad. It wasn't the setup thing that I didn't like. It was the fact that Aaron looked at the tooth and was like, somebody must have put that there, as if it's impossible for some Ninjago creature to just like naturally have abilities like that or naturally like have a weird design like that. That just felt like it seemed a
Yeah.
little convenient
I
that he
could get
just
that.
immediately discerned that somebody like put
Yeah.
the tooth.
Because
there
if
and
he
it
didn't
wasn't
say that, then I wouldn't have even thought that could have
yeah,
been a
like I thought
possibility.
I thought it was just how it looked. Like it doesn't look like a
I think. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is like a new creature that we're just seeing. So like,
yeah,
it
like
wasn't really out of the possibility that it was
Which
just a
would
really
not
weird
question it.
feature that had like a
It's
specialized purpose, like most creatures do, or they have like
Yeah.
strange like features about them that they need
that,
to like survive and hunt and stuff.
that contrivance was my real issue with it.
Which, by the way, they popped off with the design for that like crab monster thing. I don't know why.
Oh, that was sick.
Whenever Ninjago designs like sea creatures, they just do such a good job.
Yeah.
But maybe that's my bias speaking.
Also, I really like the brief little like chase with like Lloyd and like the like the controlled leader
Dude,
basically.
there's like four
Oh.
seconds of Lloyd and the leader fighting on the bridge. That's like one of my favorite fights in Dragons Rising, just because it's like an actual fight.
Yeah, it was like hand-to-hand combat. And it's like,
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
that
it was
pretty
actually like pretty brief from in comparison to like a lot of the other fights, but I still found it so memorable and entertaining.
Yeah, that was just cool. And it was cool to see a Hydra Whipper having a good fight like that.
cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I do kind of wish we didn't see it in the trailer a bit, but it doesn't matter. It was still a cool fight. So
I think this is just like a feel-good, like fun episode that kind of just lacks a bit of like the character work that I like so much about some of the earlier, more episodic feeling
Yeah.
ones. Like Aaron's whole thing here just doesn't feel that compelling to me
Yeah.
as compared to like
Mhm.
Sora's self-doubt and guilt from before.
And the fact that this is kind of the only season-wide arc he has doesn't help either because they
Yeah,
already
it's
kind
like
of
once we
Yeah.
go back to like what Sora is doing, it gets infinitely more interesting.
it's like, yo.
It's like that's the character stuff I love to see. It's just like here with Aaron, even with Wildfire in the next episode, I think is far better than what they did with Aaron in this one. I would rank
Yeah, I
this
agree.
one a
Above.
B tier.
I'd say
I'd say
B above Mindless Beast, but behind Common
Common
Side.
side. All right.
I would put it personally as like kind of like the lowest in B for me.
Lowest in B.
I do think it's better than Mindless Beast because
Yeah,
I wasn't
I'd
really
probably have
bored
to
watching
agree.
this.
It's better than
I
Mindless
was just
Beast.
underwhelmed. Mindless
It's better
Beast, I was kind of
paced.
bored
It's way
with.
better paced.
Yeah.
There's nothing that drags in it. I don't think really.
Yeah, I
Wildly
think the
in
base is good. It's just like, it's just like I feel like just like the Hydra Whipper and Crab stuff is just like what I found interesting about this episode. And aside from that though, and I guess I do like Lloyd, Aaron, like their training and stuff, and like even the little like that moment during like the training where like Aaron like reminisce on like that one scene in episode 3, like where Sora's nearly crushed to death. Like I think aside from that stuff there, I'm not really that interested in everything
Yeah.
else.
Wildly
All right.
inappropriate.
Wildly inappropriate. I like this.
This
episode.
is my least favorite
This
episode
is
in the show.
you like the okay.
Hmm.
This I think this is an episode that's worse than this one, but not as bad as Temple. I think They Call It Doom is probably like this episode, but like worse in my opinion.
I'll get to that when we talk
Because
to it.
They Call It Doom has so much of what this episode already does. It's like most of They Call It Doom's runtime is spent on Kai and Wildfire just having the same banter that they did better in this episode, and I think this episode did it pretty well.
I think They Call It Doom is funnier. Actually, I'm just going to talk about They Call It Doom when we get to that instead.
Yeah.
But this one, the big things for me are, I think the lava tides are annoying. High-pitched voices, we've already talked about
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
And
that makes
That's
I'm
like
so
brutal
like
for you.
disinterested in that to the point where like once Dorama comes in, who's like the most nothing character. He's funny, but he's the most nothing character in the show. I'm just like, dude, are you like what? And then the other thing is the Zane competition. It's fun, it's funny, there's some good gags, but all it does is highlight what the issues with Zane's character are, which is that he's just become a robot. He's not really the same Zane. And he points this out at the end when he talks to Frohoki, and Frohoki's like, maybe like, or even Gulch is like, maybe the real Zane couldn't even live up to it, which like, it's cool that they're pointing it out and like making it known that like, yeah, Zane's not the same as what he's used to been. But if they just leave it there and play it off as a gag, and not do anything with it, it would just be like the equivalent of when Lloyd and Pythor are in Crystallized, and Pythor is like, you ruined a one-on-one moment. Like, yeah, you made a joke out of it, but that doesn't excuse the fact that they ruined the moment. We didn't get it. So I just like, if they take that arc somewhere with Zane for him like kind of rediscovering himself and like fixing his character basically, that would be really cool. But if they don't, I just leave it at this gag, that'd be really disappointing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I really like the Zane Day stuff. I think it was really funny. Like, I think it was just enjoyable. It was one of those things where it's just like, yeah, this doesn't like matter towards the plot really at all. And yes, I wish Zane got more like development rather than like jokes. But like, this is the funniest and most creative I think they've done like a funny Zane side plot TM. Like,
Yeah, I do wish it was kind of more like more genuinely funny than like the cheesy stuff, because the funny stuff was really funny, but then like
yeah,
the announcer was just like really
yeah. But like, I think it was good, and I
I
just
mean, it is a little frustrating just seeing just everyone just treat Zane like shit in that like
yeah.
competition. Like literally everything he does just fail. Everyone else gets higher grades than him. That I mean, but that is kind of funny. Just
But
like
it's kind of
being frustrated
the
as
comedy
well.
within that, I think, is.
yeah.
And we get more Frohickey as well, which I can't really be opposed to that. Like
He was
always
fine.
fun to be around.
And we
My
get more
And I do
biggest-
cross.
like
We get like
I
more
do like the moments he has
Crossroads
with Zane.
world building.
Yeah, my
that.
biggest thing with it is just how disinterested I was in the kind of wildfire plot, because I like
Yeah.
I don't need to see an entire episode of them cleaning up stuff that Wildfire
think-
did. Like that's
So I think like in terms of the Zane Day stuff, I'll say this before moving on to like the wildfire plot.
Yeah.
It was really fun on the first watch, and I kind of loved it for that. Rewatching it is a bit of a slog. It's
Yeah,
because it's
I
it's
can
not
see
as
that.
really funny as you already know what's gonna happen, and it's the same
Yeah.
joke 3 times in a row. So it's like I could definitely see that. I think with the Wildfire and Kai stuff, I love their dynamic. I love what they do with the two. I'm not a fan of the Lava Tides, and I just the Lava Tide Village as a location is one of the few instances in Dragon's Rising where they go to a place and they just don't do any world building on it at all. You don't get any
Yeah.
explanation of how it works. Like, it's just such a bland location, not only visually, but just in terms of its like substance. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's no standout characters there. Like, even
The
like
one
the little like tribe of like snail people that we see later is far more interesting than the lava
Right,
tides.
right.
And it just makes it a bit boring because it's like everywhere else is so well like discovered and like explored, and like even like the last episode we got like the village, and like yeah, I know you guys complained about like the townspeople there. I found them far more interesting than like the lava tides. I thought that water village
Wasn't a
was
lot of
really
tides,
cool, and
yeah.
there was like this, like the fact that we went there, we had a conflict there, we helped solve it, there was a little message, and then they left. It was like it's a nice little thing. Here they just
Yeah.
go there because there's a core there. They don't learn anything about the place. All we know is that like Wildfire was like doing a little trolling there, and then they like
Just a
they
little troll.
they don't even like escape in this episode. We have to wait another like 2
Yeah,
episodes before they leave, and it's just it feels so drawn out.
I really don't like this episode, but I do at least want to point out that I like Kai in it for how he handles everything and how he reacts to it, because that feels very fitting and in character. But besides that, I really can't say anything I like.
I think some of the jokes are funny in this one, and I can't say that about They Call It Doom for me. Like I think like even if the lava tides are annoying, they're at least kind of funny in this one. I like the twist of them like making like Wildfire and Kai clean up everything, and then just like pranking Wildfire back. I love when they like pull out like the list of like grievances, and it just
The
keeps
list.
going.
That one didn't really land for me.
I like that one. I think it was mostly because of Vincent Tong's delivery. of like the
Yeah.
there's still
Yeah, his
more.
reaction to it
You
just
can
made it
always count on
really
Vincent to
cool.
make any line sound
Yeah.
fun.
And I like how Wildfire is just so just like she's so like selfish and just like, oh yeah, I'm like the cool one here. Kai is don't really care about him, and like she thinks like she's leading the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
and Kai's just there like, dude, like just come on.
Yeah. I do
It's
like
just
when
that
Kai
banter
like
the whole time. Like
says the thing where he criticizes her for the jokes and he's like, hey, like if they're not laughing with you, it's bullying.
yeah.
That was a
You
good
get a
Kai
little
moment.
lesson in there with that too.
Yeah.
It's like it's good. It's just this could have been like done there. Like we didn't have to like
Yeah.
end the episode with Dorama coming in. Like
Yeah.
just let them get the orb and leave. It's fake anyway at the end of the day. It's like
Yeah.
why are we still here in 2 episodes later, you know? That's my main issue with
Yeah.
it. If they're gonna have them stay there, at least make it more interesting because it's like I don't care about this location enough to be here that long.
I'm wondering if I like this more or less than Temple of Dragon Course now because I do like Kai in it, but
I
no,
think
I
this
still
is
probably like
better.
it less.
I think this is a C tier, honestly.
I'm
I
still
mean,
saying
like,
D tier.
I mean, personally, like, I mean, what I really like this episode is just like the dynamic between Wildfire and Kai, and just Kai
Yeah.
just constantly criticizing Wildfire, and I do like, I really do like their take on like bullying and how like Wildfire throughout this episode is just, she is basically a jerk, and it
Yeah.
does make sense because like I mean she wouldn't really have social skills since she's a primal animal as we established
Yeah.
earlier, and I really do like how Kai like points out like how like I mean making jokes is fun, but like if no one's laughing with you, then like that's not really a
Yeah.
good thing when you're just like treating everybody horribly at their own at their own expense just for your own amusement. I do like all those elements in there, and I do like how like after like that conversation, it does influence Wildfire enough to like at least begin to question like her actions a bit when she could have had the chance to do that like fire handshake thing that
Yeah.
she did earlier, but like and it looked like she was about to do it, but then she
But
just
then
had
she doesn't.
that little bit in her, like in her mind, at the back of her head, that just like forced her to just not
Like
do it.
that's like the first glimpse of her like considering somebody else's feelings, like besides like Heatwave, of course. Like
And like
she,
I do feel like that was like domino, the first domino
yeah,
to
that
fall
like,
for her to be open to like Kai's wisdom, basically.
and I think that
And like,
it's that kind of character stuff that I think is missing in like an episode like Gangs of the Sea.
Yeah. I'm gonna change my mind and say that I like this slightly more than Temple of the Dragon Cores because of the Bone King stuff
Yeah.
and everything else that we said before. I forgot that Bone King was in the was in the beginning of it.
I think this episode had the potential to actually be way better than Gangs of the Sea, but they just kind of like
Yeah,
the
that just
repetitive
wasn't.
B plot and the refusal to actually build upon the world of the lava tides. Just I think it's
Yeah.
a C tier for me. I don't think it's D.
I
I
would
don't think it's
say
that bad, but
I'd say top of D, but I could put it at bottom of C.
yeah. Do you agree, Kevin?
mm, I guess I mean personally for me, I would put it at B, but I mean if it's high C or somewhere like that, that's fine.
We got a B, a C, and a D. C seems like
Yeah.
a good compromise.
C is the middle ground, I guess. All right, last Jin.
I mean, I like the lava tide, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, if you like the
I
lava
just like
tides,
their
obviously you're gonna
chaotic kind of
enjoy it a lot
energy.
more. I wish I
You
could
know what
like
I
them.
did
I
like
just
though?
don't think it was.
You know what I
Oh.
did like? Last June.
The last Jin.
Oh, last Jin.
Here
Last
we
Jin.
go.
I gotta say, when I was rewatching it like just a few days ago, I was not expecting to love it as much as I did on the second time around. Because like,
Damn, I loved it way
because like
more.
everything's actually much more like really tightly written, and there's like a really big theme laid within this whole episode here. Like mostly
Yeah.
mostly in relation to like Sora, how she really connects to like the Jin, and like how like the Jin's almost like a reflection of just like because like throughout the episode, Sora's just like she's just she's having a lot of confidence issues and is just like really struggling to just like keep going on and having hope. And then like
Yeah.
we see Ericor, and he's like he's just like really, he's just really just like does not have any motivation to just like really live,
When S-
basically, just keep surviving, basically, is what
when
he's basically
Sora
do. Like how Sora realizes that's sort of the place she doesn't really want to be in, and like she helps influences Ericor to just like to have hope.
I really like that she literally says to Nia, "Is that how I sound?"
Dude, I
Because
love that.
it is,
It's
and I love
funny.
that like she actually acknowledges it and then improves upon it and
It's
finds more confidence.
it's one of the 2 episodes where like she's like she meets someone who is a literal like reflection of like what she could have become if she fell victim to one of her weaknesses.
Yeah,
Like in this case, it's her unoptimism and her inherent like she just like she thinks she just expects bad things to happen, and she's just so like accustomed to it to the point where she's just like she doesn't have any hope left. Like she barely has any hope in herself. She barely has any hope in like in her situations. And then later we see with like the Land of Lost Things with Geo, like how that reflects like her family, like her familial
abandonment.
issues, and her like her guilt and everything, and how like what could have happened if she'd never like found Aaron and never like found someone who actually cared for her for like who she is. So I
Yeah,
love that this is one of those like 2 defining episodes for Sora that like kind of nudge her in the right direction so that she can kind of be in a good place for the finale to kind of come to that realization that she needs to in order to
and
complete her arc.
boy is she in a
And
good
I would
finale.
And I would
Yes.
also like to say, this was going back to what I was saying when I was saying this episode has a strong theme because, like, because of the parallels between Sora and Ericor. But I would also like to mention how, like, even like Frohickey is just like going through that phase where he's like really questioning whether he is actually fit to be like assistant manager in
Yeah.
I love
for
that
the
part of the
monastery.
episode.
And like, it's not like as compelling as like Sora or Ericor. I do think it was like kind of like a fun like little side mission, not
Yeah.
mission, but like little side thing going on. But I do like how that ties into like what these other characters are going through, and there is like a little like sweet moment at the end with Zane where
I
like
really like.
he's just trying to like find his place in this new in this new job, basically.
Yeah.
I really
Just
like
at
the
the time,
Frohickey
I
plot
like that moment there.
because it's just, and it's him constantly messing up, and Zane's always like he looks annoyed, like he clearly like doesn't
Yeah.
like what Frohicky's doing. But then at the end of the episode, Zane still gives him the really sweet pep talk, just showing like how nice Zane really is. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, like he gives them the benefit of the doubt, and he's like, "Listen, like, yeah, you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna mess up in the first days, but that's because it's the first days. You don't know the rhythm of this place, or just
Yeah,
just how it functions. Basically, he's got to like I think he called it like decompress or something,
Yeah.
and I
yep,
think he really explained that really well. And it's just like, yeah, that makes sense. And I just like that moment where Zane's like, we appreciate your presence here, and I thought it was sweet.
Yeah.
yep.
Just
Ericor is really funny. I love
yeah, Ericor
Ericor.
was so funny, dude.
The
His
scene where he
I don't know
comes
who
in.
does the voice for him, but like they did a
I
perfect
don't know
job.
either. I should look.
We
I
should have
might
looked
be.
that up at
Yeah.
some
It's
point.
not Jeremy Conrad, is it? No.
No, I don't think
How
so.
do you spell Ericor? I've never been able to
I
spell
have
it right.
no idea. I haven't
I
even
think there's
typed it
2
out.
R's and then
Okay, I
A.
got it. I already spelled it.
The scene where he enters, where he's like, "What are you? Do you dare enter the
Yeah.
sanctum of the?" With the not the. It's not even like it's Nauticon's theme, but they added a vocal track over it to make it even more intimidating.
Yeah. I
And it's just
can't
like
wait to
so
get that
grand and
music, dude.
scary.
That's coming out soon too, the
Yeah,
track for that.
and then he just hits his head, and it's just like, it's so
I love
funny.
that we're getting like
It
the
kind of reminds
Skybound
me of
music we
the.
never got.
Yeah, and then the fight between him and the Howlers was really
Oh
cool.
my
That was
god, his
that was
powers
such
are
a cool.
so cool.
The cinematography from him getting the blades, and then like it looks so
The
like
way
mythical
the
and
way
just
he like
fits so well in.
the way he arms himself with the blades and they're all like just like that pose that he strikes is
Yeah,
so
when he
well
like
done.
lifts them all up, it's so
Yeah.
cool. And I like how they connected his wish magic hope logic with what happened at the end of Skybound with like Jay telling Flintlock like the only reason why Nauticon's wish worked is because you believed him. And then now this
Yeah.
is because like that's the only reason why Flintlock didn't have good
I
aim
never
is
thought
because he
about that
doesn't have
actually.
it.
I always put that. I
Yeah,
always remove that
this
scene from
is
my brain because I hate it so much.
so that was the negative to the wish magic. This is just taking the same logic but the positive, where like it won't work unless you hope and
Which
believe that it
I
works.
think that's I was. It's one of those things with like Raiders of Destiny where it's like if you actually go back and watch that, like there's no way Nauticon was actually hoping for every wish to come true, because there were plenty of wishes that he definitely would have benefited from not coming
It was
true.
because the people making the wishes hope for them to come true. That
I
was what
guess,
fueled
but
it.
then
It's
in the
not always like
episode,
the Jin that-
but then in this episode, it's like like Ericor has to have hope to do the wish in the first place, which is I don't know. It's weird, but
I
it's
mean,
one of those
yeah.
things where
I
it's
mean,
like
like,
they
Nauticon.
changed it for the better, so I can't really be mad at it.
I
It's
mean, it's
just,
just like Nauticon was just like twisting their wishes is
yeah.
the thing. Like he just
But, like,
twisted it
there
so
was-
like, oh, you wanted this, I'm gonna do this.
But like
Well, no, but
Nauticon's
there were still wishes
yeah,
that
there
he
were
didn't like.
wishes that
being
Nauticon
granted.
would not
Well,
have
yeah,
wanted
but, like,
to have. So it's like
I think
Like-
it's
you're
more like
like pretty
long-term
much
kind
this
of-
episode is inferring that like, oh, Nauticon, like when Jay was like, oh, I wish like the teapot was never found, Nauticon was actively like, oh yeah, I hope that happens, I hope that comes true.
I think
Like,
it
I don't
does go
buy
both
that.
ways for feeling it though, because
yeah,
it's
I
not
get
like
what you mean.
Ericor like encountered anybody that had hope before he met Nia and Sora, and he
Yeah.
literally says that like he hasn't seen anybody like them before. So it's not like he ever really got to test it out before too, even if he did have hope or not.
I do like how you said it connects back to like the Skybound scene with the Flint Knock though. I
Yeah.
never thought about that. That actually makes that scene a lot better in
Mm.
retrospect, even if it still doesn't make sense really.
Also,
Well,
Ericor's
ins-
voice actor is Mark Hildreth. He was also the voice of Milton Dyer and
Oh.
the game voice.
Oh, yeah, he did sound like Milton Dyer. Okay.
That's cool. Good voice
Why did I
actor.
say? I guess the first Midget Master actor, which doesn't. No, yeah, he sounds like Milton Dyer.
Yeah.
Also,
But, like,
Ericor's face, if you took Ericor's face print and made it like the medium nougat color, it would look so much like Pedro Pascal. It just makes him even better.
I need the minifig now, but you know.
Yeah.
it'll
I
take
will
a billion
say,
years.
I really do like the heavy Skybound theming
Yeah.
throughout this episode. It honestly, watching this episode was almost like a spiritual successor to like Skybound, just like how much they really like utilize like the gins and like had curses and even played the music a lot,
Yeah, the
which
only
was really
thing
nice.
besides the
I'm not
fact
even
that
big
Nia
of a-
didn't even mention anything, but
Yeah. But like that would have been very hard to. Well, actually, no. I say that.
Yeah.
Well, she
but
did
then
mention
that's not- Well, no, she didn't mention like
Nia,
specific.
yeah, the
stuff
only
about how
thing
she
Nia
was
ever
the-
said in this episode was like expository stuff about the gin.
they
She
knew a
never
thing or
hinted
two
at the
about
fact that she had
showmanship.
any past experience, or the fact that
I
she
like-
literally died, like fighting a
When she
gin.
was-
literally.
I
I mean, I
don't
thought
need the dying stuff. I think that she should have at least shown some kind of remorse.
Yeah.
Actually, she probably doesn't even know that
Remorse?
Curse Realm.
Okay, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
'cause she destroyed Ninjago.
Yeah, this is
But
the
I don't
thing.
think she knows that though.
I've had
I
plenty of
don't think she knows
discussions about
that.
this. Yeah, she doesn't know that she did that. My
Yeah.
issue with it is that she like Skybound happened. She's one of the two people that remembered it, at least as an experience. At this point, I infer that they probably told the rest of the team. But like Nia lived through it and
I mean,
has
it was
the
a
real
mural,
memories.
so.
Yeah, but Nia lived through it and
I
has
think-
the memories. One line about like just anything, about her
we did get a
feelings.
line. We did get a line. It was her saying the Jin knew a thing or two about
Yeah,
showmanship,
but
which
it was
ties
like-
back to an kidnapped her and did
I
all the
guess, but
statue
that's like,
stuff.
I don't know. It's just something more about like her experience and how she feels encountering a Jin again after that experience.
She did,
I
like,
would have liked to
gasp.
know how she felt in that moment.
She did look kind of scared when she first saw Ericor, and then he was like,
Yeah,
"Yes,
it's
I'm
just-
real."
She was very suspicious, and like even Aircore's like, you can stop your staring. I'm very real.
It's just I don't know. I wish there was more. I wish we got a bit more because it feels weird having Nia be there and just
Yeah,
not
it
comment.
does feel a little lackluster in terms of how much was acknowledged.
And that's kind of what I was kind of excited to see. Like a reason I was so excited to see like a Jin again was to see how Nia or even Jay would react, you know. And I would hope that if Jay interacts with Ericor,
if
he
Jay
has
ever meets
some
him,
yeah,
like
Jay's interaction with
like
Ericor.
Then
if they
something
weren't gonna
fun.
do it with Nia, then Jay better have something if he ever sees Ericor. Like I want something.
Yeah,
I mean,
knowing
I
that
It
would-
doesn't
knowing
need to
that
be like a
Arc's
big
gonna
thing.
be-
It just needs to be like a line or a comment or something
Just
that
Yeah,
kind of
literally
that
just have him like
Imperium
gives us a
scream
good
or
idea.
something.
Have Jay just go crazy and start attacking him.
Yeah. Actually, no.
No,
It should.
make
No,
it a
it
whole.
should switch
Make
him
it the
into
plot
like,
of the episode. Him trying to trust this Jin.
if he's gotten his memories back, it should like seeing Eric should trigger like the serious Jay that we haven't seen in a while and just make
Yeah.
him like.
I
go
don't
into
want to. I don't
survival
want them to
instinct.
be like too angsty with it though. Like I don't.
Not too angsty, but just like we'd expect him to be like ah, but like
Yeah.
here he sees this serious thing and he's like, oh,
Yeah. I just
don't
like
worry about it.
I don't want to misconstrue because I don't want to like seem like I'm asking for this huge like Skybound 2 super big
No, I
arc.
don't want
Jay
that.
becomes
man, the sequel we've all been
Jay
waiting
becomes
for.
angsty
Oh,
and
we
Nia
have-
becomes like no. I just
We
want
do
funny
not
little
need
comments that
Skybound
nod to
2.
the past. That's all I want.
We need
Yeah.
Skybound
I just want
3.
I want acknowledgement that Nia actually experienced those memories because they made such a big deal about her being one of the only 2 people to remember it. So the
Yeah.
fact that she interacts with a Jin and doesn't really have anything to say about it is just kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I would put
Oh,
this
that's fair.
middle top of A.
I would put this in A tier, right below Writers, but above
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Monastery.
I mean, I
agree.
would put it a high A, not
Yeah.
high, not the highest of A, but I would
High-
put it high enough.
Oh yeah, kind of like mid
Be good
high.
with below. Yeah, that's good.
All right,
They call
they
it
call
Doom.
it Doom. I don't really like this episode.
I don't like it, but I give it a pass because I do think it's kind of funny. I think the rap time, like Lloyd being like, "It's important that I instill in you the value that all life is important," and then they're just like, "But that's rap time."
Yeah, it's funny. It's just this episode is just so like it reminds me of like those early season 11 episodes where it's just like this does
That's
this does
fair.
not feel like I'm an adult watching this. What am I doing?
When I
might
say
do it
like
with my
I
life
give it a
watching
pass,
Lego Ninjago.
Like it feel
When
this
I-
episode more than most makes me really realize, okay, yeah, I am watching a Lego kids show.
when
Just the
I
writing.
say give it a pass, I don't mean I like it. I mean I think it's better than Wildly Inappropriate and Temple of Dragon Cores, but I'd still put it in like a very low C tier, high D tier.
You know, now that I think about it, okay, Temple of the Dragon Cores, I think my disdain for it is mostly because it's the plot setup for these next 9 episodes, and it does kind of a weak job. And like plot is kind of important. So the fact that I don't really care, like Dragon's Rising Part 2 is good. But if I actually cared about the plot, because at the end of the day, I kind of like the episodic episodes more. And out of anything, I kind of just care about Sora's story, and I like Imperium, I guess, but I don't really care about the Dragon Core plot at all. And that's because episode 11 kind of fumbled it.
Yeah.
And if I cared about the plot, I think part 2 could have been a lot better. Not that it's bad at all, because the good stuff is really good.
It has very
like-
high highs, but it has the lowest lows that we've seen so far.
But I just think I think They Call It Doom is a worse episode. Or like I guess I don't like it as much. Like I'd rather watch the Temple of the Dragon Cores. But I think Temple of Dragon Cores deserves a lower rating because it kind of made the rest of the season a little worse than it could have been. Like as a whole, if that makes sense.
I just think I can. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't know. I mean, the Rapton stuff was funny. The snail stuff with the
Raptor
salt was funny.
The sales stuff was funny, but it kind of dragged on.
Um,
already
like
what
shared
else?
my
happened- What else
grievance.
happened in the episode? I forget.
It was,
I just find the mucoids, as they're called, I find them
Yeah.
just kind of charming, and I just like listening to their voice and just seeing their designs. I just thought this is
I
a
mean,
nice
the
world here.
Mucoids are way better than the Lava Tides because they actually kind of give us
Yes.
a interesting like way of how their society's different from like humans and how they run and
I-
like how they
And
kind
I-
of cherish
and I like
this,
how-
this orb that they were given.
Yeah, and I
I
like
really-
how they seem like very nice and sweet and stuff, but then like with Rapton, they're like death.
Yeah, they're they kind of like if you kind of prove to them that you are like nice and not gonna just steal their stuff, then they'll be very nice. But if you immediately leave a bad first impression, they'll just kill you.
They'll
Yeah.
murder.
Like
Yeah.
they'll literally just murder you. It's just the way that they did it. It felt very like I don't know. It was like, oh, the moral in this one is that you don't be nice to people and don't steal things,
I
and
keep
that everyone
getting
deserves
what I wanted
redemption.
to. I keep getting what I want to say in mind, and then I immediately forget it. Well, one of the things I think Dorama's slightly funnier in this one. Not really, but the scene of him like randomly like twirling around his staff and then just like jumping on it and then turns into a rocket ship and just blasts him away.
That was
It's so
so
stupid.
goofy.
That's the Dorama that I
I
love.
love that. It's so over the top and dumb.
Yeah. Also, Cole shows up at the end. That build up is
Okay,
cool.
yeah, that
I
was
like
cool.
I like
Okay,
the
Yeah,
dude,
brief
Cole
my
shows up at
my
the end.
favorite scenes in this episode are like the 3 scenes that Nia and Sora are in. It's like the
Yeah,
beginning.
those
It's
are
like the
good.
beginning when they're talking to Ericor, the middle where they like find the land of lost things, and then the final scene, which I think I talked
Oh
about
yeah,
this on a
Eric.
live stream. The way they did the Cole reveal was really like silly. Like I don't really understand
I don't
the thought process
mind
behind
it.
any of the characters there. I don't mind it. I just think it's funny.
I think actually no. Well,
It's just goofy to me. I was
yeah.
just
I mean, the
excited the
biggest
moment
thing
that
is
Cole
that
was back. It's
Cole
just a
should
funny
have
they reveal it in a
seen
weird way.
Cole should have seen a Cyan Ninja and been like, I
I love
wonder
how
if this is
Cole, like the nice guy ninja, just immediately chucks Sora like 50 feet. Like
yeah.
it's so weirdly like okay,
It's so
Cole.
excessive.
Yeah,
dude.
like
Because
come
he
on.
thought she was
Nice
attacking the
guy,
kids.
Cole,
Yeah,
huh?
it's like, oh yeah, Cole's like always known to be like the nice one, and he's like so friendly to people, and he always makes a good
He
first
did
impression. Just throws Sora like 50 feet in the air.
he did think she was attacking the kids
But
though,
yeah,
and he's
I
been
just
with
think
them
it's
for the
funny.
past 5 years.
I mean,
Yeah.
how would he think that though?
That scene is just so weird to me because it's like
Because
Cole,
he did think that. He said nobody goes near those children because they're running away from them.
yeah, and he was like running towards. They were like running towards him. It's so weird just the thought process behind Nia and Cole because it's like Cole sees
Yeah.
a bright blue ninja, and doesn't and just like and like is like no one's gonna hurt these kids, and then Nia, it doesn't register to her that that's Cole's voice. She has to fight him for a bit, throw a spear, have him absorb it, and then hear his voice again and go, that sounds like Cole. And then Cole has to like see her do spinjitzu, which I guess makes sense. But he's like,
But the
he's
other
not
thing
like,
is that
he's like, oh,
neither
spinjitzu?
the last thing either of them was expecting to see there was another ninja. So I
Yeah.
cut them some slack for that. It's not if they were looking for Cole, then they did that. That would be so stupid. But neither of them were expecting to find each other.
But it's just it's just so funny the way that Nia figures it out. It's like a giant rock monster with Cole's voice. Let me throw a spear at it. Oh wait, he can absorb the spear. That must be Cole then. Like he was already
Yeah.
rock. What? Okay. It's
The
just
other
funny.
I mean,
thing-
I
this
could
is-
maybe cut a little
It's just
slack
funny
on the
to me.
voice because it has been a few years, so their memories on their voices would be a little hazy. But like,
But then
yeah, I
she
guess
like
maybe it's rocks.
it's
They're
just
literally
funny.
made out
Like
of rocks.
it's
I
a
don't
rock
think
guy.
it's-
Oh, he absorbed it with his powers. Oh, that's very Cole
I don't think it's
specific.
bad memory more than it is just she wasn't paying attention to that
I
and was
guess.
just thinking about
It's
it.
just funny.
But also, the other thing about this episode, the administration. You already know what I'm going to say. The administration would have been really cool if the trailer.
Oh yeah,
Did not spoil it.
dude.
Which
This
is not the fault of
episode,
the episode, but it still took away from the reveal. So I don't know how good it would have been if the trailer didn't mess it up.
honestly, this episode, I think I made a tweet. Like, if they didn't spoil Cole and the administration in the trailer, this would have been like 2 of the most like out of pocket Ninjago reveals. Like to me, like they're not insane for like any character reasons or like story reasons. It's just like okay, that's just
Yeah.
random and that's fun and that's interesting and I can't wait to learn more about that. But it's like, oh, we already saw it in the trailer, so we already knew we were gonna.
Yeah,
that was
it
gonna
would have
be a
been so hyped to
possibility.
see Cole and have that be the first time we even register that he could be here.
Yeah.
But instead, like as soon as they go to the Land of Lost Things, it's like, oh, it's the Cole place from the
Yeah,
trailer.
like I was expecting it. I was like, okay, when does Cole show
Yeah.
up? When does Cole show up? And I was more so just
Yeah.
disappointed when it was like the very end of the episode. I was like, oh dang it.
I would put
And
this
then,
one.
and then it cuts.
It's like
But, like-
everything interesting in this episode is stuff that was spoiled in the trailers.
Yeah,
And it's just like it
Oh,
feels
yeah,
like it's
like,
kind of
I was-
wasting time to get to that point.
Yeah, like when I was watching this episode for the rewatch a few days ago, and that I no longer had the pressure of just like
watching the whole thing on just binging the whole show, and instead I'm just casually watching this episode for the stream here. Mm, I f- it is a shame that they really spoiled those two moments because I was like, oh, like if I hadn't seen the trailers, it would have been just like really, as you said, just really out of pocket and just like
Yeah.
surprising reveals that would have made me very excited to see what the episodes would do with these two things here, with the administration and Cole's return there.
Just says
I think.
Sea Bloom is gonna be so shocked at those reveals. Dude, I can't wait.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
because
he
he.
hasn't seen the
Oh,
trailers.
I can't wait for that either. I put this one top of C tier.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think I like it less than Wildly Inappropriate, but like I don't know. They're kind of just the same. Like
I like it. This one's more
I like
entertaining. than
wildly
Inappropriate for me.
inappropriate more, if I'm honest.
okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna put it, Tris. I'm gonna put Wildly Inappropriate above it, just because me and Kevin both agree against you.
I'm outvoted. That's fine.
And I think we've
I just think
we've
it's
outvoted
more
Kevin
entertaining.
enough times. in this.
Yeah.
But
I'm getting
the
double
next
teamed here.
episode,
This
I think we
is an
should-
S
I think
tier.
we should- This is S tier.
This is
easily.
S tier.
But probably bottom. No, top of S
No,
tier
this
for what we have
is
so
better
far.
than this is the best episode so far.
This is yeah.
Mm,
Well, okay,
This is a
well only
really good
because
I
you
don't know if I would
only
say it's the best one.
only because you guys made me
No.
put Return to Imperium in A tier. Return to Imperium, I would say is still better than this, but like
Yeah.
judging by this tier list, I think this is the
No,
highest.
I don't think it's better than this. Never mind. Yeah, this is probably, is this my second or third favorite episode this is my second favorite episode, yeah.
This is so good.
This
They did
it's
Cole
really
so
good.
well. The
I love
the
Cole,
Sora
and
like
this
plot with
reminded me
Geo
of
is
why I love
just
Cole.
dude, the conversation that Sora and Geo have is just so well written.
Yeah.
It's so real. It's just a real conversation between two just like people with like childhood trauma.
I
Just
like
two
seeing
people that
her
don't
get to
belong.
square off against the row again too. That was cool.
That's just and Cole, the way they
It's
animate
just a really
Cole
good
in the
episode.
fight.
Cole, everything with Cole is really good. Him
Seeing Nia and
have so
Cole
many
like
good moments.
seeing them like
Cole,
catch up with
people
each other.
are like afraid to talk about Cole and Nia because of Rebooted, but they forget that like they have a really good friendship,
have a
and
good
it's so fun to
dynamic.
see them together. Like they really love each other, and not in a Kanye way, but just like in a platonic friend
in
way.
a
It's so
platonic
fun to see
friendship,
that.
yeah. It's good.
Yeah, like I will say, it was nice how like natural the conversations were between Nia and Cole. Like it just really felt like just like old times basically when just seeing them together. Like
Yeah.
almost time hasn't changed at all, and that's something I really did like
It
about their
makes stuff
dynamic.
like it makes stuff like when they connected in possession feel even more rewarding because like they're finally
Yeah.
connecting in a way similar to that now.
It makes me like I can't wait to see Cole interact with like the other ninja.
I know. Please, like, I want Cole and Kai probably had some of the best characterizations out of everybody in the series so far. So when they interact again, and it just builds off their Wild Brain friendship, that's going to be
Dude,
so much
I can't
fun.
wait because like, and I love how they're just like letting Cole be on his own. Like they're not like
That's
forcing
really
him
cool,
back
too.
into the team. They're just letting him
Yeah.
like he's not there for the finale. He just shows up and then they leave him again. It's just like it's so
Yeah.
fitting for him just to be in this land of like lost things, trying to help other people like find like a group and a family to like
He's doing
rely on. It's
exactly
just-
what he did in Master of the Mountain, exactly
just-
what he
just
did
on
in
a
Tournament of
way
Elements.
larger
This is
scale. It's
just
just-
like this is Cole.
This
This
is like
is Cole.
Cole is a character now. Master of the Mountain showed that like, okay, this is what happens when we take all of Cole's traits and make him into like an actual full-fledged like character. Now we can just see him for like an episode and like we just know who he is. We don't have to like focus on him. We don't need like a full plot for him. Like Cole is just a character now. He feels real and he feels like
Yeah.
he just feels so grounded.
Yeah.
And it's so nice. And plus we also get the added benefit of Dragon's Rising is just really good at characterizing the ninja.
Yeah.
And they just really know
Yep.
like how to make them feel distinct and separate again.
Also, I think the Earth is screaming bit, the way he phrased that is so
Oh
cool.
my god, it makes so much sense too because the merge obviously would affect Earth. Like out of all the
Yeah,
powers,
but
Earth
also,
would be
I feel like
affected.
I feel like that's not the merge quakes that were causing it, though. I think there's something bigger.
No, I
at
think it was
play.
like the merge. Like, I mean, the way I saw that scene, I thought it was just like the fact that the merge happened to begin with.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the Earth,
it's
the
something
Earth isn't
for
responding well to there being that many realms at once.
Yeah, like it's something from the merge, obviously, but like it's not like this just went away once they stopped the quakes.
Yeah, because like the merge is like still in effect.
Yeah.
So obviously,
And
like
then they talk about it
I
in the
don't think the
finale.
Earth will never like be the same for him. Like he will always have to like
Yeah,
fight it.
I
Kind
like
of.
that they acknowledge that too. That's like some kind of like
I didn't even
fan level
yeah, like
detail
I
that
didn't
they brought into
expect
it.
them to like actually like consider, because I didn't consider it like how Cole's power would be
Yeah.
affected by a literal earth-shattering event. Like like the whole world is changed. Like the literal like foundations of like the, I don't even know like if Ninjago, yeah, I guess it does take place on a planet because we literally saw Rebooted. Like the actual
Yeah.
planet itself is like
Yeah.
the cores of it have changed. Like of course Cole's earth power would be affected, which is also weird now
Yeah.
that I think about it, that Cole's power is called Earth, but is the planet in Ninjago referred to as Earth?
I mean, Earth as in soil, I guess, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Did like in real life, do we get the term Earth for soil from Earth the planet, or was it the other way around?
No idea.
Yeah.
But that
I
does
mean,
now
I
make
would
me
assume
wonder if they
Earth was
call the
probably like.
planet Earth in Ninjago
I think
Earth.
they like called it planet Earth, and then they were like, you know, we got a lot of ground here. Let's call that Earth too.
Chat, if you have an answer, let me know.
Yeah. No, I'm interested
Chad,
in that.
if you're smart in science and history, please give
But
us
yeah,
the answers we.
the merge would affect the planet quite a bit. So obviously Cole's power is kind of being relied on the ground and the soil and stuff.
Mhm.
It's just such a good detail. I love it.
It's
I
a
love everything
yeah.
about what they did.
The whole
I love
episode's
how
just like
Cole literally grabs a rock, like throws it up, and then like swings his hammer like a baseball bat.
yeah.
Like, it's just
I
fun,
like
fun action.
when I
Like
watched when I watched the first half of part 2 when it leaked. I wasn't that I liked 14, but and 12 is pretty good, but I wasn't that impressed overall. And I was like, shoot, like is this show falling off? And then when the rest of the episodes officially released on Netflix, I stayed up until 3 a.m. because time zones.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this show one more chance. And then the first one I watched was this one, and I was like, dude, we're so back, yo. Even more than I was going from Crystallized to Dragon's Rising Part 1, I was like, dude, this is so good. Such a good episode.
I mean, honestly, like I honestly like I liked the first 5 episodes when I first watched them, but like this was like, oh yeah, this is like even better. Like I think it's good
Yeah.
that the last Jin was in like the first 5. Because other than that, what you have like wildly inappropriate, they call it Doom in the temple, and it's like okay.
Yeah.
But then you have the last Jin in there, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think if it
last
wasn't
Jin.
for that, I feel like I would not have. I would have been more negative about those 5 episodes. Also, is in this episode we get the start of like the Kai and like Wildfire and Heatwave thing where they're like trying to help.
We do, yeah. I think
Which
it
is
peaks. That
really
whole
good.
thing peaks in the next episode, but it's pretty good here.
God, I can't wait to talk about the
Yeah,
next
like
episode.
Yeah,
like
dude,
honestly,
this
I do
episode's
wish
so
like
good
we
too.
just got a little more of it, but like it did peak in the next episode, so it's just like
Yeah, I'd put this one at the top of S for now.
Yeah.
I will say like you know, because like we have Cole just being basically being part of a group of misfits, which is, you know, very fitting.
Yeah.
Definitely gives me Master of the Mountain vibes. I will say though, I do kind of wish we just got a little more, just like out like some of those characters there. Like I'm not
That
asking
is
for like any
true.
like fake
I'm kind
characters.
of well. We know that we will.
It's
We
like
know
we
that we
get
will
a
get
lot
more
of
some
fusion,
kind
which
of.
I like. It's just like we have like those 2 little kids there. It's just kind of there. I'm just like I kind of want to know just maybe like 1 or 2 more information about them.
I would have liked the.
Which was nice.
I would have been satisfied if the Formling kid like just actually just transformed in the episode at some
Yeah,
point.
that would have been awesome.
Just in the climax when like they're literally getting like the little sweepy guy from the robot, like
Yeah,
because his thing is like a crow, I'm assuming. So like it would have been
could have
cooler, I
flown
think,
up
if he
and
like
that would have been cool.
transformed and grabbed it.
Yeah, I
And
do.
then we get like the Hypno Bride just like use the eye thing
Yeah,
again.
like I
just
wanna
try to
see them use like their powers.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that
like have them,
stuff.
like have them.
That's like that's more of like a plot tool issue that they didn't utilize. But as far as like what we learned about the characters, like yeah, I agree. There's definitely way more that we should know, but I'm okay with the fact that we didn't get it here because we know, like Doc confirmed on Twitter, we're going to learn about them more probably next year. That's when it makes the most sense to do it. And then also, it's like it was four characters on Cole's team, and like we learned plenty about Geo. That was great, but like it would have been very convoluted if we did that level of focus or even a similar level for the rest of the characters. So I'm kind of glad that we just did Geo. We know we're gonna get the rest later.
And
Don't overcrowd it.
Geo's stuff
There's no
was
point
I
in
will
doing
so
that.
I will
good.
say though, Bonzel got the perfect amount of screen time.
Bonzel's funny.
Literally just an icon in this
Bones
episode.
Yeah, Bonzel was
I
funny.
just loved all their I just loved all their lines and just they stood out in every scene they were in. So
I wasn't even expecting Bonzel. They weren't in
Yeah,
the trailer.
Bonzo was like a jump scare the
Find
first
his
time they
phone.
saw it, and then after that it was just their voice
I'm
too
just
is like
confused
really
about why
just
there's so many different types of skeletons now. Like
yeah.
the whole skeleton
Bonzel's
species is like
like the personification of like when I do the Harumi liver stealing joke, it's the Bonzels who she just steals bones. Like you gotta put in there.
bones.
Do you get me a new femur, Cole?
All right, top of S. Is that where
Top
we're
of
ranking this
S.
one?
I mean, I would put it like, I mean, I would put it in S, I guess, because I don't think I'm gonna be overruled on that
Yeah.
putting it in A. But like, yeah, somewhere in S.
I'm gonna put it. I think it's better than the premieres. Not by a lot, but like I think it is.
Yeah,
All right,
I think
this is my favorite episode, the administration. Here
it's
we
not
go.
my favorite, but it's really,
I
really,
love
really
this
good.
episode
Really
so much.
fun,
And
really
it's
funny.
so strange because, like I said earlier, this episode doesn't even have like Sora in it, which is like my favorite part of Dragon's Rising. But
And it's
just,
also
like,
just
still
another like
so good.
random side quest episode, but like this is that done right.
It's like the most like episodic, I guess, closest to filler you could say, but like I don't care. I love it so much. I think the
It's
fact
just so
because
fun.
I just again, like I said earlier, the plot of this second part is not that interesting to me. So I kind of prefer just like the one-off episodes more in some instances. There's exceptions,
In
of
some
course, like the
cases, yeah.
finale and stuff. But like I just love this. I just love when the show just has fun and explores a new area that like builds out the world more and just like gives you even more like ideas of like, oh, this is like something that came up because of the merge. Like this is like a place that's been affected by the merge and like it runs based around that. And like, oh, we have things like realm reassignment, which is just a hilarious concept to me. It's just like so interesting how one like big major change for the world can impact so many things. And the fact that this it's just a giant office building in the middle of like the realm of madness
That's funny.
that just is like so obsessed with just taking control over like all the realms and documenting everything and making sure everything's in line. And
But then also the fact that it's all like basically pointless to an extent.
yeah,
too,
like
makes it even
because
more
they think they have like so
Like,
much
I
power
mean-
over everyone when they're all just like
right.
there's just
It's
a bunch
like
of
Cloud
goofy
Kingdom, it was
agents
actually
like
useless.
and like
I mean, I think what I find funny about it being part of the realm of madness is when you think of the realm of madness, you think of chaos and just like everything being a mess. But when you first look at like the administration, you see how it has like a really strict and tight structure
Order.
and how everything's so tidy and organized. And you're like, huh, it's
Right.
really strange how this would be in the realm of madness. But when you really think about it, this is an office, and being in an
flip
office
it
is probably
around
like
to
the
the
most frustrating thing ever. And they
and
gotta like
everyone
fill
is
out a lot of
literally going
forms and
insane.
stuff. So
Well,
it
it's
makes
also
sense why
flipping
it's in the
around-
realm of madness.
It's flipping around the order to the point where it's order to the point of madness.
It's more
It's
to
like
the point of
neatly
literal
Exactly.
explained as
insanity.
Insanity.
People are
yeah.
willing to stand in lines for generations. People
Yeah,
are like
also I gotta mention
constantly
the
filing
Zane
paperwork.
Death Note reference.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Dude,
was
that made me
really
laugh
good.
so much. I love Zane in this episode. I think they did Zane amazing in this episode.
I rewatched that scene like 3 times, and then I filmed it and posted it on Twitter, and then I rewatched it like another 2 times.
It is so good. This episode is the
Zane
funny.
just writing that all out, just like
Dude.
writing all those.
I love that
just,
Zane was
like-
there too. Like, and that was like a
Yeah, I think
twist
it was-
in the episode.
I was at first I was like, dude, like why'd he go with them? And then as soon as I said that, Zane said, in retrospect, I should not have gone with them. And I was like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Also, the Kitangu
Because he
mech was
thought they had
really, really
authority,
cool.
but like
I
Okay,
turns out
my
they didn't
only-
at all.
My only issue
I
with this
really like those
episode,
mech.
the only issue with this episode that I have, is that the set, like being
Yeah.
implemented, it's so forced. Like
Yeah,
some of the most forced like set advertising in Ninjago. There's a part in the finale that also makes me feel a similar way, but like oh my goodness, like just like okay, here's like this random mech that looks like Lloyd's color scheme that has this orange mech
just-
built inside.
And
It's-
also,
Oh, Zane found a
it's
random
stupid.
car that fits with his color scheme and has ice powers. Like
and like the mech as well. The mech looks like a something like a Ninjago set would sell as
Yeah.
well, which also sort of bothers me.
it doesn't
And the
fit
fact
in.
that if it's two people, oh wait,
Yeah.
Aaron needs
they
to
don't
ride in
use
this at
it.
some point. And also, it can detach as well, and it's similar color scheme to their colors as well. And it's just
It's so
You'd think they have
that's a
more.
the
little
like,
only
too
part I
much
like
quality.
the only part I like is that Aaron like uses the like detach feature like inherent and Lloyd's like, how did you know it would do that? He's like, oh, I've used a lot of these kind of mechs in the Crossroads. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool way to like take a set feature and like build it into like Aaron's like lore, I guess.
I
Like,
like
oh,
how-
he's
I
familiar
like
with
how
it.
I like that, and then he also says like I'd heard about them, but I hadn't actually seen one, which is kind of like us. He's like literally an audience insert. Like we've never seen a mech that evac on another one.
Yeah, like I'm familiar with this, but I just figured,
Yeah,
it looks like
it was cool.
looks
It's
like
just
one
the
that would
color schemes. It's the color scheme. Lord and Aaron's like, it's a little on the nose. Well, no, it's very on the nose.
Yeah, it's very on the
The
nose.
color scheme with that is just funny that it conveniently does, but Zane's has a giant Z pasted on the front of it,
I like to
and
think
it's ice themed.
I like to think
and
that
it's
Zane
white.
like he got taken because like the last we saw him before that scene he got taken to a dark room. I like to think that Zane just got taken to like this giant like auto body shop in the administration and he just like got his own car like all fitted out just so he could immediately drive it through the wall and like go help.
That's funny.
Because like in what other world do you just magically find a
Yeah.
car of like it's just yeah.
That looks very simple.
I thought that was very on the
That
nose.
fits
It's
their
been a
trait.
while since I've watched Ninjago and be like, okay, that is a set advertisement. Like it's been a long time, like since I feel like that's happened. But
I
like,
think they should have had Aaron use object spinjitzu on the car, but also it would have messed up the finale part a little bit, so maybe
Yeah.
not. But I think that would have been creative.
it's just like, yeah. But other than that, like I can't even be mad at that because like the
Yeah.
rest of the episode is just so good. The comedy
Plus,
is like so
without-
funny. The world building's so funny. Just like
Yeah.
I love it.
And without the car, we wouldn't have gotten the peak Froheki scene in the finale.
Yeah. we would. I love how it's like
Yeah.
most advantageous
Most
as he is
advantageous.
spinning.
Only Zane could say that, and
Yeah.
it like makes sense.
It's funny. I think Zayn was done really well, honestly, in this episode.
This was the best
Like, he
Zane's
was
been in the series
characterized
so far.
really well.
Yeah,
Like this is the Zayn
absolutely
focus
just
I was
hilarious.
waiting for. I think Zayn Day was funny, and I think it was a good, cool thing for him to like do and like stuff. But like, I think this was like, okay, yeah, this is Zayn. I like him. in
This was him.
that
like,
walked, so
being-
this could run.
cool.
Yeah.
basically.
Oh, this episode is. So good.
And we also got the J cameo, which I guess we've talked
The
about.
J
a lot
cameo is
earlier.
funny.
Yeah, we're talking about the
I'm
Joe
glad
stuff.
that Jay just showed up for like a few seconds and then just never.
Yeah,
again
I'm
in the
really
rest of the
glad
season.
that they didn't do more with him because he just would not have fit into the rest of the season at
Yeah,
all.
I love that they're just teasing him so much. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to. I genuinely can't wait to see what they do with the Jay storyline. Which I guess I would say it's been a while since I said that, but I said that after Seabound.
Yeah, I still think I'm more excited for Cole's storyline, but Jay's I'm interested in too.
I'm more curious about Jay because I feel like already have a bit of a feeling where Cole's gonna go, but I'm excited. Like,
Well, a big thing with Cole is that like the Woo thing is still unexplained.
Yeah.
So that's an episode 18 thing. We'll talk about that next.
I'm wondering like, when I was watching the finale, actually, I was kind of like, where's like. Like the whole merge quake is happening and the whole world is like all affected and I'm like, is Cole like, is his mission still going well or like what?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Is he
Yeah.
getting like?
Is he?
Is he getting like sucked in?
Are
there
we
at some
like
point,
when
or-
we eventually cut back to see like what Cole was up to during that period of time? Is that gonna be like before, during the merge quakes were happening, or after? Like, I'm curious to see if we're
I mean,
gonna
we'll probably
like,
get a flashback or something.
yeah, I'm curious to see like
Yeah,
what
that's what it means.
timeline like of events like Cole's journey like finding Wu and stuff was. I wonder if he was
Yeah.
like gone from like the land of like I don't know if it took him out of the land of lost things, but he definitely got separated from like Geo and the rest. So I wonder for
I
how
hope
long he
it
was
didn't.
separated from them.
I hope it didn't take him out immediately because it feels weird that he would just like
Yeah.
leave them without saying goodbye like that. I feel like he probably like followed it, found something, and then went back and
Yeah,
was gonna
that's
go
what
back
I
and
hope.
say like,
And
"Hey,
then-
I gotta do this."
And then I would hope
Yeah, and
he
also 'cause,
came
like, they
back
said,
and
like-
then the merge like stuff happened.
Yeah, and then maybe that makes him go again.
Yeah. Because he's gonna join back the team eventually, I'm sure. I just hope they do
Yeah,
it.
well-
I hope they give him a proper like I don't want him to join
Yeah.
back the team permanently ever. Like I don't think he should ever join back the team for good. But I think he will play a larger role in season 2, where maybe like Kai or Nia or Lloyd takes a back seat.
Yeah, and then it builds up to Cole versus Ross.
Yeah, and then we get an epic fight scene, and then Cole goes back to. I think
Yeah.
Just goes back
also
to
a
the
big
main
part
part.
of it will probably be like making it so that the land of lost things like isn't lost, and they free the lost people.
Yeah. I really want. I'm okay with him not rejoining the team. I'm okay with him actually rejoining the team too. I just hope he reunites with Kai, because they've both been great and they have a really cool friendship. And then 2, I hope he sees Zayn, because I miss them interacting. And
Yeah.
Cole and Zayn stories are always really, really good. And this could also help Zayn with rediscovering himself if they do push for that plot.
It'd also be very fitting if like the Jay-centered episode next season has Cole as like the second focus.
Yeah,
like,
who it's Cole to Cole
like
to
if Cole
Jay,
somehow ends up in the administration,
that would be an interesting.
I don't know how that would
interesting
happen.
concept.
That would be an interesting
Like-
way of bringing those two
like
together.
because I could
Yeah.
definitely see like, oh, the administration, like, oh, something went wrong in like the land of lost things, or they did something that they didn't like, so they have to go take Cole in. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
we're taking you in.
I'm wondering if the administration is the reason for the ninja being separated into different realms.
That could be.
That actually
I have a
makes
feeling that
sense.
it's just like
That's
the merge
what
itself.
happens.
I don't know if the administration's actually that, unless they were given
I don't
realm
know.
they could have been given realm reassignment, I guess, if they were lost.
That's
in,
what
like,
I'm saying. Yeah, I think they
spaces in
reassigned the
between.
ninja to
But
the
I
wrong
also think there
realms.
was a good, because like not everybody was lost in like the spaces in between. A lot of people were kind of, because they did
True,
mention how
yeah.
they were kind of just sent. People were just sent everywhere.
Yeah,
and-
but like the ninja went into the actual rift though. Well, Aaron wasn't in the rift, but he still got
Yeah.
more or less displaced. The
Yeah.
ninja went into the actual place, which it kind of makes sense too. And it like Lloyd, they looked at Lloyd, they were like, okay, and he got back to the monastery because he's like the most ninja-y ninja. And then like Nia, they look at Nia, they're like, oh, she's crazy, she's going to the realm of madness. And they look at Cole and they're like, dude, it took him 13 seasons to get a season. Everybody forgot about him. He's going to the land
Yeah.
of lost things.
Yeah.
I feel like
and then they see
is that
Jay.
really-
They see Jay. He's like, oh yeah, he stayed with us.
You're one of us. One of
One of
us.
us. This
Jay's
guy.
such a
This guy
loser.
knows what he's
Leave him
doing.
No, but that's actually. I'm kind of curious if putting him in the land of lost things was just a little dig at the series for not giving him his own season for so
Mhm.
long.
you know how they put in the like the writers as like characters, like how they used to do. They have them
I'm
doing
waiting
real
for the day
reassignment.
when Doc and Kevin show up on the show.
Yeah,
Yeah, when are their Lego characters popping up?
that'd be so funny if they were the ones realm reassigning the ninja.
They should be the administrator.
Oh my god. They bring out their whiteboard. They're like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Movie magic.
Movie magic.
Oh, and then
Movie
Kind Wildfire.
What if
This is
Darrett's
the
the
best.
administrator?
So I
Sorry,
would stop watching the show. probably.
I just cut off like a really good segue with a
Yeah.
terrible idea.
Kind Wildfire. I
Anyway.
really like the Seabound stuff. I
Okay.
really like the form moving
This
stuff.
is the
That's
scene
great.
is also a big major role is why this is my favorite episode, because we literally got something with Kai that I never thought we would see after Crystallized, that I've been
Seabound was
wanting since
amazing.
Seabound ended. And it's one of those things like with what I wanted with Nia and the Jin, where it's like it's not even just like a whole drawn out character arc or anything. It's just it's like a few lines that give us much needed context as to what Kai feels about something that we should be giving context as to how he feels about. And it's like, okay, yeah, like we never got like this characterization with Kai and Crystallized, which is what I was hoping for. And well, yeah, we missed out on the opportunity to have a full arc with him. We got to kind of infer what kind of journey he went on after that because of the dialogue
Yeah.
here. So like we don't see the arc, but we know he went on one, and that satisfies me.
He started. It's also makes it a lot more sad too, because he started the form thing with Wu. He kind of like got a handle on it, but then he kind of let the anger take back over when he made it into the dojo class, where like then
Yeah.
he's just teaching all the kids like really violent things that he shouldn't be
Yeah.
teaching them. So it just shows like, yeah, like he's trying, but he's also Kai. So
I like that.
I like
ties
it
in
too.
nicely, I think.
And they said like he's not as good as he wasn't as good as the others. With
Yeah,
that
they
as
make
Oh
well.
my
Margin
god, the
varieties
fact
cool.
that Kai is the one to be like, to literally admit that he's like not as good as the rest of the ninja, even if that's, I don't know if that's necessarily true or if we're supposed to believe that that's true, but the fact that he
Well,
would
he
admit
says
that to
good at-
himself is that it's like, man, that's like, that just shows how much Kai has like grown as a character.
He just admitted he
over the
wasn't as good
years.
with patience, not really anything else, but
I guess,
that's
yeah.
a big part of his character too. So I really like it. If Cole wasn't already my favorite ninja, Kai would easily be my favorite character of the series so far.
Kai's in Dragon's Rising, like I think out of the old ninja, Kai might be my favorite.
Yeah, I think season right now looking at it, it feels unfair to make Cole higher because he's only in like 3 episodes, but well,
Cole
4 I
is
guess.
really good in
But
this season.
I mean, Cole is good though.
Because
I think
for the first
Cole,
time, Cole is
Cole,
actually really good without needing the context of previous installments,
yeah,
which is like
but yeah,
a big win for his character.
I think this one's bottom of S for me, but I could actually, mm,
I think this is definitely an S tier episode. I mean, it is my
definitely, yeah,
favorite,
I'd say
but
bottom of S.
yeah,
You know what? Yeah, I like this one too.
this one's really good. All right, Absolute Power.
This is
Oh,
another
I
really
really
good
love
one.
this episode.
This one's really good too.
Yeah, it's more really good Cole stuff too, and then even without that, the rest of it's cool. The flashbacks, I like how
Oh,
it
the
kind of it's like
flashbacks.
an inverse of the Sora flashback episode. The only thing that I don't really like, well, actually, no, this isn't even what the only questionable thing with that is Bevo's death is so just like abrupt and random that like it makes me laugh, and I shouldn't
I
be
kind of
laughing at
like it
something like
though.
that.
I kind of like how it's
Yeah.
just so
Well,
like
I
it's
like
like
how I
it's
like
like
how it,
okay, here Roz is literally willing to kill like the Emperor. Moving on.
yeah, like I genuinely laugh at that. It's not like really me making fun of it. It's just me like, oh my god, like that's
Yeah,
horrible, and then
it's
I
like
laugh.
oh jeez, dude. Okay, I
It's
was
just
not
like
expecting
interesting
that.
that they made it so
I
just
love how
random like
I
that.
love how I hope we get a soundtrack for that soon because I love how dramatic and like
Yeah,
just like
it kind of
threatening.
reminds me of
It
like
kind of redeems Roz a little bit after that weak fight in the part one. Finale.
yeah, and because we see that
honestly,
Roz is like really in control, like Beatrix, he's just manipulating her and like doing all the theatrics, like,
Yeah.
oh, like
And
you're so much smarter than
yeah, and the
this.
second that Roz isn't there to do that, like everything starts falling apart,
Yeah,
which is really interesting.
yeah, like I'll be honest. I've been honestly very indifferent to Ross throughout most of
Yeah.
Dragon's Rising. I mean, he looks cool. He
I've always
sounds
liked him.
cool, and like he's got a cool design and stuff. And I don't hate him or anything. It's just like I'm just indifferent, and I'm just waiting to see how they'll fully utilize him because obviously they have big plans for his character here. But like I think in this episode, like especially in, like the flashbacks and stuff, it's just like they really show us like how he is a person filled with power, not just like physically, but also like mentally as well. How he's really able to manipulate and just really play on like Beatrix weaknesses and try to use them to benefit him,
This
basically.
Yeah.
this episode for Roz more or less is like what Bendo says Master of the Mountain was for Cole.
Yeah, I agree there. And I really like how like the music, well, not just the music in general. I just love how it really shows like Imperium before, before like Beatrix rule. Basically, I really like seeing what
I was
Imperium
surprised
looked
at
like.
how normal and happy it was.
Yeah, it actually looked free and like something people would enjoy living in. And I like that
Yeah.
really stark contrast there.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to just be able to understand like what kind of person Beatrix was even before she became like a ruler. How she was like she was a person that just like deeply resented her father and sister. And I really like how Beatrix like claims that like her sister just uses the power to like basically show that she's better than her, but we don't really
Mm.
get an indication of whether that's actually true or if that's
Yeah, like for all we know,
whether
she's just
that's
happy and she's using it well.
yeah, like for all we know, Beatrix could just be thinking just very pessimistically about it.
I find it very
Maybe
interesting,
not
like
in it
that
anymore.
interestingly ironic that Beatrix fell victim to her own manipulation because like everybody like Sora's parents, so many Imperium citizens, like they seem pretty stupid because they just don't know what's going on and it's all because of Beatrix. But Beatrix is so far gone that she literally manipulates herself into being really, really stupid, which is like I don't like her as a person or a character, but I like her as a villain because of that. She's just like she makes so many bad decisions and it's not even like Kalmar where like I love him because I hate him. I just don't like her, but I really like her role in the story as a villain just because of how messed up she is.
Yeah.
Like she's basically just mad with power and paranoia, basically. Like that's kind of like her whole deal. And it is really interesting to just see like how like those negative traits that you already see in her, how basically Roz just like exploits that and just really like kind of just like manipulates her to just like basically just kind of just be this really uh just very violent, just like very cruel like person who just literally without hesitation just like yeah, let's just assassinate my dad and just imprison my sister. Just
Yeah.
that it's just a really it's just very abrupt shift there. But I actually really like it because she's not a good person. Like that's just something that the
Yep.
episode shows us there in the flashbacks. And I really do like how her rise to power, like that montage there. That's just something like the way that's structured there. That's basically how tyrannies, dictatorships, authoritarian regimes and stuff. That's how they rise to power. Just like they have to assassinate that like leader of the established government and then just like imprison all your opponents, boom, done. And also use fear to make sure no one rises up as well.
Yeah.
That's basically how it works.
And the
I
fact that
really
it
like how
seems so
they present all of that as
effortless
well.
for Roz is just so like it makes him
It's
seem like a real threat again.
yeah. It's
Yeah, this
this
was
really
honestly like
makes
watching
Roz-
Revenge of the Sith, just like
it's
seeing how the thing that pairing just really reminds me of like almost like Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader. Although
this does a
obviously
really
different dynamics, but it does remind me of that.
it does a really good job at showing why Beatrix is as dumb as she is, and also proving that Roz is the smart mastermind that he's been hyped up to be.
Yeah. It's a good scene.
And it's the return of Wild Brain one-shot fights, which is also peak.
Is this the episode that
No,
yeah, that's right.
there's two, because
This
there's
is
the one where they
this is like the
break in.
hoverboard one.
Yeah, this is the hoverboard fight where Wildfire loses.
Because I always forget that they don't have a one shot in the actual finale, but they have one like they have two before it, which is interesting.
Yeah,
Because
I would-
honestly, it's pretty much like a 3-part finale kind of. I guess more of a
Yeah.
2-part finale if you really think about it. They just like this whole like last 3 episodes is pretty much just all about like okay, we're wrapping things up.
yeah. I'd put this one between Administration and Merge Part 1, but I'm okay with Behind Administration if you guys really like that one.
I think
Honestly,
I like
I
administration
prefer this over
more.
the administration, honestly.
Okay, well I'll give you guys this one. I prefer administration more because I just like the goofier one-off episodes. But like
I think they're really
this one's
close
good.
for me.
This one's really
Because,
good.
yeah,
I just
Administration
think
is really fun.
I just think Imperium flashbacks are just so peak. They deserve to be that
Yeah.
high.
What?
But yeah, I mean, I just really dig. I just really dig how you could tell like they really like kind of like took inspiration from like real world
Yeah.
events and
Yeah.
stuff, and I just find that
Yeah.
so interesting to see.
Everything about Imperium
We're all
just so well
dragons.
thought out. All right, we're all dragons. This episode's really good, but it's
This is
mostly like
awesome. This is
okay.
cool Sora, cool
Yeah.
Rapton.
Dude, Sora in this episode's obviously fantastic. I love the return of like the teen whatever they were called group.
Yeah.
I like how they're the ones that kind of realize that Beatrix is lying to them. And the fact that they have like this whole base built out and they had this master plan with like the fake orb that they were giving to Rapton, and Rapton was like in on it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
And
a
I
good
like
episode.
that they didn't feel the need to meticulously show us every point in those redemption arcs because like we saw enough of it. Like
Yeah.
funnily enough, like the biggest problem with Crystallize is that we didn't see enough of the process of the redemption arc. But what this does is that like it introduces in the beginning of part 2, like Percival sees that Beatrix is lying and he's like, oh, and like that's enough for when we cut back here. It's like, oh, like of course he's gonna be against her now.
Yeah.
I think they paced it pretty well with that.
I also like how Rapton is like not necessarily redeemed, but he's just like he just
Yeah,
doesn't
he's-
want to
he's not-
die.
he's just like-
so he
he's
just
not-
goes
he's not-
along with it.
he's
He
not
sees a bigger
redeemed.
enemy. That's basically all he sees. He sees
Not redeemed. He's
Beatrix
just
as like
not
a
an
bigger
idiot,
threat
which is
than the
really
ninja.
good.
He's like I love
It's
how
really
Rapton
fun.
is like he's played off as like this dumb, incompetent guy, but he ends up being like smarter than Beatrix.
Easily
Because
the most sensible out of
yeah,
that
because
whole
like
group
he's
of
just
villains
like
besides Roz.
he like outsmarts her with like the fake thing, and then and then he's like the only or he's like able to see like, oh yeah, I actually want to live and not
Yeah.
die, while everybody else helping Beatrix is like they're not really, they kind of see that too, but they're still willing to like help her. And Rapton's like, oh yeah, dude, I'm just gonna.
He's like,
I'm
dude,
just
like
gonna-
this is ridiculous. Bye.
Also, I don't remember. I don't remember exactly, but I found it really funny if this was the case of Rapton like gave her the fake orb and like she put it in, but he was like he didn't expect it to explode, and then it just had a violent explosion, and he was like, oh wait.
Yeah, he like.
Because
Like, it's
I feel
still
like I
happening.
remember. I feel
rewatched-
like I remember there was
I
a
rewatched
line
the
It's
about
It's
that.
not like he's a redeemed genius mastermind. He's still a Rapton. He's still gonna be like, "Oops,
Yeah.
what? It wasn't supposed to happen."
I can't recall if
No,
he
like I
mentioned that.
remember rewatching Absolute Power with the knowledge in mind that he does give him a fake orb.
Yeah.
And
No, he.
you know, they
Oh, yeah.
mention like they mention like how like Dr. Laura, when she's like running a scan or whatever before they test it, she's like, "Oh, there's something off about these readings." And like, you know, there's a shot that then cuts to like the whole group. You see like Empress, and then you see
Rapton's
like
inching away
Rapton
slowly.
like right behind her, and then he slowly moves in the background as they're discussing that whole thing before they test it, which I thought was a nice detail there.
Yeah. I just like the idea that Rapton, like, he's like, oh yeah, here's the fake orb. It'll probably just not work. And then it explodes, and he's like, oh shoot. Like, that's funny. It's funny to me.
I would say this is between the Land of Lost Things and Merge Part 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to raise
Is-
my issues with this episode because I do have some
Oh, yeah,
issues
go
with
ahead.
it. All right, so I will say I really like the idea of like, you know, I don't even know what they're called. I just call them the Imperium Teen Protection Group or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that idea of how, you know, they basically were brainwashed since they're a young age to like serve the Empress, and how, you know, once they see the Empress is clearly lying, they do begin to question it. It's just like I think that idea was decently well executed. It's just for me, I just feel like that whole turn from like them being these like brainwashed kids to like you know, being part of like a resistant group and just having like so many contacts and stuff, and just I just felt like
Because they saw
was
that the
maybe
person
just
that
a
was
little
brainwashing them was
just a little
wrong.
too abrupt for my tastes. And I don't know, just them having like information, like just so much
Be right back.
information about like
I think he'll be right back.
oh, okay, sorry. Whoops, I was I'm trying to regain my thoughts here, but it's just like it's just really odd how like, and I get like they had the seeds of doubt and stuff. It's just like I think their whole turn from being brainwashed to then start questioning the system. I think that idea is really good. It's just I think they went a little they just went a little too abrupt with them just being in a flat out like
Yeah.
just they had like tunnels and stuff.
They had
and
tunnels. They had like
have
secret
contacts
government
everywhere.
info. That
and
like
they
how did
they
they
had
get a
so
hold of
much
that?
information that's
They
very
literally had
convenient
like
for them to
everything to
know.
like blackmail Beatrix. Like
Yeah, that's
it is.
just way too
It
convenient.
feels a
and this is, like,
little. It feels, but I think it works because like for anything to actually go down, Sora had to be the one to like, because all that stuff doesn't give them an immediate like oh, this is gonna work, because they have the thought process like, oh, it could be like people could think it's fake, and you know, like we need Sora here, the one that literally inspired us to like do this, and was an inspiration to like us to go against the Empress. Like Sora still has to be the one to do the speech at the end of the day. So I think even with all those kind of like rush to like, oh, the Team Protection Force seems a bit too like automatically
Convenient.
like conveniently
have-
ready for this. So.
yeah,
I
like and it's just
I
like
have a counter for
it's
the.
like it's in a short period of time as well. Like I guess like maybe days or weeks.
I mean,
I
it
guess
helps
My-
that we see the setup in episode 11, and then we don't see them again until like episode.
My
19.
counter for the rushed part is that we hear like it's not just that we went from the episode 11 to where they are now. Percival explains literally everything to them, and he says that they like first they were skeptical, they did some research, and then they found out
Yeah.
about the dragons, they found out about leaving. It wasn't just they saw one thing and then they'd switch. Like Percival goes on and explains everything that happened that made them like slowly look more and more into it. And this just wasn't like a big plot in the
Yeah. I
season
mean,
because it wasn't the
I
focus. So
personally
it wouldn't
don't
have
have
made
a
sense.
huge problem with it.
Yeah, me neither. Because he explains it and he explains it well. So
But
I
I
think
can
it's fine.
understand how it could feel kind of like weird that they have so much info and intel that nobody else could get.
Yeah, they have like so much. Yeah, they just. It's just for me. It's just like they have so much intel and like.
If
You know,
they, I mean, they have
it's just-
Rapton though, and he has the intel.
But like, how would they make contact with Rapton?
He probably
Like,
It's
actually,
like one of those things. Like
he
they,
knows they exist, and it's just.
I definitely get that perspective. To me, it doesn't bother me because it doesn't really like. It would bother me if it was like okay, they have this stuff and that's how they win. That's how they expose Empress, like the Empress. But because
that's
Sora at the
yeah.
end of the day still has to be the one to like do the speech, and
Yeah.
and like stand up for what is right, it still works in my opinion. It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
too easy, you know. It still feels earned. I think that's what's important.
Right.
At the end of the day.
And
That's what
because
I
it's
value.
Sora, it makes it really, that whole scene is really good.
I just think like the way it just got there. It's just a little rocky for me. I don't think it's bad. I just think.
I can definitely understand it.
I just think.
Yeah.
I just think
I,
execution just a little better, but I think it's good enough that the way it like goes to Sora, like being the person that that inspires them and being basically the symbol of this resistance. I think that's really great.
I think
And And I will say this: I do like how, with all the context they're bringing in and stuff, it does add more layers to just just like
Imperium.
how Imperium is like a fascist regime. Basically, I really love those like additional details of like how people are disappearing and people are being intimidated and being arrested and stuff. I do think those are really really great bits of info that really just enrich this whole world a lot more and just the real world parallels as we've been mentioning throughout this whole stream.
I almost
So.
wish we saw more of the consequences of like like what happens when people are
Yeah.
like arrested, like because obviously they're probably just thrown into cells, but I wonder if there's some kind of like brainwashing going on or
She sends them
some-
into the Department of Realm Reassignment.
yeah,
so they
she
can
just has a
fate
portal
worse than
open to
death.
the cursed realm.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of it with Roz, like, but he kind of just gets put in like a high containment cell.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it.
Did we talk about the one-shot fight with the mech yet?
No, but
I mean, we
that
talked about
scene
one
is
shot,
so
but like
Well,
not
yeah,
good.
but this one's a different one.
That's
though.
a good one.
I wanna-
It's like a
I wanna point
creative
this one
one
out.
shot because we don't really see like Ninjaverse mech one shot. It's usually Ninjaverse big group of
Yeah.
enemies one shot. But
Yeah.
now it's like Ninja versus the actual like main villain.
I love how it's like Indians are flipping around the entire time, but Lloyd's strong enough where he can actually tank a blow from the sword.
Yeah.
That's really
Is,
cool.
is Lloyd the one that literally like withstands the
like
swords thing?
Lloyd blocks her sword with his sword.
That's
he gets
oh,
knocked back, but
so
he holds.
good.
He's so cool.
I love the
I
design of
love
that
how
mech
strong Lloyd
too.
is. I like how steampunk it looks.
It's so cool, and the sword itself, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I love
like
Beatrix
some-
like just going insane in the mech.
Yeah.
Also, someone
Yeah.
mentioned on Twitter how like there was this one there was like with this one moment where like Beatrix is like holding the dragon.
Oh, yeah.
She like raises the sword, and then they don't even
Yeah,
show like the
Jiro.
dragon's head. They
Like
made it
Jiro's
like
gonna die.
they made it look like she cut its head off, but like no, it's just like a random machinery
Yeah,
piece.
but they still have
that-
like the imagery of like the piece of machinery like
Yeah.
falling to the ground as if it was his head.
But the way they shot
way
that
they
though,
shot
the way
it was-
edited,
That was
they really
cool. I thought he was gone. He was like my favorite
Oh.
dragon.
Like it was like,
And
oh, they
it
can't
wasn't
actually kill him
outside
on screen,
possibility.
but they can like imply it and still deliver the imagery of
Yeah.
it. I was just like,
And,
okay,
like,
Ninjago.
And like we know Beatrix would be happy to cut off a dragon's head, considering she literally assassinated her own father.
She
So-
like looked up at the sky
like-
before she did it, and she saw like the TVY7 rating, and she's like, "Dang it!" And she just cut off the
And like
machinery.
she's nuts at this point. She's like really
absolutely insane at this point. So like it would not have been like it would have been very believable if she like
Yeah.
wanted to flat out behead this
If this
thing,
was a
which
different
would have
show, she would have done it.
been, in a different show
In a
would have
different
happened.
show, she would have cut
Jiro
that
would have been
dragon's head
dead.
off.
Yeah. Which would have sucked because Jiro, he's like the best
I
dragon in the
know,
series.
he's like the coolest one.
Yeah. Although,
And
wait,
Jiro
Xanth is
has a
pretty cool
Lego
too.
set too.
we did get
They would
plenty
have
of
really
just Jiro.
recontextualized that Lego set as well if that happened.
Yeah,
It also
Like, we
just
you can
really
really
you
added
can
there as
recreate
well.
that in Lego. Perfectly.
we got so much just Jiro versus Empress Mech in general too, which makes I've seen like people say like I wasn't sold on the set or like I already was, but like regardless of where they were, this episode made them like it even more because it actually like
Dude, I
brings
love it.
the
I
set
just wanna
into the show in a non-contrived way.
I want to give a shout out to Joshua Deck who made a fantastic piece of art of that set because
Mm.
I don't know if you
I'll try
guys
to
have
look at
seen
it.
it, but like the art is really good
That's
and it
fine,
makes
I
me
know his art.
appreciate like it makes me
I need to see
appreciate
it. I
it
don't
even
think
more.
I don't remember.
I can try and
Should I
find
just
it.
look up Joshua Deck?
Yeah, look up
or
Joshua
like
Deck
Jiro?
like uh
Well,
I don't know.
I know he's made some good art, so
Oh,
like
it's so good, and I'm glad that the show like focused on that set a lot because I remember because he did an art
Yeah.
he did an art stream of it too where he drew it out. And it's-
I will say,
It
like
makes me
when I
appreciate
first
it.
saw like the Dragon's Rising set images, like the official like set images,
Oh, I see the
the
picture.
Jiro set was probably the one that really stood out to me, just because it was like a big dragon, and you know I really like the blue and like yellow colors it had around it, and it was just so big. I just liked how it was really like massive
Yeah,
how it looks. So I still want to get it at some point.
I like how Joshua drew Beatrix's mech as more of a suit of armor than a mech.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But yeah. Anyway, I would still put this one in second place for what we have ranked so far.
and S tier.
I mean,
Right,
I would put it
right
in A
below
tier for me,
Land of Lost Things. Yeah, I don't know if I'd rank it. I think it's a top
Actually,
of A tier.
I don't know if I like it more than the premiere now, actually, now that I think of it.
I don't think I even like it more than Return to Imperium, honestly.
Yeah, I put it in high.
I prefer
tier.
like how I look at it is I prefer Sora's backstory and everything relating to that way more than I care for like Roz and Beatrix's
we
stuff.
could put it in high A tier.
So I'd say high A tier right below Return to Imperium. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. All right.
I might
I absolutely agree with this.
for my personal ranking, I might put it below the premieres now too. Anyway, I don't
Also,
know.
I think I found it now.
Yeah, it's a cool piece.
Yeah, I just love how it's just
Power
just like how it has a
with
circular look to it. It
in
kind of remind me of like the yin
apple
yang symbol.
power with in
The power within.
power with.
This is okay.
This is
This
oh,
is my
S
this is
tier.
my second favorite episode. But like I think this is the best episode.
This episode's so good. This is like
I'll
a really
be
good
honest.
example of how when we're watching the episodes with the runtimes, we're like, oh, like we're used to 11 minutes. Then we look at how much is left. It's like, whoa, there's so much left, and it's not even like bad pacing.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, when I first saw this episode, I was like, did I just watch the best Ninjago episode? And then I rewatched it again. And honestly, I still think this is probably the best Ninjago episode I've ever watched.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's
Very
like,
And
high
even
praise.
if people don't agree with me, I still think this is like the best Ninjago finale.
I think
Personally,
seasons
like-
9,
personally
13, and 14 are better finales, but I really like
this doesn't even come close to Seabound for me. You know how I am, but
Yeah.
this is
Seabound
good.
is-
This is
Listen.
really good. I think character-wise,
Like-
it's better. I think character-wise, this is better than anything Nia had in terms
This-
of like
yeah, this
Sora.
is-
Sora in this episode is like, without this episode, Sora would not have left as big of an impact on me.
I've seen this episode like I want to say 4 or 5 times. Every time I watch Sora's True Potential, I get like teary-eyed.
And
Just,
it's
like,
not even
natural
like it's not
reaction.
even like your average True Potential where it's like super flashy. Because all Sora really does
No.
at the end of the day is like break the gun. But just
Yeah,
the
but, like-
actual emotion and impact and like the conflict that she overcomes and the way they built up to it over the course of the entire season, and the way that each and every
Yeah.
little mini arc built to this realization, and the fact that her parents don't just like accept her at the end, they just like they actively like still choose to like just be
Yeah.
terrible people, and she
Yeah.
has to just overcome that, and just like, oh, it's so good, it's so good.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
even
so
like
good.
well, it matters to Sora obviously, but it doesn't even hinder her that her parents don't accept her because she's like you
It
said,
like
like
empowers her that she
she's
goes
been
against
prepared
them.
for this. Like she's strong enough
Yeah.
on her own, and she knows that now.
Like if this scene had happened earlier, she like before the show, she would not have been able to like resist them. But
Yeah.
the fact that she went through so much growth over the series, or like over the season, especially in like the last Jin and like and the Land of Lost Things,
Yeah.
it like, I don't know, it's just they did such a good job with Sora.
And
I
can
articulate it way better
understand.
in my video.
Yeah, I
I
gotta
just
watch that
love what
video
they
after
did.
this.
I love
And
what they did.
I
You need to
understand why
watch a lot.
some people are upset about how she just broke the gun and that's it, but also it's the first time she's using her powers without Ryu, so I understand that like
I
she's
think
not gonna
that's
be doing
fine.
some big flashy light show. Like she's
I don't think
working
it
her way
needed
into
to be
it.
flashy because I'd rather focus
Yeah,
on the
me neither.
emotional, like the emotion behind it.
Yeah,
And
I'm fine with
also,
just
like,
the build-up being great, and then that was good.
also, it isn't just some gun. It's literally creating a bunch
Yeah.
of merge quakes here that's
It's
taking
just
Yeah.
out
when
like
you compare it to
massive
other
beat
true
here,
potentials,
so
it's like, oh, like even back in season 1, like the true potentials were a lot more flashy and dramatic, and the music swelled and everything. And you have a bit of that in here, but it's more about the emotional weight behind Sora's choices. And I think that's what's important, because at the end of the day, I watch the show for its characters and how they create these interesting stories, and how they resolve their arcs at the end of the day, just being so satisfying, and the way they did
That is,
Sora's story is just so, it's so impactful.
it's just, like I hate to bring up that season again, but it's just like such an inverse of Crystallize, which was so focused on like flashy
just the
visuals, cool
action
fights,
and
but
yeah.
like absolutely butchered almost every character arc it tried to introduce. Where this is like good action, good visuals, not quite where it was at the peak before, but it's fine because the context behind all the scenes is actually fulfilling.
Yeah. They just they did such a
I
good job.
really I do. Yeah, I also really loved watching the true potential scene, just like seeing Sora finally just be able to like basically confront basically her main obstacle, which is her parents, and just really just unleashing just like all the emotions she's really had, that she just had to bottle up over these years, and then just letting it all out, and just seeing her just really just come to terms that her parents are terrible people and they're never going to really accept her, so she's just got to move on from that at that point. And
I,
it was really great to just see her just really fully embrace like her new family that she now has, and that's just found family in this show. It
Yeah.
just really hits home all the
I
time, if I'm
watched
honest.
It's
Like,
just the way
it
they did
really
this.
hits
The
here
way
as
they did
well.
this one is so good, because it's not like, oh,
yeah.
Sora lost her parents or anything. It's Sora willingly went against her parents because they don't accept her. And because she found a new identity, and because she found people who accept her for who she is, she's willingly like choosing to be with them instead.
Yeah. It like this makes me watch a Lego show with like fake characters, and I still look at that and I look at Sora and I'm like, dude, I'm so proud of you, man.
Yeah, like
The
I'm just so
acting here
happy.
is just incredible.
Oh my goodness,
Mm.
the
I
delivery and
also like
everything.
how
The
Sora
dialogue.
I also
So
like how
good.
her
So
just
good.
only dismantling the gun leaves the window open for Aaron to be the one
Yeah.
that I think he's the one that kicks her into the
Yeah,
rift,
and
right?
he destroys the
Yeah,
mech and kicks her
so
in the rift.
like it's Sora as much focus as Sora got, and at the end of the day, the show is going to be Sora and Aaron, so it's them working together. They combo Beatrix, and that's how she's defeated.
Yeah, like Aaron still got, and while Aaron's moments weren't nearly as well built up to, they still feel earned. They still feel,
Yeah, I love
they
when he
feel
sees
like,
his
oh,
parents. That feels really cool,
you
but
get the
it
growth
was a
from it.
really cool scene.
I love the
I will
whole
say,
different,
like,
the different angle where like Sora is like, she actively goes against her parents, while Aaron is still trying to
Aaron just
find
wants to
them.
see them,
Like
and I
Aaron
love.
wants to see them. It feels like more than he wants to like be a part of the ninja team. Like he's more concerned with finding his own parents. And I wonder if they'll do
Yeah,
something with that, where if he ever does actually find his parents, or if he like like if he finds his parents, will he leave the ninja to go back and be with them? It's like those interesting character choices that make me
Yeah. I
make me
really
wonder.
like that, even if
Make
he
me
didn't
think.
really get anything out of seeing it. Well, I mean, he sees his parents, and at least that tells him that they're alive. And
Yeah,
even if that's it, his parents at least get to see that like their
he's
kid,
doing
who's
well.
like spent his entire childhood wanting to be a ninja, is a ninja, and he's
Yeah.
like saving people. They must be like just really proud of him.
I'm really curious because I know at some point there's probably going to be a point where like there's going to be like the Kai and Nia moment in Hands of Time where he finds his
Yeah. Oh
parents,
my god. Yeah.
and it's like, how is that going to change the show? Like, is his parents going to be part of the main cast? Is he gonna like obviously I don't think he's going to leave to be with
I
his
think
parents, but I think it'd be interesting if there was a conflict to where he kind of has to choose between like being a
I think
ninja
he's gonna
or spending time with his family.
I think he's gonna like spend a bunch of time with them and be like, shoot, like what do I do? And like his parents are gonna be like we love you, we're so happy to see you, but you really belong here, you're doing good things, so like you don't have to feel bad if you go back with them, and we'll just like stay in touch. I think it'll play out like that.
Yeah.
I will say that something about this episode that really hit hard was just like when just like seeing like some of the members just get sucked into like the merge quakes, and like even though they're
All
fine
that
in the end, like rewatching that episode, it really did it really did bite whenever like each team member just got sucked into the merge quake.
Kai's
Like I
reaction
really
to
felt the
the was really
losses
good.
there. Like especially when like Ryu and like Wildfire were taken out. That was just
Yeah.
like the reactions that the characters made there, like from Kai and like from like Sora and Aaron. That was like,
You
oh
know
I
what?
man,
mean, it's
that
one of
hurt.
the
You know
it's one of
what's
those things where like they're gonna come back, but it's like it was well done where they didn't like harp on it too much.
yeah.
They didn't have like a whole
Funnily
scene
enough,
of them mourning like Ryu.
you know who my you know who my favorite disappearance
What's up?
was Percival, because he goes like he sees the girl gets trapped under the lamppost or whatever it was. He goes out to help her, knowing full well that he's putting himself in danger. But he's like, whatever, I'm gonna help this kid. She needs help. It's the right thing to do because that's Percival. That's my guy. That's my man. And he gets sucked up anyway, and he goes. But like he knew that could have happened. He just did it anyway
Percival's the
because he's
biggest
just a
redemption
good
arc.
dude.
Like
He's a good guy. He was
I
just
saw him
fighting for
like
the wrong side.
Yeah.
as soon as I saw like like Percival was like letting people in, you saw like a little girl and just like, oh yeah, I gotta go save him. I was like, oh, I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
He's
But
gonna
I think it's
save
I
her,
think
but
it's
he's gonna get like thrown off and then just thrown into
I think
sucked
it's
into the
better that
merge.
he got it's much better that he got sucked in versus if he was okay, which like he was okay, but it's better that he got sucked in
Well, I
because it
mean,
shows like
no, I'm
yeah,
just saying.
there are
I'm
well
not
I
saying
know
it's
I'm not
bad. I'm just
disagreeing with
saying
you.
it's funny how I called it.
I'm no, I know I'm going out and I'm making a separate point here, but I think it's better that he got sucked in because it shows that there are consequences for you putting yourself out there even if it's for the right thing. But like the big thing is just you got to rise above them and not be afraid and just do the right thing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, good choices are always hard to make, but I mean, hey, if you make the good choices, then that's you're a good person.
I will say, if I have one thing to complain about in this episode, it's the way they resolve the actual merge quake thing. I don't mind like Lloyd being I think it's cool that they brought back
A
Lloyd's
little abrupt.
Lloyd's the conduit. He uses the orbs, cool, awesome. Yeah, it was like it was very abrupt. It wasn't even half as impactful as the first time that he had the whole
I
like
think
conduit scene.
yeah,
Even
I
though
think we
this
could
should
have
have been cooler because this he did far more. He stopped the entire like merge quake catastrophe. The last time he did it, he opened a door, but that felt way more epic.
I think they could have easily fixed that by putting in a little, you know how when Zane breaks the staff in the Never Realm, we get a montage of like everywhere being freed. I think if we
Yeah,
got that, that would have been perfect, but it was
it
just
felt very like
no in
instant.
between.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
okay, well I guess it's over.
Yeah.
But then you brush over it and you get to like the final parts of the episode and you kind of like
Yeah.
it's
I think
surrounded by
everything else is just really good.
everything else is so good that it doesn't ruin it.
They talk about Cole at the end, Kai and Wildfire have a nice moment.
I love how they just set up all the mysteries like at the very end.
Yeah. They like
Yeah, like
yeah.
it feels like a really nice, like a really like yeah, I like how this is ending, and then it's just like,
But there's
but at
so
the
much
same
you want
time,
to
they're also
learn.
they're just setting up like they're just setting up like the next seasons
You're just like,
basically.
please,
Oh,
I wish I could
oh.
just hit next episode on this and just watch what's
I need to
after.
I need to talk about Lloyd in the last scene with Aaron, because when Aaron's like, I'm scared, I'm not, ninja shouldn't be scared, like I'm not a real ninja, and Lloyd's like,
Oh my
dude,
god, it's so good.
every emotion is important, even the bad ones. Don't fight them, don't ignore them, accept them, and like do good work with them. And that is
Love
like
it.
literally what last season should have been about, and it failed at
Yeah.
delivering that message so badly.
But
And
now
this
they're
season, like, you can just tell that Lloyd probably like thought about the Oni Lloyd stuff, and he was
he's
like,
like,
shoot, like that really didn't go well. I should probably like reflect on that. And he did, and he knows what he should do now.
I just love the whole ending sequence. I love the shot of Sora, like Ryu comforting Sora as she like has to be like, okay, these are my powers. I have to learn to control them on my own.
Yeah.
And she's just like kind of talking about how like she figured out what was holding her back,
Right.
and just the fact, and they just have like that scene, that shot of the two. It's just so nice.
And like she acknowledges that, you know, she's still got to work through their
Yeah.
struggles. Like even though she made that really passionate speech, like I mean, you'd still have to work on
Like,
them because
I just
you
love
know.
how Sora doesn't just like have a character like moment and then just goes, okay, I'm good now. I have no flaws or weaknesses. Like
Yeah.
she still has to work through stuff. Just because she has accomplishments doesn't mean she automatically like gets past all her flaws and stuff. It's so well done.
Yeah, it's just a great episode. Great arcs.
And I do
great
like how-
great way to end the season.
And
Yeah.
I like how, like with Imperium, I guess maybe if there was like one thing I guess I would have wished for from this episode, it would be I would have liked to have seen just maybe a little bit more of like Imperium now, you know, being free from like Beatrix's role after spending so much time in it. And you know, we get like that like one brief little clip of like Percival, and I think we see Rapton there as well, just like
Yeah.
talking about like, oh yeah, we're gonna be more free and democratic now.
I kind of
I would
like
have
how
liked maybe just a little bit more, seeing a little bit more of that, like the post Imperium,
Like the aftermath, yeah.
thing. Yeah, like the aftermath after spending
I
so
think
much
we'll
time
get to
with
see
it.
it. We'll probably
wanna-
get to see
yeah.
that next season.
I want
I
to
mean, if
see
we
that
see it
next
next season,
but
that's cool. But like right now,
for this
I don't
for
know.
this season, if they do bring it back next season, I'd rather them. I like how they kind of left it open. It's positive, but it's like open. They're kind of uncertain because they're so used to the other way.
So
So
like, how do they recover from that? You know, how do they just go
yeah,
back to
and
life
I
normal?
think that that's not something they should fit into this finale. Unless this is the last we see of it, then they should have tried harder. But
No, they'll come back to it.
I think,
Imperium, I'm
yeah, they're
certain.
definitely coming back to it, and I think it's better to
I mean,
really
literally,
expand upon it
Lloyd
next
literally
season.
goes there at the end of the episode.
Yeah, like
Like they'll come back. The dragon is still there and everything. Like,
And Jordana's from Imperium, so
yeah.
I guess they will come back.
unless they're I'm assuming Roz and Jordan are gonna leave right now and go
Yeah,
to the
they'll probably
wildness.
leave Imperium, but like they'll
Yeah,
still
Well,
I
like I
don't think
be
they're
mean,
gonna be
she's
there by the
connected
time.
to Imperium though.
Yeah,
that's
but
what
she's
I'm
connected
saying.
to it,
It's
yeah.
not like she's gonna be there forever. It's just like she'll probably come back or something. Maybe
Unless
steal
they can't
stuff.
escape. They're trapped in.
Mm.
Nah. But
All right.
is this are we gonna rank this at the top of S?
I would say so.
I've been saying that, and I'm really, yeah, probably. I really like the Cole episode, but I think
This seems
objectively
fitting.
this one might be a bit better.
This tier list at the end of the day is just an amalgamation of all our opinions kind of thrown
Yeah.
into one. So
This is the top of my list, so I would definitely. Put
there's
it at the
definitely a
top.
lot of things that would change on this tier list.
I'd probably put it at the top too.
But yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is the list. Lots of A
Doing
tier,
this-
lots of S. Not many.
Doing this has
B and
made me
below.
rethink a lot of my own order too, which I kind of like.
Yeah, it's making me rethink some parts of my order, and like including the last episodes of part one, because I don't know how to rank those.
Yeah. I still think the episodes I didn't love, I still don't love, but the ones that like, I don't know, like a lot of them are just like very similar quality level, so it's hard to tell. But that's also a good sign for the most part.
You know, I don't know about you guys, but I really love Dragon's Rising.
I do too. I think there's some low points. I think there's some things that can definitely be improved upon. There's a lot of seasons I still like better. But this is
I don't know why you
I
guys.
agree, definitely.
I don't know how you guys could be so positive. Ninjago got bad after they changed the design. Sands of Time was the last season, and you guys are just fake fans. You're not
This
OGs.
is actually worse than Crystallized. I don't know how anybody could change
Yeah.
this. Bring back Jay.
Nah, this is as bad as Crystallized and Master of the Mountain because new designs, boo.
Ninjago
but-
fell off when Kyle wasn't the Green Ninja.
No,
The
but
snakes were a better villain than whatever these weird makeup people.
yeah, where are the snakes?
Dude,
We
White
need more
lady
snakes
with
in
white
this.
hair and stuff.
We need another
should-
big giant
you
snake
need-
to come out.
I stopped watching after the snake season, so that means my opinion is the most important.
Well,
All right, I'm done.
I hope you guys
Like,
enjoyed
how
this
would you
tier
guys
list.
rate this? How would you
Yeah.
guys rate the season overall?
Well, in my
that's a good
tier list,
question.
it's at the bottom of A tier. Is where I put it.
Yeah, I'd say bottom of A, top of. Yeah, bottom of A.
Because there's a lot of
For me,
seasons
it's
I
like-
like more, but I
For
still
me,
love
it's
it a
like
lot.
it's either low A or high B.
I mean, it's kind of complicated to
that's-
me because as a whole, it's definitely a low A season. When it comes to specific
Yeah.
elements, though, there are like certain elements that I
I might-
adore.
Yeah, I might say top of B. I
Like
don't know. It's very good, but
it's definitely still an A tier for me because of all the stuff it does right. It just does so well, and
Yeah, if
there's
I
very
could-
little bad.
we need to pull a Ice Chapter ranking and make a tier in between A and B for me to properly rank this one.
Yeah, it's definitely a low A for me.
Yeah.
I really like this season a lot. I think it might go down to high B if season 2's better.
Can't wait for season 2.
But I'm a little it's one of those things where it's like I don't know. Like I think season 2 could be better, but at the same time it's like how do they top Sora's story
I think
for me?
season 2 is
How do
just
they
such
do
a
this?
with what we know about it, it's such a strange amalgamation of things because like we know without going into specifics for the sake of people who haven't seen the leaks, we know the villains, the setting ish, not maybe not, and we know what the suits look like, and we know that we should hopefully be getting Aaron focus. And you combine all of that, like the suits I can talk about actually, because that's not really a spoiler. The suits look like anime mech pilot suits, which are I like, but like
I'm
how
not
does
a
that fit
fan.
into like everything's so disconnected, but I'm kind of interested because of it.
I don't know. I
Cannot wait
Um,
regardless.
I have a lot of faith in season 2. I will say.
Me too.
I don't know if I have a lot. I don't really keep up with the sets and stuff too much, so I don't know about that regard. But I think story wise, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And I think it could be
I can't
better.
wait.
I think there's a lot of room for improvement to the point
Now
where
that they've established themselves and they don't need to worry about, establishing themselves, I think
Yeah.
season 2 can really shine.
the only thing is
Yeah, and
I
I
don't
mean,
know
they
if
could
they'll
just,
be able
like-
to make a better character story than Sora. Like it's gonna be hard to top that for me. But
It's just like I
we'll
feel
see.
like if they like play their cards right, they could really build off of what this season has, what this first season started, and really improve on like many of the aspects that we were like, this could be maybe a little better. Like,
Yeah, because
I'm just really curious how the animation will look.
ideally,
Now,
like
'cause, I mean, it looks good, but I'm really curious. Like now that they have a better understanding of it, like I'm curious to see how that'll flourish now in the next
I hope
season.
they fix not fix. I hope they improve the movement to where it was before, and I hope they fix the clipping issues because they have a lot of clipping
the
issues.
clipping issues, dude. It's funny.
Yeah, and I hope they improve the direction.
But considering we look at this as a new show, ideally, most good shows get better as they go along,
Yeah,
and I have faith that this will be the same. Because you
yeah,
look at a lot of like loved shows in the past, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, season 1's really not that good. Doesn't really get good until
Right.
later." Like I have a feeling this will be kind of like that.
This is a
If it just
really
keeps
strong first
if it
season
keeps
for-
improving upon what makes this first season so enjoyable, and they only go up from here because they're telling a continuous story, which is what gives me so much faith that it'll only get better. Because in previous Ninjago, it's like, oh, it's just each season's kind of its own thing, for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this could kind of not jive well with audiences compared to this season. It's like a series of movies rather than a single show.
Yeah, given that context, this is a very special first season.
Yeah. So it's like I
And like
feel I feel
they're
that
thinking long term as well.
yeah, and that excites me like so much, and it gives me
Like they
faith
have
that
ideas that they want to expand
that it
on.
will only get more interesting, and it will only get better. And yeah, I just hope they don't
Yep.
like the few pitfalls that they kind of fell into with this first season. I hope they learn from that and improve them.
Yeah.
I have faith that they will. I have faith that they will.
Yeah.
Yep. If there's anything watching this show has shown me, it's that I think Ninjago's future continues to be very bright.
Yep.
After like, after still going on for like 11 years now.
So to
Yeah, I
anyone,
guess that's
so
all that
to
feels
anyone
like.
watching this in the year 2030, and Ninjago has had another disastrous installment. You can watch and laugh at
Okay,
us.
if
in
you're
this
watching this in
time of-
2030, can you invent time travel and tell me if they fix Harumi or not? I would really appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on this. I predicted that this would be like a 2-hour stream. We are at 3 hours and 45 minutes, or 46 minutes rather. And my
Oops.
throat is very tired. So
Yeah, I need to
Yeah.
eat something today.
again, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you again to Krusty for being here. Sad he couldn't be here the whole time, but time zones. It is what it is.
They be whack.
And I hope that we'll do another stream sooner than later, because the gap between streams has been kind of long. But we'll see. It's hard to plan stuff like this when everyone's so busy. All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for watching.
See you
And
guys.
Goodbye.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.